First of all, how do you two not have a show together?
I don't know.
Hanging with you guys the other night at the store. First of all, how much fun was that?
The best.
It was so much fun.
But is that what it? I can't remember because it's been so long. It's been like 6 months now. Was that what every night was like?
A lot of nights were like that.
We just had the craziest, like a circus
just
freak
fun,
night.
just laughing constantly.
Oh my God.
We used to go to the back bar and crack each other up.
Yep.
That was the constant thing.
For
It
hours.
was either in the back bar or the back smoking area, and everybody was laughing.
Yep.
And you get like a low-grade depression when you're not around it.
Yeah,
and you forget.
it's so true.
You forget for months and months and months, and then we had one night where we're all like, ah!
It's so true.
Just shooting up and saying ridiculous shit.
I do feel like I had like a crush on the night. Like I kept thinking
too.
about it like
Yes.
we'd fucked for the first time. I was like, I fucked that night, and is he thinking about me too? And I was like texting with you guys. Like, do you remember this?
We
and
spent
that? Oh
3 days replaying the night. Remember when you said this? That was so funny.
I got so emotional when I pulled up and then I walked into the store. I almost cried. I was like, I can't believe I'm here. Like it's just, and then it just, there's this weird. It's not like any of, like if I had been away for 5 months and I came back, I'd be like, I can't believe I'm here. It'd be great. But I was like, ooh, is here gonna ever be here again? Is it
Yeah.
ever gonna be what it used to be? Because it didn't feel. Like, there's no reason why it shouldn't be if we could do it the other night.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the way we did it the other night, everybody gets tested, you go and hang out, and it's fun, and we
That
had
was
a great
STD
time.
tests, but we do all have COVID, unfortunately.
My chlamydia killed my COVID, so I'm good.
Well,
they cancel each
COVID
other
goes
out.
away.
We think. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we don't know, right? What if it's an annual thing? It keeps coming back. I have a friend who got malaria, and then he got malaria again when he got sick. So it had been dormant inside of his system. My friend Justin Wren, he runs Fight for the Forgotten. He does charities in the Congo. He builds wells for the pygmies. And he's there he got malaria 3 fucking times.
Jesus.
And so he goes over there, he gets malaria, like deathly ill, comes back, and then he beats it, does all the medication, and then a long time later, he gets really sick. And when he gets sick, the malaria kicks back in again. And he wasn't even in the Congo.
The malaria is like
Whoa.
not to be forgotten. He's like, this is a charity for me.
Malaria has killed more people than anything.
That's right.
Like anything ever.
More than wars, I think.
Yeah.
My
right?
dad had
Mosquitoes.
malaria. He was born in he was born in Panama because his dad was stationed there, and he got malaria when he was a baby, but it never came up again. He never had any problems with it.
Jamie, didn't we look this up? Didn't they say that? No, I fucked this up. That malaria has killed half the people who've ever died ever.
Whoa.
Something nutty.
That's
like that.
wild.
That's when we looked it up, it's been exaggerated a little bit, but it's definitely killed a lot of people.
Let's
but
say a
it's hard to
quarter.
say,
If we
yeah,
say a quarter, it's probably pretty.
something like that.
Imagine that. Just let's say 25% of all the people that have ever
That's
died
wild.
ever
From bugs.
been killed by malaria.
Mosquitoes, right?
So I just put this on my Twitter or my Instagram that they released or they're about to release some fucking untold hundreds of millions of genetically modified mosquitoes in the
I
Everglades.
saw that.
In
To
either
do what?
Everglades or in the Florida Keys. I think the Florida
Florida,
Keys.
I think.
Who the fuck knows?
And what is it supposed to do?
I don't know. You
They're
get some fucking nerds.
Did you read it?
delivering the vaccine.
I got scared. I pulled away from it. And then I got a text from a friend of mine who's a biologist, and he was like, what the fuck are they doing? I'm like, if you're scared, now I'm really scared.
I saw you post that, and I was like, maybe I should read the article, and then I was like, reading's really challenging. Maybe I'll just go
I'm
and
still
ask
catching up
Rogan what
on
happened.
murder hornets. Like, I still don't know what happened with the P tape. Like, I'm so behind. Every day is some crazy adrenalizing story.
Do you think the P-tape is real, and is it going to come out like right before the election? But if it does come out right
Nobody's
before the
gonna
election,
care.
but does it work now because of the mail-in thing? Like people are they're voting already, right?
Right. I think we are sort of at a point where nothing fucking matters. We're in this sort of like nihilistic thing where it's like if a P tape came out right now of Trump like peeing on someone, we'd just be
They
like,
don't care. Nobody cares.
Like,
People
as
that
long
like
as his-
Trump aren't like, I like him because of how he treats women.
As
They
long
don't-
as
I like how he doesn't pee on women. I love how women leave the room with him dry from urine.
as long as he didn't apologize, he'd be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as you apologize, you're fucked.
You can't cancel Trump.
It's like it's like in a car accident, the first person to apologize, it's their fault. So you got to just get out in the car accident,
Yeah.
and just be like, "What the fuck, man? What the fuck was that?"
But it is a gross thing when someone hits you and then they say that was your fault. You're like, oh,
Oh,
this is
never
the
apologize.
grossest.
You told me that your dad taught you that, right?
Never apologize. Yep.
In a
Which
car
you told me
accident.
after I
Ever.
got in a car accident. You were like, the one advice my dad gave me that was the best advice was when you're in a car accident, never say sorry because you'll get blamed for it.
But what if you actually did it? Then you should say sorry. If you hit somebody with your car.
No,
like,
you look at them and you
rear-end
go
somebody?
like, I'm going to sue the shit out of you. You missing a leg? I'm not paying for that.
Don't you think you should say sorry if you rear-end someone?
Of course.
Yeah.
I did that. I was thinking about you because you posted that Irresistible, that book
That
the
book?
other day.
Oof.
Dude, I rear-ended
Oof.
someone texting like a year ago, and I got out and I was like, I know I need to have a consequence for this behavior because I was texting and driving.
Well,
and
you
I-
have to get the consequence, Caitlyn Jenner. You have to become a man. You have to transition after you do it.
Can you give me
Why?
your doctor, Annie?
Well, there was no consequences. That's how you avoid the consequences, right? Because nobody even talks about the Caitlyn Jenner thing.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Is it
right?
Kurt that has
crazy.
the joke where he's like he harvested the vagina of the woman he killed? Or something?
Oh my God.
That is what I miss so much. Honestly,
And that's Kurt Metzger. And he hasn't been canceled in a couple years.
He needs to be recanceled.
That's such a Kurt joke.
He's so funny.
He's gonna
so
wake up
funny.
and be like, "Fuck you guys, you just canceled me."
It's a travesty that guy's not more well known. And every time I do
yeah.
podcasts with him too, he's funny on podcasts. He's smart as fuck. He's
Yeah,
really
he's
well
quick.
read. He's great.
Yeah, his ideas are very unique, funny, smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great.
Something that was so important at the Comedy Store the other night is that these last 6 months have sort of hoodwinked me into believing that like jokes are dead, that we're not allowed to make jokes anymore.
Right.
And because Twitter,
Right.
sort of, we're hallucinating with all the shit we're seeing on Twitter and blowing it up to be bigger than it should be. But like as soon as I saw Tony Hinchcliffe, I said the
Oh my
most
God,
offensive
yes.
shit possible, and everyone exploded in laughter, and I was like,
Yeah.
we're fucking back.
Oh, he's the best for that. That little motherfucker will say the most evil shit.
Oh, the moment something happens, there's no too soon for. I mean, Tony's like.
Oh no, not
But
Tony.
I don't think we're designed to just be on the internet. If you're just on the internet and not seeing human beings and making jokes around
Right.
actual people, you can be tricked into thinking that shit's real.
Well, Stanhope really said it best once. He said, "I could quit comedy, but I couldn't quit comics," and that's what the other night was like. Like I've had my little fix where I did a weekend in Houston. A month or so ago, but it wasn't as fun as that night.
was
That
so
night was the
fun.
most fun because it was just a bunch of comics just laughing at each other.
Saying a bunch of shit
Screaming,
that will get us
laughing.
canceled.
Talking over each other. It was just like amazing.
But it's the art form of saying shit you don't really mean, and everyone knows it. We all know, like, if you say something really gross to me, I know you don't mean it, and I'm laughing hard.
Yeah.
It's like it's understood, and it's also understood that you're taking a big fucking chance with our friendship by saying this
Yes.
crazy shit
Yes.
around me.
Yes.
Because you
It-
trust me.
It's like the ultimate trust fall or something.
Yes.
Like I'm going to say some
Yes.
crazy shit to you. You're not going to abandon me or judge me,
Yeah.
and we're going to be. It's like a trauma bond or
Right.
I've
something.
definitely. Trauma Bond. That's my favorite. It's my
That's the name of your
favorite.
next special.
Bond. Trauma
That should
Bond.
be
I'm
an
gonna name it.
album.
I'm gonna name it.
that
Bond,
totally should be a
Trauma Bond.
special. Trauma Bond.
Yeah.
That's a great name for a special.
But yeah, no, I've said some things to you where you've looked at me like, and I'm like, are we not friends anymore? Like, there's two things I said to you that I'll never forget, and I like because I just say things when they come to my head.
Yeah, we
which,
noticed.
Yeah,
But
I know.
listen, if I react that way, it's because I have to react that way. It's like
Well, once I was like, do you think you have CTE, and like you could possibly like at one point like murder your family? And you're like, do you think I could? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, can I have a fanny pack?
But part of the fun is mock
Right,
anger. Like,
yeah.
what?
Yes. It's like
The fuck did you just say to me?
It's like emotional sparring or
Yes.
something, And
Yes.
it's really fucked up because like just what's been going on the last couple of years, it's like I never feel more equal. Like when people want to talk about men and women, I
Right.
never feel more equal than when a male comic is fucking pummeling me
Yeah.
because they not physically because they know I can fucking take it,
Right, and you'll
Yeah.
pummel right back.
That's exactly
That's
right.
what's fun about it.
Yep.
Is like they're not doing it to be a bully. They're doing it because you want to spar,
And you can handle
And
it.
you're like, okay, bitch,
Let's go.
And then
Yeah,
everyone's
they don't.
at it.
Nobody
Yeah.
wants you to go like, ow, and then like sulk and walk away. That will
Oh,
ruin
that's-
everything.
Thank you
That
for not
ruins
thinking
everything.
Thank you for not thinking I'm fragile. But it is funny when you just go like a little too far.
Well, that's the risk.
Well, the pink hair thing I wrote about you, I was like, is she gonna get mad at me about that?
What did you
what
write?
did
Well, she tweeted. We were FaceTiming last night, and she tweeted Instagrammed a picture of it, and she goes, "Annie Lederman, you're a mess." And I wrote, "Okay, pink hair."
Oh, that's nothing.
I don't know. I was just like, is she gonna get offended? I don't
No.
know.
Some
that's-
people have weird Achilles heels,
Yeah.
Some people have weird. I mean, I'm doing the roasts all the time. It's amazing how you can accuse people of rape and say like crazy shit, racist shit, but then as soon as you say like your dog's ugly, like they
Yeah,
want
they're
to
like,
fucking
how dare
storm
you.
off.
And that's you, obviously.
So
Roast battle was really good for comedy. Really good
that's
for
where
comedy.
Annie and I met the first time.
Oh, should we talk about it?
Our meet cute story.
We
We didn't start off on great terms.
It was okay though. It wasn't that bad. You texted me so fast afterwards that I was like, it's so weird. Whitney Cummings just texted me, but
You are intimidating. I am going to say that. There's something very intimidating about you. It's because you're showing your midriff at all times.
It doesn't matter. All different shapes of muffins. It doesn't
I'm
matter what
afraid I'm
genre.
going to get
of-
tetanus from your hoops.
Well, you're confident. That's one thing, but
It's Asperger's, honestly.
there's a fear that you could be mean. So that's what people are scared of. That you're confident, but you might be mean. It's like, ooh, I got to tread lightly.
I
He's a
always think the
beast.
funniest thing is like
You also
the
dress.
truth.
You wear military garb. You dress like a
I
Navy
do
SEAL.
look like anti-Semitic. I'm going to be honest
What
with
is
these
up with
boots.
those boots?
You know, I just was
Those
like,
are
should
a
I wear
choice?
sneakers or boots?
Annie's dad didn't
you
love
bought
her.
those.
No, my dad loved me a lot. He just
Too
was
much.
Very mean. No, not that much. No,
Way too
that was a
much.
teacher. Whatever.
Now you're just bragging.
I don't want to brag, but no, but so I did. It was when Jason Reitman was filming the roast battle for
Right.
Sundance, and it was me against Mike Lawrence, who's an old friend of mine. We did mics together and stuff, and you and Dane Cook were the judge. And I remember coming out and being so excited that Dane was there because I had a joke written. But I went. Dane, I'm such a big fan. I'm so glad you're here. But I'm confused. If you're here, who's at the Improv getting bumped by Chris D'Elia? And he just went away. I didn't expect he was going to go. He went like, that was funny. And then he liked me afterwards. And I was scared because I was like, is he going to like tell me all my jokes suck now? But he was cool.
But then he said something else where he said to someone, you're really good. You're going to be very successful. And I was like, yeah, but just don't take financial advice from Dane Cook. I was like, don't hire his business manager.
His story that he told in your mom's house of how his brother stole his money is terrifying.
Crazy.
Oh my God.
Terrifying.
Crazy.
Well, you said to me, I was like, when I'm rich, I'm going to get a chef. And you were like, keep your circle small, Ann. You're like, you don't want a fucking chef.
You don't even want an assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you have an assistant, that means you do too much shit. Do
Yeah.
less
That's
shit.
a good point. And by the time you tell someone to do something, you could have just done it yourself.
Yeah.
Look, you can get lucky. I have friends that have had assistants that wind up being their best friends, and it's great. They're just a cool person that they met that
I
needed
kinda
a
have
job.
that, yeah.
But I also have friends that got sued by their assistant, and David Spade got tasered and
he
tied
got
up.
Almost murdered.
Almost murdered by his assistant. His
I'm
assistant was trying to
sorry.
kill
See,
him.
David
Not
Spade.
funny,
David
but-
Spade has on his bedroom door a latch, like a medieval wooden latch.
And the fucked up part is it's from the outside. So when you go in, you can't leave. And
Imagine being a girl going into hook up with David Spade. He's like,
like, hey, can I get you something to drink?
it's like, damn.
That's so crazy. Like the scar, and he's a small man. He's a
Yeah.
tiny little guy. So the fear of that must have been terrifying.
Yeah, and I think the assistant, he told a story. He had overdosed on Tylenol PM or something, and if you take enough of that, your body goes into shock and you produce crazy adrenaline and has
Oh
the
my
opposite
God.
of a soporific effect or something.
Really?
So the guy was like hopped up and nuts, and I think David had a gun under his bed, and the guy took the gun out. I mean, it's a wild. If you be careful, who you give the keys to your house to.
oh, I was gonna say, be careful if you try to rob David Spade. He's got a gun under his bed. So make sure.
Or if you do, just come in slow and sneak under the bed
It is.
first.
It is a water gun for his comedy bits, but also it's any assistant that wants to be a celebrity assistant wants what you have,
Maybe.
right?
Or maybe they just think it's a good job.
Yeah.
It's generalizations are our business, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
They're fun, but you can have a nice assistant. You can have a nice secretary. You can have good people you work with. Like there's a lot of people that are comedy teams, and it works out great. Like look
Yeah.
at Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Those fucking guys have
Geniuses.
been
Yeah.
banging it out and making awesome shit forever. It
What if
can
you're like
work.
they've been banging? Like they're not out. They're not out.
But so how do we meet him?
banging it out. I meant.
No.
But it's like there's generalizations. We always like to talk about comedy marriages. They don't work out, but sometimes they work out.
Yeah, Rich Voss and Bonnie McFarlane.
Rich Voss, Bonnie McFarlane.
Oh my God, I love them
Tom
so
and
much.
Christina.
Natasha and Moshe.
Yeah.
They work. Yeah, Tom and Christina. There's a bunch
I'm
of them.
excited to see these kids and what happens to these kids.
Yeah, they'll be funny. They'll be funny kids.
Yeah, they're going to be hilarious.
Just-
Well,
they have to be.
Rich and Bonnie's daughter I think she turned 13, Raina. She is the fucking funny. Sometimes she does their show with them. I've known her since she was a kid. You think I'm scary. I'm like, your daughter's like a cunt in the good way. Like she's so funny. She's so cutting. But I see her and I'm like, you got to be on your toes because she's the funniest, sharpest. She's funnier than both of them.
Can you imagine growing up in that house?
Oh my God.
Rich Voss has one of my favorite jokes that we're probably not allowed to tell anymore. He had this joke. It's just like fucking killed me. He'd go, I don't mind fucking a girl on her period. I just pretend like I'm killing her.
Jesus
I
Christ.
know. It's like one of my favorite jokes.
Oh my God, that's a perfect example. Like the reason why we're laughing is because he doesn't really mean that.
Yes.
That's the problem with writing something like that down in quotes. You would go, these fucking assholes are laughing at this.
Yes.
Only because it's not real.
But also, the same people that are complaining about it are the people that watch like true crime shit and
That's
like
right,
are
that's
literally masturbating
They-
and falling asleep to a beautiful tale of murder.
Yeah, see, they watch CSI, they watch
It's
SVU,
like
all these
fucking-
things.
Isn't it weird how many of those shows there are?
Tons. People love it.
And the ones, the really dumb ones, like the CSI ones that are so clunky, like at the end, no disrespect, but you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they kind of have to be. They're wrapping up a show in an hour.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the end of it, it's always like, and they catch the bad guy.
Yeah.
Every time you're like, "Whew, now I can sleep.
Yeah.
Isn't that what was in that book, Irresistible, that you were just posting about? Our brains are wired to need completion. Like we have to
right.
get to the end of something. Even if you're watching a shitty movie, if someone turns it off, you're like, I have to fucking know how it ends. Even though
Yeah.
it sucks.
We're
That's
not
why, like,
edging with this movie.
No
I'm gonna watch
Country
them.
for Old Men was disappointing for a lot of people
Yeah.
because the end, you're like, hey, that guy is okay. He gets away.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That's a wild movie.
That's a wild movie.
I rewatched a lot of classic movies over the last 6 months because we haven't been able to do anything. And I rewatched that shit. That shit is insane.
Yeah.
That hair, the weirdest part, the haircut is the craziest part
His
of that
haircut's
movie.
amazing.
Yeah, it's he is disturbing looking.
That dude is so good.
Wait,
Look
is
at
that
the
what I
eyes.
look like right now? Wait a second. Wait
He
a
has your
second.
eye bags, Whitney.
That's me in 10 years when I go full Joan
What
Rivers.
is, what is his name again?
Javier Bardem.
When I go full Joan Rivers.
I like how you
I remember
Javier.
one time I was at the Brea Improv, high as fuck, like way too high, and I was sitting there just breathing heavy. And Joan Rivers' show came on the television, and when you see someone with those fillers in their face and the ratio's all off,
Yeah.
because it's like, and then their face isn't moving, I was horrified.
Right.
I was sitting there just barbecued, watching the screen, going, "Oh my god, this is crazy."
Well, I have a theory about plastic surgery. If you're gonna like trim some off the nose, you have to put it on your chin or something. You have a certain amount of face meat, and it has to stay on your face.
No, you're right. There's
gotta
actually
put it
a
back
golden
somewhere.
ratio.
Right.
The Fibonacci sequence actually applies to your face. That's why when someone gets a nose job and you're like, your nose looks good, but it doesn't look like it's your nose. Like,
Yeah.
What's happening here?
Nature knows what it's doing. There's
Yeah.
a certain arrangement. It's like whack-a-mole. If you
Yeah.
mess one thing up, you're gonna have to move everything else. But I was reading something about body dysmorphia, about how we've gotten so dysmorphic about what we look like because we're always looking at ourselves on screens and in photos, which is the reverse of
right.
how other people
Right.
see us. And they say that if you were to see yourself out in the world, you wouldn't be able to recognize yourself. That's how dysmorphic we are.
That's ridiculous because there's videos of you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so stupid. Whoever said that's
Also,
an
I have a
idiot.
twin brother.
I would go, I'm right there. What the fuck are
That's
you
me.
talking about?
I'm
That's me.
famous.
I know what my tattoos look like. That's what my head
Yeah.
looks like.
But like we're just
Fuck
so
outta here.
dysmorphic
We have
about
Google
what we
alerts on ourselves, okay?
People say ridiculous shit sometimes, and it kind of sort of makes sense, but it doesn't. Like I remember reading once that the Native Americans, when they first saw like Columbus and the people in the boats coming,
They couldn't see them?
They couldn't see them because they didn't know what that was. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
They figured it out.
They
yeah.
could look at how do you like then explain UFOs?
Right.
How do people see UFOs? Explain
I
asteroids.
knew this would happen.
If you see
I
an
knew we were
asteroid.
coming to aliens.
Yes.
I had a feeling.
have
It didn't take as long as I thought it would, actually.
We had a bet. Whitney, you owe me $10,000.
But there's no way they didn't see the boats. That's a dumb thing. People are like, oh wow, they didn't see the
They
boats.
maybe didn't see
How the
boats.
fuck do you know what
the
they
word
saw?
boats. They saw things that look like this thing they're going to find out is called boats
But
coming towards them.
500 years ago. How
I-
the fuck do you know what they
Yeah.
saw?
I think the more fascinating thing about what you're saying is the fact that people are so willing to believe it, which
Yes.
is why we're in the situation we're in. People want to believe crazy shit. So when you
Right.
see fake news, you're like, yeah, that happened. Like you want to
Yeah.
believe something ridiculous.
But it's also people say things like that, like they couldn't see the boat, so that you pay attention to what they're writing. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy, look, he's saying crazy shit.
yeah.
And then you go and pay. Like, that's why people say crazy shit. There's a lot of people that are, look, when you.
A
when
lot
you
of our friends.
Yeah, for sure. But like online trolls,
Yeah.
right? Like, what
Yeah.
are they doing? They're saying crazy shit, so you pay attention. I mean, that's
and
really
they know,
what it
and
is.
it's addictive. They know you get that
Yes.
adrenaline hit from
I
the
just
clickbait.
thought they wanted me to know I'm a fat cunt. I didn't know that. I thought they were just like, she's got to know she's a fat cunt.
I'm a busted cunt.
I have to
Oh my
tell her.
God.
Has anything ever hurt your feelings in the comments?
If I'm on my period, I'm filled with rage. And then I go, oh shit. I go, it's the red week, guys. It's
You
the red
still
week.
get your period. That's good news.
The red
Oh
week.
my God. Whitney, you just made yourself elderly for no reason. We're the same age, bitch. You're just more successful than me. That's what I was like, Whitney, you know, we're the same age. You're just way more successful than me. Like,
I think of you as being like 20, and I think of me as being like 71.
Well, she had like a blackout segment of her life that like doesn't count.
yeah.
Right? It
I
counts
feel like-
towards you being funny, but it doesn't count towards like life
I'm
progress.
5 years younger than I am because
Yeah.
I just didn't have those years.
Yeah.
But there is footage, you know, luckily.
Was it drugs?
Just drinking.
Oh, got it.
Just with enough Jaeger, you can really.
Have I been with you drunk before? I bet
Never.
that's wild.
No, I quit drinking right before I started. Right after my first open mic.
I bet you're a
Maniac.
Tate Fletcher.
hot mess.
Oh, I
Maniac.
was fun. They called me Fun Girl Annie, which I just realized was an insult now. I was like, oh. I was like, that's right, I'm fun. And everyone's like, yeah, bitch, you're fun.
Did it destroy your life?
Yeah, I would definitely be dead now, I think, if I didn't stop drinking.
And what did you drink? Jaeger?
I loved Jaeger. I liked whiskey. I liked anything that was like kind of like I would be either be in a frat or like with a grandfather. Like it was like very.
Is it harder for clean comics when clean meaning not sober, when you're a rat?
I have no clue what it's like to be a clean comic.
Back to this conversation again? No. But when you go to a bar, like if you're at the Comedy Store and everyone's drinking.
For me, not 1 minute.
That's
not for
awesome.
1 second.
Yeah.
And it's funny, sometimes people will be like, is it weird I'm drinking? And I'm like, you think I would relapse with you?
I know.
Like, ew. By the way, if I relapse, I'm like going to throw a party. We're going to an island. It'll be fun.
I've never understood how people can drink so much on stage. When I see Stanhope up there with a fucking
Right.
thing of vodka, I wouldn't be able
Most
to
of the time,
function.
Stanhope drinks Bud Light, though.
Oh, nice.
So it's
He
like
drinks
water.
like
yeah.
light beer, and
Yeah.
he drinks it all day.
Yeah.
Like that's
He's like,
his
I
move.
just want to get fat. He's like, I'm not trying to get drunk. I'm trying to get obese. Is
Well,
that?
he likes to keep like a mild buzz all the time. And
I
that's-
never want a
it's
mild
like-
buzz.
It's not a bad way to go. Like Chappelle does that too, if you
Yeah.
notice. Chappelle will keep a mild buzz. And there's something about mild buzzes that really accentuate who gives a fuck comedy. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it's-
come on, I don't give a fuck. Like
Mild buzz though is like so unattractive.
I gotta-
I want to be. I was like, let's take like a smoke break from myself. I was like, let's black the like, bye, bitch. Like I had no interest in being like, just a little like loopy.
I never drank wine until the pandemic because
my
I was just
God.
fucking bored and like trying shit out. I was like, what's my personality on this and this? And I was like trying to find the best version of my personality.
And it turns out it's rosé seltzer.
It's wine coolers.
It's White Claw and roofies. So I was doing, it's definitely ketamine, by the way.
Whitney's been date raping herself, guys. She's been putting herself in a K-holes and then getting right in
I
that
do
hole.
K and masturbate.
Now, the ketamine is like prescribed though.
It's prescribed, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's prescribed. It's like a nasal spray.
You
that's
have it here?
It's in my purse somewhere, yeah.
What's so funny about it is it's a
wanna do
nasal
it?
spray, but when I was going to raves and doing it, we also nasally injected. I mean, they're literally just.
This is a pretty trace amount. It's not a lot, and I only do it like a couple times a week.
A couple times a week.
But
And
let's
what does
do
it
a-
do?
really
dude,
a good,
What does
very
it do
helpful
when you
drug.
do
Let's
it?
do a bunch of ketamine and stab ourselves like David Blaine.
That's got his cooties on it. It went through his arm. I don't even think we cleaned it.
Good.
Did it really go through his arm?
Oh, I pushed it through.
And
I
then he
pushed it
made you
through his
stop
arm.
for a second?
Yeah, I hit a nerve the first time, then I had to back out and do it again. I didn't want to do it.
Did the frog live?
Yeah, frog's fine.
He shit the frog out?
He threw it up in my hand.
Do you know that there's a book called Eat That Frog that's like about getting your work done in the morning? It's just funny. He literally ate the frog.
Oh, like eat it, just like get it over
Like
with.
get
just
the worst
done.
part done.
Huh. Andy and
good.
I have swallowed way weirder
I
things,
know,
to
it's
be
really
honest.
weird. We've
That's-
swallowed a lot, honestly.
Not even a sharp ice pick.
This is did it make a sound at all?
No, it just was like puncturing a steak.
And it wasn't, you picked the spot that
Well,
you
he
stabbed.
kind of pointed me towards his arm, like what area is a better place to go through, but it was bleeding. I mean,
Do you think it would taste like elk?
I don't think so. I think people taste like pigs.
Ooh.
That's
what they
a
say.
really
Changes
good,
everything.
Cannibals call people long pigs. That's literally like a nickname.
Did you notice that Blaine, whenever he would have you do something, he would first like doubt himself? It's almost like a power of suggestion thing where he'd be like, no, it might be fake. Test it out. It might be fake. Remember the frog? It might
Yeah.
not be a real frog.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
this might be weighted.
So you
Yeah.
can see it right there. That's where I'm going through his arm.
Whose hand is
Yeah.
that? That's his.
That's his hand. That's his hand. He's like pushing on the skin.
That is the
and I'm
darkest hand I've
puncturing-
ever seen in my life.
Well, he gets tanned. He's got a lot of money.
Is there something? Is there something psychological?
He's out
It's
there at
either
the
you're
beach.
very poor or you're
That's
very rich if you're
yeah,
tan.
It looks.
Your
looks right
face,
there.
Joe. Is there something psychological about him doing that? Like, touch it. Maybe it's fake. Make sure it's not fake.
Yeah, I'm sure it does that with cards, and I'm sure I don't know anything about magic, but I would imagine anything you could do to overload the brain. Like if you're
Distract.
Yeah, if you're sparring with someone or fighting, one of the things you're doing is you're trying to overload their brain. So you're moving, you do things, you feint, you fake like you're gonna punch, and then you kick them. What you're doing is you're fucking with their heads. You're giving them too many things to think about. He's kind of doing that too.
Yeah.
Like check the cards out, and he says things, and he kind of doubts himself, and asks you if you're sure. There's so many techniques involved with it, but he is a master.
Amazing.
Him doing that shit. He had
So
He did
cool.
a card trick with one guy holding one of his wrists and another guy holding another wrist. Like he couldn't do anything. His sleeves were rolled up, and he did a card trick for us.
So cool.
Someone, I know you're not supposed to say how magic happens, but I don't think that this counts as like, but there was this guy that I knew that did
You're afraid you're going to get in trouble at the
know.
Magic Castle? She's like, I'll never go to the Magic Castle again.
I'm afraid I'm going to get
Jimmy
canceled by
Schubert's going to be
magicians.
so fucking mad at me.
I know a magician's coming for me. But sometimes they carve holes into their hands. Like flaps of skin, and that's where they put the coins underneath. Like they actually, yeah, they carve like little divots in their hands, and that's how they hold the coins.
How the fuck can you carve a divot in your skin?
And then you let it heal.
Yes,
so there's
it's like scar
a...
tissue, and that's how they're able to hold the coins.
What?
Crazy shit. I don't
Come
know.
on, really?
Yeah, is there really no way to find out how magicians do their tricks?
Well, you'd have to become a magician.
You have to.
Yeah.
They let you in. You got to get in the club.
It's amazing.
Blaine was telling me that he has a friend that's a card guy that will literally be playing with his cards 13 hours every day. Every time he's on the phone with them, he hears. The
They
guy's
are
just
athletes
shuffling
in
and
a way.
moving. Yes, that's what I was saying to him. I was like, the way you move your hands, it's similar to martial arts because when someone's really good at a martial arts move, they have it just the pathway is just greased and slicked in their neurons, and when they do it, it just goes. And that was kind of him with his hands. I was watching him move the cards around. I was like, whoa, like someone who plays guitar really good. Like there's
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
about it, or piano.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Just-
Have you seen Kyle Dunnigan's joke about where he's like, I'm not good at magic, but I have good magician hands? And he like...
Have you seen Time Canceller?
I haven't
You
seen
ever seen this new thing they're doing? Oh my god! Where he goes back in time to cancel people from the
Oh,
past.
that's so good.
Yeah, he says a tweet. He says like a mildly racist tweet, like, "Is it just me or does Indian food smell funny?" And then he has to throw himself into a wood chipper. And so a team of incredibly diverse women scientists rebuild him, and they put him back together again, like the $6 million man out of the wood chipper. And then they turn him into a much more woke version of himself, who's a time canceller. So he's part machine, and he goes back in time and
my God,
cancels
that's
people.
so funny.
It's fucking hilarious. It's so funny.
Dude, I miss everyone.
I do
I
too.
know, it sucks,
I really,
dude.
it's weird to think that we saw each other every night.
I know.
Every night for 15 years.
And just talking shit, having fun, and
Yep.
then boom, it stops.
So weird.
It's like a family being broken up.
I don't
really
think it should have
is.
stopped. I really don't. I don't. You know, I think people should be able to make their own decisions.
Well, I think that there's ways
Especially
to do
now.
it. We could do the weird social distance things, you know, where it could either be outside or it could be, you know, people are far back and spread out.
It
and
makes
wearing
no
masks.
sense that people are allowed to go outside, have socially distanced meals, but as soon as someone stands up with a microphone and starts talking,
It is a spitty job, though. I was watching you when they changed the lights in the main room right before everything shut down
Yeah.
and the lights were dark. I was watching you from the side. I've never seen so much spit. I was like, it's like a fucking, it's like one of the sprinklers kids jump through. I was like,
droplet after
like,
droplet
like
after
we're
droplet.
all Gallagher, it turns out. And I was
some
like,
bits,
holy shit.
yeah.
And then I was thinking that, and then I went, "Oh my God!" When it got shut, I go, "We really do deserve. I mean, I think we might deserve this." Also,
We've
we're
been
spitting
spreading
into
COVID.
mics, and then I've like
Switching
made
them to
out with
each
Tim
other.
Dillon, pretty much. Like,
I've gotten the flu a couple of times from people's microphones. One time I did a gig with Tommy, and Tommy was sick as fuck. We were in San Francisco, and we all got the flu because we shared a microphone together.
Davidson.
No, Segura.
I started bringing a microphone with me on the road like a year ago because I kept getting fucking bronchitis from.
You get
know,
bronchitis
That's
from
good.
a mic?
Bring your own mic.
I
Yes,
kept,
that's a good
and
idea.
and I was like, my opener, everyone thought I was such an asshole and being a diva, but I was just like, dude, I can't get sick. I did like 40 cities before I shot a special, and it was so worth it.
I think that I do think there's a lot of things that are happening in this that could carry over. Like, I know you think of Master for Pussies or whatever, but I like that. It's
I don't
like a
think
fun
Master
new.
for pussies.
There was a Burr clip that went viral.
That was
okay?
me trying to talk him into talking shit.
It was the funniest. It was very funny.
I was like, come
when
on, you
you're
believe in
like,
that? I wear a bandana. I have it everywhere.
I want to get a cool one. I'm trying to think. Oh, wait. Can I show you the mask that I'm making?
Yes.
I was trying to do.
Jay Leno would not approve of these.
I was thinking about doing a joke. Remember when all the prisoners were released?
Is that you?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's me.
Annie!
I love
Isn't that
it.
fun? Do you think people
That's
will buy
great.
it?
Fuck yeah, they'll buy it. Where can they buy it?
Go to my
Listen,
website.
don't-
I'm going to launch them. I'm launching them this week.
You got to do it immediately, otherwise people are going to jump
I'm going
on
to
this
launch
before
it.
you.
I'm launching it today when I leave. I will.
Because the problem is when this goes up, these fucks they'll start putting it up before you.
Well, I'm launching it today. That's the Annie Lederman thing. If anyone does it, Joe Rogan's going to fucking sue you, okay? He's going to get another $100 million suing your ass
There's
for me.
so many people selling bootleg shit online right now.
It's crazy.
Isn't that funny, though?
They
Fake-
bootleg everything.
Fake Purell,
Everything.
all that shit.
Well, bootleg shirts. There's a lot of my shirts that are bootleg. A lot of like mugs and stuff that are bootleg. All these different things that have nothing to do with me with my face on it.
What do you
Guys,
do?
this is sponsored sponsored by the Joe Rogan podcast experience.
That's a Yeti tumbler.
Yeti tumbler.
Yes, it's legit. It's very legit.
Everything's Yeti involved with you. Every time I'm at the Comedy Store and we're talking, it somehow turns into you fighting bears. I swear to God, every conversation, we could be talking about fucking anything. And then it's like 3 minutes in, once you walk in, I'm like, and we're fighting bears again. Okay.
I have a real problem.
We got to get you a bear.
No, I don't want to have anything to do with bears. I'm scared of nature.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
That's why you
yeah.
kill it?
Well, no. I kill it to eat it.
Do you run with a taser? I run
No.
with a little taser now.
I carry a big knife. I have
I don't
this,
like
smart.
Please
this
don't run with a
a-
knife. I've seen
I
you
have
play
a taser.
basketball.
I have a little taser. It's like
Taser's not a bad idea,
I
but I
have
don't
it
know if
with-
I
that'll
carry
work on an animal.
nunchucks. I carry
this thing.
paperweights that fit on your knuckles.
You carry that little taser around
This
with
little
you?
thing with me. Yeah, I put it in my
Have
fanny
you ever
pack.
tased yourself to see
No,
what it feels like?
I want to
haven't.
do it.
Should we? We
Nope.
have got to get more
What
views
if
than
Annie
David
dies?
Blaine.
What if Annie dies?
That'd be.
What if it just turns out that that's her Achilles heel? Just falls over. I'm like, she had so much promise.
I've been having a
No.
good week,
For
so this is
someone
a good
that-
week to die.
For someone
a
that
fun
used to
week.
drink Jaeger, this is gonna be fucking nothing.
So that's your thing? So when like a mountain lion comes after you, just fucking knuckle punch him with that thing?
Just to protect her dogs from you.
wow.
It has to like
From me.
heat up.
They look like elk. They're big.
And then I have that little hammer in my car for
Wait a minute, it has to heat up.
Does it have to heat up? I know I'm
What?
dead.
Are you serious?
Hey, hold on, Bear. Can you just hold on? I
You
need to heat up my taser. Just stay
motherfucker.
there.
And we're
You stay
talking about
right
Bear
there.
Grill or whatever that guy's name is.
We're not talking about large, overweight gay men.
Maybe it's-
Don't.
Oh God!
No, you didn't.
Did you just touch that? Oh my God! You
That's
tased
not
yourself.
real.
I thought that it wasn't working. It wasn't that bad. It's really not that bad. It's
Well,
not that
then
bad.
I've
that's not
done,
gonna
like,
keep a
dog
mountain lion
collars.
off
But I.
you. Jesus
The
Christ.
bear is going to also agree that it's not that bad. But it's got. I touched one little one, and it's a lot of them. And you just press
Most
that.
likely, if a mountain lion, even if you have a knife, if a mountain lion gets you, you're fucked. They're just too strong.
Yeah, and they'll
But
go
you
straight
want,
for your
you
face.
want a fighting chance. You want to just be able to sink something into their neck.
I watch The Covenant every day. I go.
The Covenant?
Is that what it was called? The Revenant.
I was like, what?
I gotta go. Tase me quick. I need to come back from this.
You know, it's kind of based on a real story.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's a little fucked up. I mean, they switched a lot of shit around and changed some things, but it's kind of based on a real story.
Yeah.
That scene was so brutal.
Ooh.
They were
Oh
all
my
brutal.
God.
They were all brutal. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the only movie I had to like take breaks from while I was watching it.
Yeah.
Like when his kid was dying and he couldn't get up and
Yeah.
save his kid, that just like destroyed me.
Yeah.
You are so nice.
And then-
It's so funny how nice you. When Joey fell, I always tell this story. Joey fell and hurt his knee at the Comedy Store one night.
What happened?
And Whitney was with him. He ended up being all right, but he just tripped or whatever. We're not going to sue you, Comedy Store.
I mean,
But he was like sitting on a rolling chair, and Whitney was like, and I rushed over and I went, Whitney, are you okay?
I was destroyed. No, Joey walked into the kitchen. You know when you walk
Oh,
into
it's
the
greasy.
It's just slippy.
It's always
Yeah,
greasy.
something from the
Slippery.
air fryer or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
what it is. It's so oily right there. And
Well,
Joey,
how many
walked-
fucking orders of fries come flying through that? I mean, that's all anybody buys is fries and chicken wings. It's all that oil.
It's like a thick smegma on the ground. You can
Greasy.
feel it.
You always catch me eating the worst food. I'm always like shoving my face, and then Rogan walks in, and I'm like, I'm
Just
eating a
like deep
cookie,
throating
yeah.
those like pretzels.
The nuts. I'm just everything I'm eating.
Nuts are good.
Joey's in front of me and we're going through the side, right? Joey's in front of me. I just see him go down and my brain just went, Joey had a heart attack. Joey had a fucking heart attack. He goes down. His leg
So
went
scary.
behind him. It was some,
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
some crazy shit where he did like a split and we couldn't figure out what even happened. And he tore, didn't he?
He tore something in his knee or his ankle. I
Something
can't-
like that.
yeah.
Not his ACL, but something. It was bad.
Yeah,
And
he
he
hurt
couldn't
himself.
walk. He couldn't get up. And if you are having a stroke or a heart attack, you don't know you're having it. So
Right.
he kept saying like, I fell on my knee, and I was just so worried that he had
Remember
a stroke.
Jay Leno was telling us that story about Rodney?
That was
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
So he's hosting the Tonight Show. Rodney does a set, and he's like, something's off. He's like, call the paramedics. I think
Yeah, his
Rodney's having
rhythm
a
and his
stroke.
timing was off.
And he was joking around, kind of, but he also knew that something really was wrong. So they call the paramedics. They check Rodney. He did have a fucking stroke. So he had a stroke while he was out there doing stand-up, which is crazy.
It's insane.
Didn't someone die on stage doing stand-up?
Two
He, like, had a
people,
heart attack?
yeah, two people have. There was a British guy, I don't know his name, who had a heart attack on stage. And then there was years ago, Jim Norton had posted a clip of it. There's a clip of it. It was a live kind of variety show. And there was this guy, I can't remember his name. I wish I remembered it. But he was doing a bit in front of a curtain and live television. And he passes out and falls out, and they're all laughing, thinking it's a part of the bit, and then you see them drag him out. But it's kind of a good way to
Whoa.
go.
This guy? Oh, Jesus. Where was this?
That right there? Oh my God.
Oh.
Oh, that's how he really died?
Was it a heart attack?
Yeah, I think he died of a heart attack.
Isn't that fucked up? Your
Don't
heart.
grab your heart while we do this. You
No.
call
That's
me
my
and grab
titty.
your heart.
That's my
You're
titty.
kidding.
My heart's over here.
Dude, this is what I always think. I was telling Whitney about this when you were like flexing your pecs or something in the kitchen of the Comedy Store, and I was like, I want to try, and you're like, ew, put your tits away. It was like so funny. Like,
It's
Fuck
so
you.
it is so funny because like so many people
like ew.
so many people want to like go female comics, male comics. Like I feel like when we're together, we're so weirdly genderless. Like we're like brother and sister.
Yeah.
We were talking about that the other night. It's a real meritocracy. If you're funny, you're one of the clan, and that's really all
That's
it
it.
is.
Right.
And I get that it's upsetting for people on the outside. I
Yes,
get it,
you're not in
because
the club. That sucks.
a friend of mine who is like a philosopher, a very smart guy, tried to explain it to me, and he just completely independent of this. He's like, you guys have to understand that your little, and he's not a comic at all. He's like, this little group of people is like a walled garden. So there's a lot of people on the outside of it that see you guys having so much fun and doing all these things together and having each other on each other's podcasts. And there's just an automatic feeling in human nature to feel like you're alienated from that group. So that group somehow or another disrespects you. That group is negative or bad or mean or this or that. And then it compounds.
Right.
You know, and then it becomes find whatever the group is, whatever your
Right.
identity politics
Right.
is. If it's
Right.
a right-wing thing or a girl thing or a gay thing or a
Right.
boy thing,
Sports,
yeah, whatever
a team
it is,
thing.
they find a thing that makes you different from them and you negative and them positive, and you're a suppressor or you're a bad person.
Well, it's outward. It's the outward locus of control, right? So it's like I'm saying that my life is where I don't want to be because you made me feel this way, or
Yes.
you did this.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not like, because if you think about it, anyone complaining about their place in comedy, it's like that's time to write jokes. Like
Yeah,
the time
yeah,
that you're
yeah.
focusing on why you don't have a thing has none of it. You have no clue what anyone's story is. You don't know if it was easy or hard for them. You have no, but it is a hard job. It's not a
But not
comfortable
only
job.
that, some of the people complaining have had specials.
Yep.
So you've had a chance.
Yeah.
You got on Comedy Central. You got
Yeah.
on Netflix. You got somewhere,
Yeah.
and people didn't respond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not because the Comedy Store is filled with assholes.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not what that is.
It is-
It's a fucking hard thing.
Right.
Comedy's a hard thing.
It's hard, and honestly, the harder the hallways are, the easier it is on stage. So
Yeah.
I was always so grateful when people.
It's
Well,
fun,
It's
too.
fun. You
It's
go
also
on
fun.
stage laughing
Yeah.
at some shit someone just made
You
fun
try
of
to
you
make
about.
you try to like
You're
one up each
Jesus.
other. It's
Yeah.
like that's why
Yes.
Attell is the most fun person to hang out with because he's so like it's just
It never
like
ends.
yeah, you're just
He just shows up with a fucking plastic bag of his
his
shit.
purse, yeah. His 7-Eleven purse.
He's got a small garbage bag he brings with him.
Like, dude,
There's a wire hanging out.
One of the greatest comics who ever lived. That's what I love about comics. Is like no matter
Yeah.
how great, if you're a real fucking Comedy Store comic, you're still just like who you are forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
If you
Yeah.
stay with your tribe.
Yeah. We're lucky as fuck, you know. We're
really
really,
are.
really lucky, and it's weird now. You know, like that night when we were all hanging out doing the Comedy Store documentary, it was so much fun, but it also was bittersweet because I left when I was driving home. I was real emotional.
Joe, do you remember I kept gripping you and going, "Don't go"? I was like, "No."
You were in a
I'd be in a
K-hole.
conversation over here. I wasn't a K-hole. I was overdosed in a fucking K-hole.
There's a lot
Whitney's
of bad,
like, "It's mental." I'm like, "I'm a cloud, bitch. My body is a cloud. That's not mental."
There's going to be an expose on Whitney Cummings drugging female
I'm like,
comics. I'm actually the pervious person in comedy.
Listen, that was the only time in this whole COVID period that I thought maybe I shouldn't go. It was the
Yeah.
only time I was hanging out with you guys. It was
was
like,
fun.
but I'm still going. But,
Damn it.
but I was thinking, like, this is so rare. Like,
Yeah.
how many grown adults, like, once you get to a certain age, like in your 30s, you're with your friends, like, you don't have that kind of a life
Yeah.
where you can go and be with your peers.
It's just so
And the
the
store is so
funhouse.
unusual because, like, people that go on the road, okay, if you go on the road all the time, it's just you and the people you go on the road with.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to converge at a home base, and that's what the store is. That's what's so different because, like, you'll be one place, you'll be someplace,
Yeah.
and I'll be, and then we see each other on
Right.
Tuesday, like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Like no
home
time had
base.
passed.
Yes.
And also there's
I'm there, guys, by the way. I'm there the whole time.
And there's
I'm
something
working
so-
in the kitchen serving those chicken wings.
there's something so crazy about this moment because it's also like I've never felt more loved and accepted
Mm-hmm.
than I had in the Comedy Store. I never felt like myself. I never felt accepted. I always felt like I was walking on eggshells. I didn't know who I was. You go
It's
to the
so weird you feel that comfortable. We hate you. We don't like you, Whitney.
Oh my God, it's Caddy Daddy.
Whitney.
It's so true. I didn't think you liked me for the longest time.
Oh, we should finish that.
Oh yeah,
fucking
we should
story.
finish that story.
Oh, yeah.
So I do the roast battle. Whitney's one of the judges. And Whitney was like already pissed about something.
Well, because
something.
everyone was attacking my shiny ass face and saying that I had plastic surgery
But
and
do you
all
have a
this
new
shit.
product coming out?
But I do. I am launching a line of face oils.
Isn't that so funny? Is that the perfect thing?
It's called My Shiny Face.
My shiny ass fucking face. It's KY jelly.
But yeah, you can also fuck. Yeah.
You can fuck my nose hole.
So Whitney was like, she was like giving her assessment of my set or whatever, and she goes, I just feel like you need to smile more, and I was like, smile more. I was like, what is this? The streets? Like I was like, and I was like in a hyper like fight mode, and I was like, smile more. I was just like,
Whoa, Streets of Albuquerque came out.
Streets of fucking
Jesus
Santa Fe.
Christ.
No, Philly. Suburbs of Philly first. But but Whitney, you texted me like the next day. You're like, hey, it's Whitney Cummings. I'm sorry if I offended you or whatever. I was like at the mall. I was like, Whitney. I was like, can I take a break? I was working at Hot Topic, and I was like, a famous person's texting me. No, but you texted me and it was like so sweet.
I was like,
so
please
nice.
don't cancel me. Please don't talk to a reporter.
No, but it was very nice. And then I just texted you back and I was like, yeah, I just whatever. Oh, no, and I went when you were judging. I went, Whitney, I was molested. I don't smile. And you're like, we were all molested.
And then I was worried that I was like silencing her because she was like, sorry, Whitney, I'm molested. And I was
Whitney,
like,
the
"Who wasn't
texts from
molested?
you
Get
are
the fuck
so
outta
funny.
here."
This is what I love about you. One time we were talking in the back we were in the green room and in the main room, and you go, we were talking about rape or something, and you go, I'm sorry, I'm not listening to anything you're saying. I'm just thinking about whether my face is shiny. I'm like, it is. You know the answer, bitch. And then you text me the next day or you called me and you're like, I'm so sorry. Were you talking about being raped? And I started talking about my face. Like you come to a complete circle. You're always working whatever step that is.
Whatever step that is.
Whatever fucking step that is, you're always working it. So no problems there. But I was like looking at the thing you had texted me and I said something. I accidentally sent a voice memo to you talking shit on another female comedian, like trashing a female comedian. And it sent the voice, like my finger hit, and I was so embarrassed because
You
just
sent
was
it to me.
talking shit on another. But you wouldn't have thought it was about you. I said her name and everything, but it was just like so crazy that I was then voice memoing you, being like this fucking bitch. And then
Voice memos are odd because it's like I don't have voicemail. Like if you call me voicemail, it just goes to fuck you. It just like goes to the ether.
do you have voice
But
female?
voice memos.
It's a callback to the other night. It's a callback to the other night.
Tweet it.
Anyway, but those voice memos that people send, they're odd because you have to listen. It's
Right.
like if you send me a text, I can go 8:30. Got it.
Well,
See you at
Spade
8:30.
always does the voice memos. I think it's because he
memos.
doesn't want to put his readers on.
Yeah, well, it's also when you send someone a voice memo and then you see that they kept it, you're like, why the fuck did you keep that?
Oh, you can tell if someone
Yes,
keeps it.
it says kept or saved.
That
I'm
was
like,
the cutest. You just went, yes, that was cute.
I'm sexy.
Listen,
I
experiment
think
with
it's
that.
kind of Mission Impossible that they disappear. I like that they go away.
It's fun.
Da-da-ba-ba-doo.
I think it's more Bond,
I
trauma
will
Bond.
say though,
trauma
when you go,
bond.
I feel like our text chains, like comedians' text chains, if they ever get out, we're all gonna get canceled. But
There's
would be
one
really
time I
good
was
coffee
like, we should all
tables,
delete
books.
these. There was one where we got so ridiculous.
But you've
I'm like, we
also
should
got
delete
too
these.
famous. I'm like, you guys, we can't text Joe certain shit. I feel
No,
like
I think he's gotten overly famous to the point where we can again.
Oh,
He's come back around. Like,
he's uncancelable.
he's gone past it, and now it's like, yes.
Because there are times where I'll like want to send something. I'm like, I don't know, Joe's on this chain. Like, I feel like he's just too famous for this. I
You
feel
should
like
see the shit Segura sends me. Jesus
Okay, good.
Christ.
So he'll get-
I played it yesterday for Nikki Glazer. It's this girl fisting herself, but in the most preposterous way where you're like, what?
Well, is there a way that's not preposterous?
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is a different thing.
is fisting real?
Oh, I'll show you.
You can put your entire.
But you know what it is? It's this.
That's
I
right.
realize
That's
I
right.
don't-
It's putting all your fingers together. It's not
Listen
like
to me.
It's
You
not a
go
punch.
in.
Listen.
Jamie, you've been fisted. Tell us.
Here you go.
Just gonna get reactions for this video.
Wait, hold on.
Your face. Hold on.
Oh my God, it's me. Oh no.
This girl
Oh,
just
no.
stole your act, Annie.
Just saw my fisting act.
Preposterous is the right word, right?
Well, it's gotta hurt. Why are you punching
It
yourself?
does
She's like
kinda
a
look like
bruised
Christina.
cervix.
I don't think it is, but
A bruised ass cervix.
anything that's fucked up like that, Tom Segura will send it to me.
It looks like the opposite of having a baby.
I know. You guys send me the most fucked up shit, and I'm like, I'm so going to jail for this.
But you're not. I think that's legal. I'm pretty sure that's legal.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. You don't actually. We have to be very clear. You don't actually get things that could send you to jail.
But here's
We're
the thing.
kidding.
Florida has some wacky laws with that stuff. That's where they prosecuted certain like pornographers because they decided that it was, that's where they prosecuted the 2 Live crew. Like it's
Right.
like Broward County, Florida. Like
Right.
they go after people. What is that? There was one guy. It was a really famous case, and it really opened up a lot of people's eyes in terms of pornography. There was this guy who was like known to be like ultra disgusting. Like the stuff that he did was like super abusive, and like he would open up girls' assholes like with a speculum and then piss inside of them, and like crazy.
It kind of sounds like it would feel
ridiculous.
good. If I'm
Well, I was
being
gonna
real,
say,
it's like
which
warm.
is wrong.
Depends on how much beer he had.
wrong.
Max Hardcore. Yeah, so that guy. So he was found guilty on 20 counts of obscenity by a Tampa, Florida jury, and so they decide what's obscene and what's not obscene. It's like they can make a distinction between regular pornography and what they decide is obscenity and violates the law. So they put him in fucking jail.
Jesus, I'm like, just.
So I don't know if there was. You see, that's the thing. It's like if you're doing that kind of shit, like, are you making people sign releases? Do they know that you're going to do that kind
Are
of
they
shit?
going to arrest
Right,
the girl
right.
that's punching her fist into her pussy too? Which, by the way, I feel like she could get out of jail. She could slide through. She could like punch and then slide through the.
She would kill it in jail.
She'd be-
Very flexible.
She'd be fine.
But you have to think like if you. But then the other perspective is okay. What if this is your 18-year-old daughter who gets off
Yeah.
of a Greyhound bus and meets this guy,
Yeah.
Right.
and she has no idea what she's about to do, and she thinks she's going to do just like a sex movie,
Right.
and this guy's pissing in her eyeballs and punching her in the face. Like there was all kinds of. Well, I don't know if he punched her, but you know.
Is that
I
what the
mean.
P tapes are going to be?
Do you think the P tapes are real?
Who cares?
Have you ever had a guy try to pee on you?
No, but I had like one guy that I was like, it was like the guy that we were just gonna like do the things that we'd never done, and we just ended up not liking each other, so we didn't bang again. But I was like, I would let you pee on me.
Do the things you've never done. What, like kiss on the mouth?
Yeah, look, make eye contact. He said I love you into my face.
Like tell the truth.
Oh my
Program
god.
each other's numbers into our phones.
Oh my god.
I had a guy pee on me once. He was like really wanted to pee on me, and I was like fine, and I started dying laughing.
Yeah, of
Were
course.
you guys in the bathroom or in the bed?
It was in the shower.
Okay.
It was in
Oh,
the-
I've been
in the
peed on in the
shower's
shower. You
funny.
pee
No,
on
but-
people. Yeah, of course.
That's funny.
Well,
though.
but he was trying to like get on my face. It was like supposed to be sexual. It was like supposed to be sexual,
What?
and I.
But then the sheen from your face
And
just
I-
slicked it off.
he was like
ricocheted back on him.
He was blinded by the mirror that is my forehead.
Like, you know how when water gets on Vaseline, it just beads up?
I damaged his retina
Oh
from
my
my
God.
lubed up face.
Oh my
and
God.
as soon as it started, I could not stop laughing, and I
That's
ruined the
so
moment.
ridiculous. Ruin the moment. You made the moment. That's the only thing good about that moment was you laughing at him.
like,
There's no ruining that. Like, he's pissing in your face.
It's so funny.
Just the fact that he wants to do it. Like the best way out is you making fun of him.
And I can't tell if guys are doing it because they've seen it in porn or they're actually into it. I don't.
It's got to be like a pheromone thing or something. So why do they want to pee
Nah.
on us? Don't they want us to pee on
Coming
them?
on the face, guys really want to. I think it's like a humiliation thing. They want to degrade you.
I think they want you to like it.
Interesting.
They want you to want them to do like you're so over the top crazy sexual that you like think that's why it exists in porn.
Yeah.
The humiliation thing maybe sometimes maybe sometimes but I think not always.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just
Yeah.
that.
I
I think
don't
it's like a wow.
hate
Yeah.
it. I don't hate it, but then like once it happens, you're like, this is like. when
Here's
you're
my
like-
thing: if you're gonna come on my face, you better not miss. You
Yeah.
better
Don't get
stick
my
the
hair. Do
landing.
not make me
Yeah.
wash my hair
No,
again.
you better not embarrass yourself. I don't want to have to bob and weave to catch
have
you.
to
Like
catch it.
you better have
Like a
good
dog with a treat.
aim.
I'm Marshall all of a sudden.
It's just
Right.
weird when it's like not enough and it's disappointing, and I have to pretend like it's more
Wait,
than it
people
is.
Oh,
definitely,
that's
dudes
right.
definitely jizz and have their dogs catch it. That's now
Ew,
that's
really?
That is gross.
I just thought it, and I
Somebody.
know it's got to be
for sure. Somebody's done that.
It's got to be. a
Isn't that
thing.
funny that like the amount of load is important?
Well, I used to, the same person that told me you can't recognize yourself on the street.
It's David Blaine, by the way. It was a magic trick.
No, but I used to hear these women. There was like a show on VH1, these like rock stars' wives who would always make their husbands who were like touring on the road come outside of them when they first came home to make sure they weren't cheating because they thought
They wanted to see how much cum there was?
cum they had. But that's not how
Oh.
it works. Is that science?
Hilarious.
I like that.
That's not
That is
science.
I always
so
think you should
hilarious.
leave if you want to see how much your husband jerks off. You should always leave the Build-A-Tan lotion, like put it in the lotion
Yeah.
bottle, and you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
see
yeah.
like how dark it is.
Those are rookies. Their
Who uses
oils.
lotion?
You don't need. If you really need that, then
Well,
you
you
really
have like
shouldn't be
stem
jerking
cells
off.
and shit. I'm sure you have some sort of.
Yeah, but I mean, there's jerking off when it's a compulsion and you need lubes and you need to stick a
Yeah.
vibrator up your ass, and there's jerking off because you're actually horny.
I didn't know about
There's
this vibrator up the ass thing.
Well, you don't go
I have a
online.
taser. I could use the taser.
You taser my pussy.
Right when you're about to go, just you imagine if that, because they do that to mules actually.
What?
Yeah, when they want to extract sperm from them, they actually stick a cattle prod up their asshole and they just shoot.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I know that because of
That's
Fear
someone's
Factor.
job. That's someone's job.
No, because of Fear Factor, we made people drink donkey cum.
Did you ever drink the bad stuff? Did you ever taste it?
I didn't drink that, but I ate a bunch of things. I ate a cockroach, a Madagascar giant hissing cockroach. I ate tomato.
And it popped in your mouth?
Oh, destroyed. It just was all chewy.
Did it taste good at all?
No, but it didn't taste bad. It's just
Was it alive?
It's a mind fuck. Yeah, it's a mind fuck.
Dude.
It's not. It doesn't taste bad. It's almost like tasteless.
The
Yeah.
legs.
No
dude.
big
The
deal.
legs are what get me.
Yeah, but it's basically a
be the best
lobster.
part.
Like a lobster is a bug.
Oh yeah.
It's not much different.
Right.
It really isn't. It's all just in your head.
It's psychological
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we think of cockroaches as
I
just
cooked a
being-
lobster the other day and I felt so bad. I was like holding it. I was trying to take a picture and I dropped it. And then when I picked it up, it was foaming and like shitting and
Jesus.
pissing. I like murdered it before
This is
I
how
murdered
Fear
it.
Factor got canceled. They had to drink either they had to play horseshoes, and either they drank a giant glass of donkey cum or a giant glass of donkey piss. It's interesting. Like all the men wanted to drink the donkey piss, the girls wanted to drink the cum.
Yeah, we're
they
used
actually
to
thought
that.
it was
Yeah, we've
easier.
already.
That's not a
we
big
know
deal.
it goes right down.
Yeah.
I know, but I thought it was stunning.
Protein.
Like these girls were drinking giant beer steins
Oh my
of
God.
cum.
I'm gonna puke.
The belly button rings are so funny.
And I had to talk them into it. So I'm talking them through this while they're doing it. This is where, and this is what got the show canceled. This was
Ew,
the
and they're
end.
twins,
Look at these
too.
two
It's
guys.
so
These
fetishy.
two
But
twins.
were the ratings bananas?
No, they never made it onto air because TMZ got a hold of this, and TMZ posted like someone from the. This is the only time. There's 2 times where I told them don't do it. The people that were running the show. One time was they were bull riding. And they were like, "Don't worry, it's stunt bulls." And I go, "That bull does not know it's a stunt bull. That's a fucking bull, man."
That's a bull.
I saw the animal like that these people got on, and one of them was a girl who was she was like 95 pounds, and that fucking bull launched her through the air like she didn't exist,
Nothing.
like a pillow. And
That sucks that I'm mad at her for being 95 pounds. I'm glad she got hurt.
the heel of the bull as he's kicking the hoof barely missed her head.
Jesus.
Like, barely, like this, like.
Wow.
Just like within a foot of her head. Like if it kicked her in the head, who the fuck knows what would have happened? So this is one where I told these people, I'm like, do not fucking do this.
No, it's crazy.
Is this the girl? Look at that. See that thing? See how close that
happened
came to
to
her
her?
head? She was really hurt.
Did she hurt
Did
her
she
back?
fuck up her back? That
Well,
looks bad.
she didn't land well. She landed really badly.
They
Whoa,
kicked her?
it
Yeah,
did
it
hit
kicked
her.
her.
I mean,
But the hoof missed her. It's the back of the ham is what slapped into her.
Yep.
Luckily, I don't think that hurt her nearly as bad as the hoof would have hurt her.
I cracked my L4 falling off a horse just like that.
That was honestly
I hurt
like
myself on a horse like
rolling
that.
the dice. She was tough as fuck. She got up and she was okay.
She looks thin.
Yeah, she's a tiny girl.
She needs to eat a sandwich.
But
I bet you she's
tough,
fat now.
tough to just.
yeah.
Doesn't last
dare
forever,
you.
bitch.
How dare
Just
you?
kidding. She's very pretty. I hope she's very svelte.
Dude, Fear Factor was like the beginning
So
of
fun.
the internet. It was like, you know what I mean? Like it was the first time, like it was like TV never could come back from it. Like nothing
Well,
could compete with it after that except the internet. It was
that
like,
was as far as they could take it.
Yeah.
And
What
they took
channel
it
was
too
it?
far. That was NBC.
NBC.
That was as far as they could take it. Donkey Cum. I remember walking into the office going, "What are you talking about?" And they're going, "This is what they're going to do. They're going to play horseshoes." I go, "Is there a way that they can get out of drinking it totally? If like they get if they land, what is it? Horseshoe when you get a shoe? What is it when
I
you
don't
hit
know.
the
A point?
thing?
I don't know.
What is it when you hit the thing and it
on a
sticks?
horseshoe?
Any idea?
That was a goal.
I'm
None
like,
of
is it
us know.
possible if they ring around the horseshoe? If that one,
It's
if
definitely
it's
not
perfect,
called Ring Around the Horseshoe. It's 100%.
Is it possible that they could drink nothing? And they said no.
Yeah.
Then
Wow.
you have to only drink like 8 ounces. I'm like, this is crazy.
It is. It's a bestiality rape situation where you're forcing them to swallow the sexual
this was signed
juices.
off.
It's also a wild amount of cum.
A wild amount.
Well, isn't it funny that people keep getting canceled for like doing blackface and shit, but the network signed off on it? You're
They
like,
signed
why?
off on it.
Why
They
is it the
signed off.
person's fault. It's like the network should
it's
be
on
the ones.
SNL. It's like, you know how many people have to sign off on that
Yeah.
in order to make it happen? Like 200 people said sure.
And if you're around a bunch of crazy fucks like the comics at the store, and then one person says, "I think you can do it," you're like, "We can do it."
Yeah.
Like, we are not the fucking people to be talking to about that. But even then, I was telling them not to do it. I was like, "Don't do this."
Yeah.
I'm like, listen to me. When I'm the voice of reason, we're fucked.
Yeah, you're
I'm like,
totally
this show's
fucked.
fucked. You can't have me telling you you're going too far. And they're like, I think you're wrong. I think this is fine. I go, it's come.
Did they go to you? This is all mental. It's all mental.
No, they didn't. They were laughing.
Did
They
any
thought
of
it
them
was
puke?
hilarious. Oh, yeah. Afterwards. I saw so many people puke. Like a stunning amount of people puke.
Is it true that there's contagious puking where if you see one person puke, you automatically puke?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I used to get it.
Really?
Fear Factor cured me of it.
Whoa.
Yeah, when I was in high school, if a kid puked in the hallway, I just...
Whoa.
I would start puking.
What is that?
It's because there's something wrong, like maybe even bad food, and you're with that person, so maybe you ate that bad food too,
Yes.
and your body's like,
Or you smell it, maybe?
Let's not take any risks, and let's
Yes.
just throw this shit up.
Survival instinct, if I
it was
see
actually
someone.
explained to me by someone who knows what it, and they
That's
said
really
that's exactly what it
interesting.
is. Like your body's trying to purge it because it's like, oh, this person's throwing up. There could be a bad bug, or I could have eaten some bad food, and you just blah, and you just want to throw up too.
Have you ever been thrown up on?
Yeah, people have hit me, like hit my feet and shit. Fear Factor. I saw it. Who knows how many people throw up?
I puked on the whole cast of the Real World Road Rules Challenge in Santa Fe once. I got so hammered. Do you remember they used to do that? They would like
Yeah.
have all the old alumni come.
Were you on that show?
No, I was I was a go-go dancer in Santa Fe, and that's not stripping, by the way. And I loved the show, so I couldn't believe all the people coming into town. I was like, it's such a small town, so I was like, holy shit. Like, we had a lot of celebrities like Sam Shepard and like all these people, but I was like, fuck that. I want to hang out with the road rules guy. So I was so excited, but I got the flu. So instead of not going out, I just chugged Dayquil, and then I was drinking like White Russians because I was like 20. So I puked like this milky
White
orange
Russians.
shit all over them, and it just happened to be a day that they weren't filming.
Oh no!
But
You puked on them?
I puked all over them, and I'm like, why was this not being filmed? It could be my first TV credit.
Oh, shit.
And then I was thinking about it. It was funny because later in that week, I was at a bar, and all the people were there, but the producers and stuff, and the producers were like, so what's your story? And I realized they were like, this crazy bitch has got to be on The Real World. Like, they probably were like,
She's good television.
yeah, they're like, we'll get this bitch. I already puked on the fucking cast.
She's our new Puck.
Remember? Oh my God, Puck. Is he dead? Aren't they all? I feel like all the people died.
Some
well,
of
there
them
was like
died.
one guy had AIDS in the beginning, in the first one.
They become famous,
Yeah.
and,
They
then,
did.
and then you're just cast out into the world
They
with
were the
no talent.
first reality stars,
Yeah.
too.
I
Oh, yeah.
remember one time a friend of mine was at a restaurant in Charleston, South Carolina, and one of the famous girls from The Real World was a waitress at one of the restaurants and
Oh,
took a picture, sent
wow.
it to me, and I was like, of course they didn't pay them anything.
Yeah.
But they were
No.
famous and broke.
Well, I remember there was a place that John and Kate plus 8, the John guy, he was working at like a regular
Gosling,
job.
John Gosling.
Yeah, and people wouldn't leave him alone. Like, I'm sure now he's okay, but
Yeah.
I remember I was in Hawaii once with my family, and we went to this ice cream place, and they were like, John and Kate were just here. Like they were
Serving,
like
scooping the ice cream.
This is back when it was a show, like when it was on television, and it's a weird kind of fame.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because they were really famous, and now they're not.
Well,
it
when-
just stopped.
When people, you a little bit have it too, I think, because we're ourselves on stage. We're not, none of us are really that much of characters, I would say. But
Yeah.
with the Impractical Jokers, when I hang out with Sal from Impractical, people come up and they think they know him because of his
Right.
personality.
Right.
They'll be like, Sal, and like deck him. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, we're just at the movies. Like, chill.
Oh no.
That's how Houdini died, right? Someone
Yeah.
but yeah, I get that a lot too. When I was doing the roast, for sure, people would come up to me and be like, "Hey, cunt," and I'd be like, "Jesus,
Whoa.
like it's far, it's a lot. It's like 2:30 at the airport."
I've panicked when I met famous people and put my foot in my mouth and seemed like a moron.
Wait, did I tell you what I did after I did your show? We talked about Survivor, and I
Right.
ran into Jeff Probst. Survivor's my favorite show.
So
and every
weird.
time I'm on your show, I will tell the millions of people to keep watching Survivor. It's number
You
one.
should do a show called Sexual Assault Survivor.
Sexual
Jesus.
trauma bonding. Also, I was molested. But I ran into him at Coffee Bean, and he's my guy. He's the person I freak out about.
That's
and I know
hilarious.
that's like nerdy, but I love the show so much. It
You know
brings
what's
me so much joy.
hilarious? That's
What?
where I met him.
He likes
I met him at Coffee Bean.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
weird.
name dropped you so fucking fast because I was being such a psycho that I needed him to know that I had some sort of stake in Hollywood. I was like, I'm a comic star, right? My name's on the wall. I just talked about you on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he goes, I love Joe. He's like, come on the show, and I was like, I'm a psycho. I can't. I was like, I can. He's like, everyone's a psycho, and I was like, no.
You'd
What
be
if you
amazing
won?
on
What
that.
if you made $1 million on Survivor?
I can't show my feet.
Oh, that's right.
They'd have to pixelate. I'd
What's
be like,
wrong with
I'll
your
do
feet?
it. No. I just have a bit where I don't show my feet, and I just can't end it for
You
the rest
never
of my
seen
life.
her Instagram?
Yeah, do you-
All of the
Oh my
pictures
God,
of
did
her
you
feet
mute
on
me?
Instagram are pixelated.
Oh my God, Whitney muted me.
Listen, on Instagram, like even the picture that she took when she was on the show the first time, is her feet pixelated. She's got her
Once I-
foot up in the air and it's
Yeah,
pixelated.
and now
People
it's just
love
like
my
a
feet.
bit. It's just like a bit now forever.
My
Like,
feet
I
are
just wanna
so
do it as long
ugly,
as
but for
possible.
some reason, I think it's like my first Google search is Whitney Cummings' feet.
Yeah, they
Well,
want the
that's
feet.
every girl that's ever lived.
It's not
Yeah.
face. It's not face. It's not body. It's not comedy.
Oh, because the freaks online, the really like dark in the basement freaks
Yeah.
are the ones that are into feet.
And what's the
So they're
deal
the
with
ones
foot
Googling.
fetish? Someone was saying that it was something about like because babies they crawl around and their
I don't think
their
it's
moms
that.
are barefoot.
What I know of it, which I don't, I who knows, but it's like a guy was doing a phantom limb study, and he said that when he was checking the brain, that the neural pathways that go from your brain to your feet are next to the ones that go to your genitals. So he thinks that got mixed in some people.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
I thought it was something about as a kid you see your mom's feet so much when you're so tiny and you.
You guys really are just trying to bang
Sexualize
your
it.
moms. It's really weird.
It's Freud.
It's so
really
weird.
kind of exhausting.
I've been blowing
That
my
was
dad
another
for years.
interesting
so.
thing about the book, talking about Freud and the cocaine thing with Freud.
Oh,
that
yeah.
people back then, when Freud was doing coke, they didn't think that addiction was for intellectuals. They thought brilliant people couldn't get
That's
addicted.
so funny.
Isn't it hilarious?
dumb.
Like literally, he thought he could take coke with abandon and he'd
Yeah.
be fine because that's a mental weakness.
Yeah.
And he would never have a mental weakness.
You know what I think about a lot though? All the people like Bukowski, all the people that are like brilliant, and you look back, they were so fucked up, and
Stephen
I always
King.
struggle
Yep.
with that. Where I'm
Yeah.
like,
Picasso, all
Yeah.
those guys
I'm like,
that were awful.
I watched the masterclass of David Lynch, and he was like, I go outside. I can't do it, David Lynch, but he's like, I go outside when I write. My best writing is done when I do. I have a legal notepad. I go outside. I drink wine and I smoke cigarettes. And I was like so close to smoking cigarettes again. I got nicotine toothpicks because I was like, maybe I'll be brilliant like David Lynch if I smoke cigarettes. But it's like, do we need that? I don't know.
I do,
No,
I
no.
do. I do think there's a certain like ability to risk and be self-destructive. Like I'll smoke cigarettes sometimes, and I'm like, oh, fuck it. Like fuck it. You do need a
Yeah.
fuck it mentality to take risks on stage and to stay out till 2 a.m. and
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
jeopardize yourself and your relationship.
There's value in booze. There's value in pot. There's value in mushrooms. There's value in those things, but it's not necessarily the whole thing. Like I think people can write brilliant shit and be stone cold sober. It's just it's a focus thing. Like you can talk your
Yeah.
mind into psychedelic states. I mean
Absolutely.
that's what holotropic breathing and
I
meditation.
do. You know
and-
that I do breath work all the time. I do. I've been treating this quarantine like because these are my eat,
Like
pray,
a
love
camp?
years. No, it's my eat, pray, love years. Like I should be in India fucking a Sherpa. I should not be trapped in my house. So I do
I
breath
think
work every day.
Sherpas are in the Himalayas.
Oh my God, you always do this to me.
Sorry.
Yeah, we get it. You read the articles. I read the
Nepal-
headlines.
I just want to save you from being canceled. Nepal is not India.
Annie gets her news from InfoWars.
So do I.
I just read your Instagram and then I'm like, I'm smart. I know Jeff Probst and Joe Rogan.
Jeff Probst wanted me on the show, but I'm not ready for it.
Yes. Wait, let's do it. You want to do it together?
No, I'm saying to you. I'm doing you.
Oh.
I was doing you. Like Jeff Probst wanted me on the show.
You should do it. Don't they have like couples survivor or like friends survivor? We could do it together.
You guys would
together?
you would do it together?
We would be
You
voted off.
and
We are
Annie?
so annoying. Do you know
Yeah,
how fast they would
get-
vote us off?
But that was the good
I get
thing. You
more
want
annoying
that.
the more
But
tired I am.
I do think comedians, we do have a like grit. Like I do think we could
Yeah.
win.
Oh yeah.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? If
You
it-
two fucking psychos could win.
I feel like
for
we,
sure.
we do have like a certain level of grit and
Also,
an exoskeleton.
It's about manipulation. I mean,
that
that's
is where
what
I
the fuck-
shine.
Yeah.
It's about like being a pathological liar.
Well, it's also about
You're
like
not a liar. I don't
you
believe
guys
you.
are both. Listen, anybody who's a comic has had some damage when you're young, and then you see vulnerabilities in people. You see things to complain about. Like you would find their weaknesses.
Yeah.
You two are both predators. You would see where they're fucked up, and you're like, huh, look at.
Well, that's what you had to do in a fucked up home. You had to learn how
Yeah.
to beguile and
Yeah.
manipulate and
Yeah.
charm people, and
Yep.
you know that's
Yeah.
what
I
we do.
like how our trauma landed us differently, and you know what beguile means? I'm like, what's
Hey,
beguile?
No bullshit. No bullshit. Seriously, you guys should 100% have a show together. You guys would like, you know, there's like guys we fucked and call her daddy. There's all these
Yeah,
couple
yeah,
girls.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you guys would dominate that shit. The
I-
two of you would fucking dominate that shit. The two of you together would have the #1 podcast on planet Earth. 100%.
Should we try to eclipse Joe Rogan?
Yeah,
Do
no,
it.
I
I'm
want
not
to.
bullshitting you. 100% could do it. You would get all the girls.
Yeah.
All of them. All of them. You know,
I have
don't
like
even get
3
all the
girl
guys.
followers. I have like 3
I
girl
have lots
followers.
of girls. I get lots of girls.
You're both like badass chicks, but you're not. Even though you have been victims, you're not victims.
Right.
You talk honest. You're comics. You're
Pretty,
both.
pretty.
You're
And
both
gorgeous.
Very pretty,
You have
so
nice,
pretty.
nice feet.
Your tits are really incredible.
But you're both legit comics.
Yeah.
Like you two together, like that would be a fucking monster combination. And I'll help you.
I'm busy.
I'll
No, I'm
help
just
you.
kidding.
We also,
I'll
by the way,
promote it. I'll do whatever the fuck you want. I'll put you guys on the
Cool.
show. I think you should do it.
we also, by the way, because I just started my podcast, you have your podcast.
Yeah, my podcast.
Like, I now have time for another one.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
that's
I-
what I'm talking
now
about.
that I've done the podcast enough, I sort of am like, I know
Let's
how
come
to
we
up with
can
a
do
name.
it from this studio.
Yes, can we have your
do it from
studio when
here?
you move
If
to
you,
Texas?
yeah, you could do it when
That
I'm
was
not
our
here.
plan. We had some plans.
Because here's the thing that I
We'd
love.
have to figure out how to get somebody to watch you, like hawks.
Yeah. Don't you, I
to
think you
keep
have
the Navy
actual
SEAL
hawks
guys. Have to keep the Navy SEAL guys on staff.
Don't bring them
Part of the
here
reason I
to
love
us.
Annie so much and our relationship so much is that I feel like I don't see people disagree anymore. No one will tolerate anyone that disagrees with them in any way.
Right.
People just want to align with people, and it's like a fucking echo chamber, like circle jerk of like, we agree, we
Yeah.
agree. We're like, Annie and I can disagree and fuck with each
Yeah,
other,
totally fine.
and we still respect each other and love each other and have different points of view. And I
It's-
just
Which,
so
why
if
would we not?
Ari and I disagree about 80% of the
Yeah.
things on Earth. We're always. He's like, shut up, you fucking idiot. And then, like, we go back and
Yeah,
forth
you're
with
like,
each other
I
all
don't
the time.
want to be seeing your balls right now. Please put them away. Your weird, saggy sack.
That's how it is with most friends. You're supposed to be like that. Like if you're married to your ideas to the point where they're your identity, and you can't
be challenged.
Well, not only that, like your ideas, an idea is not. First of all, it's just an idea. It's not even yours. It's just an idea.
Yeah.
And if someone doesn't agree with it, why is it personal? But it
Yeah.
is. It is for most of us, most of the time. It's taken me forever to try to beat that down. And I don't have it totally beaten down,
Yeah.
but I have it to the point where I recognize, oh, I'm attached to this. Let's just look at it for what it is. It's not me.
Yeah.
I'm not this idea. But so many people, like, and this is what we're seeing with politics in the
Yeah.
biggest way possible.
It's insane.
This is not the Democratic Party is you. Like you
Yeah.
have to win.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not just these ideas. It's not just an election.
well,
it's
people
you.
fighting over the masks too. They've politicized it. They've
Yeah.
made it like
Ridiculous.
this part of their identity. They're
all
like
those people
watching
with their
everyone.
masks on their avatar. Fuck you.
yeah.
Is that
It's
how
a-
you look best?
But also, I get annoyed when because I'll do live streams and stuff from my car, not when I'm driving, but I'll have my mask on and everyone will be like, why are you? And I'm like, the mask means so little to me. It means so much to other people. It means so little. I don't notice that it's on.
Right.
I didn't
Well, that's
remember
because
that
your
it's
nose
on.
is really big.
I was
and you
gonna
have
say. I was gonna
space.
say.
See, my
And my
nose
breath
is
is so good that
my
I can't
nose
smell
is
it.
small. It's more flattened, so it touches my face.
Yeah,
more.
because you got beat up. I'm sorry, I'm so cool and pretty. Nobody wants to punch me in the face.
I want to do a joke that I couldn't do. I was going to maybe do it on a talk show, but remember when the prison inmates were being released?
Yeah, for COVID.
For COVID.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something about imagine the warden giving that speech of like telling the prison inmates that they were about to be released and being like, hey guys, a couple things changed. You now have to wear masks at all times, cover your faces at all times, and the police have been defunded. Go.
Yeah.
See you in a couple weeks.
Well, how
I know,
about
it's
the one
such a
guy
good
who got
deal.
released? The one guy who got released and then murdered the woman who accused him of rape.
Oh.
Yeah, immediately
got
as
to
soon
wear
as
a
he got
mask.
released. I don't even know. It's because he got a mask. It's
so
just that's what he was
scary.
going to do if he got out. I mean, I don't know if he raped her. I don't know what really happened, but he definitely murdered her.
Allegedly.
But
Yeah, I mean,
did he have
was
with
claiming
COVID?
that it was a false accusation, and he got out of jail and murdered her. Terrifying. They're
wild.
releasing violent criminals. It's not
Yeah.
just there's not just like people in jail for
And they
coke
get to
or
wear
weed.
masks all day. I mean,
It's
you look at
insane.
these ring cameras, these security cameras, and I'm like, well, everyone's in a mask, so
It's
how
insane. It's
But
insane.
I was thinking like with the looting, like we couldn't have like they know enough of it. Don't you recognize people when you see their eyes? I see people in masks
sure.
and I go, it's weird how much I can recognize someone just from this part of their
Yeah,
face.
that's true.
So I was always like, it would be so embarrassing to get caught loot. Like I'm like walking out with an Apple Watch and they're like, is that
Well,
Brad
that's how
Butler?
Jake Paul got caught. Jake Paul got
Yeah.
caught
So
on a
funny.
camera. He didn't
His
even have a
own
mask
camera.
on. Was it his camera?
he vlogged it?
No. Did he really?
It was his brother, I think.
He's
or was
wild,
it him?
dude.
God,
That dude
that's-
is so wild. Did you see the mayor shut down that TikTok house that wouldn't
So
stop
funny.
partying?
Did they definitely shut it down? They
pulled their
say they
electricity.
authorized it, but
Electricity.
did they pull the electricity?
Pulled the electricity, yeah.
That is a weird thing to do. Look, I'm not saying that they shouldn't tell these people they shouldn't have parties and spread it all over the place, because they definitely are spreading
Mm-hmm.
it. Like Dr. Malkin, one of the guys that treated us, treated more than 100 people that went to that party, and I think somewhere in the neighborhood of almost half of them had COVID.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Crazy.
like these people are going to these giant parties, and there's
crazy.
sick people at the party, and you're drinking, and you're 20, and you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Sharon.
Yeah, you're 24 years
And then they're
old,
going back to
hammered.
like your families and stuff. It's
Exactly,
just
and
so
grandpa
bad.
dies,
Yeah.
and
Like
grandma
I
dies.
want to. My dad's 79. I want to see my dad so badly. He's in Philly, but
He doesn't want to
thank-
see you though.
No, but honestly, like he really is. Whitney, it's so sad. Like he's like, nope. And I was like, no, but what if I camped? I was like, I'll drive out, I'll camp, I'll get tested before or whatever. And he's like, no, he's like, because he just
Scared.
doesn't want it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want it. And I'm so happy he's like that. But I'm like, but Dad, can I hang out with
Our
you?
podcast wouldn't be called Your Daddy. It'd be, we called our daddies. They didn't pick up.
Daddies aren't answering.
Daddy didn't do a good job. This is called
Daddy,
Daddy
call
didn't
us.
do a good job.
Daddy won't return our calls.
Can you imagine if you had a podcast called Daddy Didn't Do a Good Job?
I love my
Daddy
dad
dropped
so
the
much,
ball.
but he's like,
Daddy
well,
dropped
bring
the
me
ball.
up today. My dad goes, bring me up today. I go, are you sure you want me to? He goes, oh, well, maybe not.
I mean, I honestly,
so
I'm
funny,
now
but
at
I
a
love
point where
my
I'm so
dad.
grateful at all the mistakes my parents made, because
Absolutely.
it's made me
Yeah.
like I am equipped to in so many ways that so many of my friends that had
Right.
good childhoods aren't, and I can just like sort shit out. Like
How-
adversity was so good
How
for me.
boring would a comfortable life
Oh, can
be?
you imagine?
Ooh.
The most fucked up people I know have married parents. They
Yeah.
have all these fucked up
My
expectations. They're
parents
going
are
through divorces.
married. Shit was bad when I was a kid. They're now. I always look at it like this. Like now, even though everything was fucked up and I possibly could have been sold into sex.
You get really
slavery
close.
at some point. Yeah, I was very close.
You wouldn't go for that.
I
That
was
much.
story
teetering on
about
the
you
edge.
hiding under the car, like
Yeah.
holy shit.
And
That's like one of the good ones. That's a baby one.
You're
I mean,
bra- now
I
you're
went
just
to
bragging.
I
You're
went
like,
to an
people would pay
Epstein
to
high
fuck
school.
me.
My high school, literally, they all fucked us. Like all the teachers. It just came out. Another teacher got caught with kiddie porn. It was a school with my graduating class was 17 kids. Like there were 7 teachers. Like come on.
My drama
Anyway.
teacher gave one of the students AIDS. I found that out later.
Wow, this
Crazy.
is bond trauma bond right
I know.
now.
This
You're
is
just like
trauma bond. Maybe that's what you guys call it.
Trauma bond?
bond.
Trauma bonding?
trauma bond.
Dude, that's actually a
Dude.
fucking
It's
dope
good.
That's
title
a
for a
great
podcast.
I love
name.
it.
Trauma bond.
Trauma
But
bond
wait,
is
let me
pretty
finish
good.
so I don't. But with my parents, I always think like they're good now. Like why? Who cares about the past? Like they're so loving and sweet and awesome that it's like
Yeah,
I
people,
don't care.
look, people make mistakes.
Exactly.
They did
I'm
the
like,
best they can with
Yeah.
the tools they had.
My
And it
mom had
worked
me when
out
she was
well.
21. I mean, she didn't know what the fuck she was doing. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
she was
no way
drunk.
she
It
could
was
have
her
done a good
birthday.
job.
They gave her shots.
There's no way you're going to do a good job as a parent when
Yeah.
you're 21. I mean, it's just so hard.
What's your
Right.
dad's sitch?
I don't know my dad. Yeah.
He didn't come out of the woodworks when it was like,
I
oh
haven't
shit.
spoken to him since I was 7 years old.
Does he know you're you?
Yeah, I have the same name as him. Yeah, he's Joe Rogan.
You're a junior.
No, I have a middle name.
He hasn't
doesn't.
reached out to try to get
Nope.
a cut of all this?
Oh, I think
He's
that
not
ship
smart. You
sailed.
got your smarts from your mom, I guess.
Do you think he's
yeah.
alive?
Oh yeah, he's alive.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
My mom's
intense.
smart.
That's
My mom's family is very smart. They're very, very intense people.
yeah.
Yeah,
I can tell.
What's your lineage?
mostly Italian.
Oh, nice.
Little bit of Irish.
Oh.
My biological dad's father was from Ireland.
Oh, interesting.
Everybody's from Europe. Everybody was all my parents on both sides. All the family was all first generation immigrants.
Do you
Huh.
like Ireland?
I've never been.
Oh, you
I
gotta
have
go.
been. No, that's not true. I've been to Dublin for UFC, and I was in Belfast. I was in Northern Ireland as well for UFC.
Ireland's
I think
so
I've been there
cool.
3 times.
Do you feel like it seems like you feel more of a calling to Italy?
Well, that's the family I knew.
Right.
You know, I'm certainly some sort of a European mutt with Italian and there's some African. I got some African in there and some small amount of Asian.
We
and
heard you had a little
also-
African. we heard you had a little African.
I don't know what that means, but I am shocked we haven't gotten canceled yet.
And,
But it just happened.
but that's it's real mostly Italian and Irish. But if you look at some people like wasn't Conan O'Brien? They found he was like 100% Irish.
Irish,
like they've
yeah.
never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
Like you're the
Have
most
you seen
Irish
it?
And then you
person.
say,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like,
I could've
yeah,
told
and
that
then you
from
go,
just looking
wow,
at
that
him.
Yeah.
really makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting when you find out like where your ancestors came from. Like there's
Love it.
I have 1% Asian. I'm like, where's that? Like where'd that come
The
from?
eyes are very.
That's just getting
It's
old.
being
Your
hot.
skin starts to
Genghis
No,
settle.
it's
Khan
being
or
high.
something?
Yeah, Genghis Khan had
Khan.
that guy fucked so many people. he had some
Isn't it like-
preposterous amount of DNA
Isn't
in
it
Asia.
like 20% of people are descendants of his or something?
Something wacky like
Like
that.
insanity.
Have you ever seen or listened rather to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History?
Yes.
That
Yes.
It's an amazing podcast.
Love him.
And he had a whole series called The Wrath of the Khan on Genghis Khan. And it fucking blew me away. The guy killed 10% of the population of the
so
planet
crazy.
Earth while he was alive.
animal.
He's killing more
goes.
people than COVID.
It translates to 0.5% of the male population of the world, or roughly 16 million descendants living today.
And how many of those
at
descendants
that.
have fucked each other?
Nearly 8% of the men living in the region of the former Mongol emperor carry the Y chromosomes that are nearly identical to him. That means 8% of the fucking people today that live in that region have his genes. That's how many people that guy fucked.
That is bananas.
They should have done that on Fear Factor. You have to swallow his cum. This is really
It's
old
like
cum.
it's like kimchi. They bury it in the ground in a clay jar.
I wonder if, because my ancestry is Scotch-Irish, came through West Virginia coal miners, and there were a lot of Italian coal miners, actually.
Yeah, well, people did what they had to do back
Yeah.
then.
Maybe you guys are cousins.
That's the thing about like our world today. It's the jobs that suck today. You know, they still suck. Like there still are people that coal mine, but
Yeah.
it's not what most people are doing when they come over. It's the whole scratch and claw that the immigrants had, like that my grandparents had. Those people that came here like straight off the boat, like that's why New Jersey and New York is so hostile.
Yeah.
Because the echoes of those people
I thought it was
still
because
there.
Joey was coming back. They were like, oh no, we're going to get kidnapped.
Is that like ancestral trauma?
Yeah, and that's I always had this bit about California that everybody like got as far as they could and went, like, fuck, I don't want to live in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So they just stayed right here. It's like they're trying to get away from everything that was on the East Coast.
There's something so specific about the personality type here.
Yes.
There's something just bitch in the DNA of
Yeah.
this area.
Well, it's people want attention. They want attention really, really badly, and if they don't get it, they think someone's doing them wrong.
So true.
That's
It's a very
what's weird.
sensitive
Mm-hmm.
culture. And I mean, I guess it's a lot of people that come out here to pretend for a living.
Yeah.
Very
Right.
emotional people.
Well, a lot of that, and you're coming out here, even if it's not to pretend, you're coming out here to get famous.
Well, I just feel
You
like
know?
if you do get famous, like a certain type of famous, you've now come into this club where they're like, all right, you're no longer gonna be exactly who you are. And especially with actors, I feel like
Yeah.
your job is to play someone else. They go, you're not gonna have any personal opinions. You're gonna keep our secrets.
Yes.
Right.
We're gonna like
You're a
get
puppet.
these kids adrenaline up. We're gonna take their blood and we're gonna whatever they do. What was that thing?
Yeah.
But you know what? It does feel like you are agreeing to be a part of. They go, all right, we're gonna let you in, but you have to not
Yeah, you have
embarrass
to.
us. Like you have to keep it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And it's interesting because I'm seeing so many actors now that are like becoming activists. And I'm like, is that just because you played a doctor on TV? You
Well,
think
no,
you can now
it's
be a
it's
doctor?
what they're
not
doing.
getting any attention.
Right.
The
It's
attention's
virtue
dried up.
signaling.
There's
No,
no
I'm gonna-
sets. You can't go to the set. So there's no movies. There's no TV shows. So what do? They panic and they make these black and white videos about how they're going to take responsibility and they're not going to allow
And they're doing it so
racism anymore.
actory. They're doing it in
So-
character.
It's like, I'm
so
gonna act
disgusting.
like-
So fake.
I'm going
Like,
to act like I care about this. I'm going to act
Right.
like I...
it's so prepared. It's so like.
It was so gross.
I guess that's what they do. I
Yes.
know. I'm seeing all these celebrities pose with Kamala Harris. I'm like, that's going to do the opposite of what you think.
Yep.
It's going to
Right.
make America hate her.
It's going to make America realize that the con is on. You're a part of it.
Well, I just remember with Hillary, everyone's like, vote for Hillary or you're an idiot. And
Exactly.
it's like, you're
making
Trump
me
won.
want to
There you
vote for
go.
Trump. Yeah.
You know what Joey told me about you that I forgot to ask you last time I was here?
What?
Did you have piranhas at some point?
Yes.
What was that?
I'm a problem.
That's how
wanna know
alpha you
that,
are. You're
Joe
like, I
Rogan.
need
I had a bunch
to
of
murder a
piranhas.
fish.
Yeah, I used to. Well, I'll do you one better. At one point in time, I had an outdoor courtyard at my house, and I was seriously considering glassing it in and getting some crocodile monitors and feeding them rabbits. I had this whole plan, and I talked to an architect, and
and they
talked
said,
to,
just move to Florida.
I was going to glass in like this terrarium in the middle of my house, and I was going to put tropical plants in there and like have sprinklers so it sprays water and keeps them in a good, healthy environment. And I was going to let Wild Kingdom take place in my backyard, but they told me there's a real problem with the rotting of the carcasses. Like if you feed rabbits to these things, they shit, and then you got to clean it up, and you can't really go in there. So you'd have to hire someone to come in and like rustle the fucking monitors because they're big. Have you ever seen a
Yeah.
crocodile monitor? It's a terrifying looking creature.
Wow.
I had this idea.
I
because
thought it was like a monitor to watch the crocodile.
So did I.
No,
It was like
no,
like
I'm not
a,
with
like a
the-
croc
It's a
cam.
very large, scary lizard. And this is because I had the piranhas and I would buy
Please
the
stop
goldfish.
talking about Tim Dillon. That's not nice.
So you had like a piranha guy who was
I had
like,
a
hey, I have
piranha
some
tank.
crocodiles for you.
But that's not a real good picture of them. That's it. That's it right there. That one, the yellow one
Those
in
are
the middle. That's what it looked like.
dinosaurs.
Yeah. And they get fucking big. They get big, like 6 feet long.
And they can kill you?
I mean, it's not going to be a fun
They'll
wrestling
take
match.
a bite out of your
I
calf.
met-
They're going to clamp down on you. It's a
When I went
big-ass
to
animal.
Runyon one day, and there was this guy with like it was a smaller one, it was like this big, and it was yellow. I don't know what it is, maybe one of the little dragon
Look
ones.
at that lady that's holding that one on the top.
I was
yeah.
playing with it like that, and then someone was like, I saw later at the Comedy Store, was like, you know that those could bite your face off.
They do bite
They
people
could like
sometimes.
take your nose off.
Like you can't predict what a large lizard is going to decide.
Look
it
at that
doesn't
eye,
like.
looks
This
so
thing's
human.
fucking cool though. That looks like a T-Rex eye. Look at that. That looks
Yeah.
like a dinosaur.
It's a goddamn raptor.
He's
I mean,
gripping you like Mike Binder did during the...
Annie. I don't know when I became like the person that you touch when you want to say something offensive.
It was one of the
It's
funnier
like
things I've
home
ever seen.
base.
Why
It's
did
like I'm safe.
like, don't suck me into
You
this.
fucked up and moved seats.
What's that?
You fucked up and moved seats, and then you were the closest one.
I don't know. Well, I thought Rogan should be in the middle.
You guys should have a TikTok house together. Have Garcetti come and shut your house down.
We just do it without electricity. We're like, fuck this. We're gonna live without
Where
electricity.
you guys were like, Whitney, like you could do that. You could have a TikTok house.
Dude, I would fucking do that.
And have her-
I've kind of been
You're
doing
like,
this
Whitney,
in the
you have
quarantine.
money. You can have her rent to play.
I've kind of been doing that in the quarantine. I've
Yeah.
sort of been like Tim Dillon's been staying with me. Esther, I make Annie come over. I just I want to start like a coven of comics.
Yes.
it's fun.
Well, I mean, like we're saying, like that's what we miss the most is hanging out.
We want it to be a harem.
I built
Whoa.
it. I
We're all
built
trying
a
to finger you,
I
Whitney.
Thank you.
I can't speak for Esther, but I can.
Just don't pee on me and we're good. I do. I started a podcast in my house. I have a podcast studio. We could do it out of my podcast studio in my house.
I have a podcast studio too. It's a
It
kitchen.
is my goal to make Annie rich as fuck and just watch you go completely insane.
I love it.
Like you are
I
going to
think
be.
she'll handle it.
You think she'll be okay being rich?
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
I think so too.
I feel
be
like you're
fine.
going to give it all to like your ex-boyfriends anyway. You're going to
No,
stay poor.
I've actually stopped doing that. I actually
That's good.
stopped paying for my. I've gone broke. Rogan, this was when you used to give me $100 bills. We were in the parking lot, and I go, I'm standing next to Rogan, right? And I'm like, we're friends. We do the same thing. Obviously, he's been doing it longer than me and everything, but we do the same thing. Like we're parked in the same parking lot. I go, Rogan, can you teach me how to be rich? Because I live in that car, and that's like one of your 60 cars or something. And you started laughing in my face. You pulled out a lot of money. You go, this means nothing to me. And you handed me $300 bills.
I tried to give you money once, but I thought it would weird out our relationship.
Well,
I
once
give
you went,
her money every time I saw her.
he would like slap me high five, but then it got weird because I thought you thought I was showing up to get money from you.
No.
But then,
did you really?
do you remember when
Did
you said?
really?
Well, I was worried you were going to think that.
Oh no, I never thought that. It was
But-
fun. It was a fun little gag we would
Rogan,
do.
this is the funniest bit ever. We should do it more, like a million. But it gets funnier the more money it is. But you told me too. You were like, if I handle the people that are, because I love watching you get attacked by fans. Like it's one of my when they approach, because I see them getting nervous. You can see them too, probably from fighting.
Dude,
like
it
you
makes
have
me
like your
so uncomfortable.
And I see them coming, and I watch you. You're being cool, and you're very nice. You're fan friendly, but they're just having such a moment they can't like get over themselves. They're like freaking out. So I always like, and I told you that, and you go, I'll pay you $100 to get people away that you know I want to get away. But then I started body checking people, and you're like, that's my friend. And I was like, oh shit, Rogan, I'm hungry. I'd be like, boom.
Elbowing Brendan Shaw in the face.
God.
Dude, when someone comes up to Rogan, like you see them circling like a fucking barracuda. You're talking to Rogan, you see just people circling. For some reason, they always want to show you a video.
No, they have, they're unfolding a paper.
They always have something queued up for you to watch. Like,
Yeah.
yo, I got to show you something. But you handle it really well. You do it without hurting their feelings.
Yeah,
Somehow,
you're so nice.
I try.
you do this Jedi mind trick where you're like, no, thanks, man. Like you make them.
I try to be very nice, but it's an odd thing. But like I said, it's odd when I meet people. Like when I met Bourdain, one of the first things I said is, "My wife says you're my boyfriend." That was like the first thing I
Oh,
said.
that's so funny.
She's like, "You gonna meet your boyfriend?" She thought it was. She thinks she's being funny, and I said it to him, and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, all right.
boy, here
I
we go."
forgot. You're not a comic. You're a guy with a thumb ring."
He's so sexy, dude.
Dude, I'm
He was a
telling
great
yeah.
guy. He's
Love that
so fun to
guy.
hang around with. I really enjoyed that.
Did you
guy.
read that article I sent you that the girl Leah McSweeney wrote?
I started, and I was like, oh.
What was
The
it?
Was it upsetting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About
Yeah.
what? About Bourdain?
She was just talking about like the toxic. Was it before he had died or was it after he died?
I don't
she wrote
know.
it.
I
She
don't
was
know.
She was writing about toxic femininity during the Me Too movement, which was like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Like, thank you.
Yeah.
But she was talking about Asia Argenta and Rose McGowan and the stuff with Anthony Bourdain and like how fucked up it was. But she's cool. She's on the New York Housewives now for some
Yeah, I
reason.
know her. Yeah.
It's very
And,
random.
and it was sort of about him and how.
yeah, but I'll send it to you. It's a really good article.
Okay.
There's toxic people.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
You know, that's what the problem is. If you get into this whole believe all women thing or believe all men thing or believe all trans people,
Yeah.
believe all anybody, you're going to run into people that are juking the system.
Yeah.
You're going to
Right.
run into toxic people.
And the people that say believe all this person are the same
That's
people.
crazy.
It's also the same people that go, you can't generalize about all people. And it's like, well,
Right.
which is it?
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to rope you into complicity. You have to comply. And if they're saying believe all anything, you must comply.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're playing a game with you, and it's not a rational one.
No.
It's not I've thought this through, and this is the best way as a sensitive, nuanced person. We should approach this. We should look at it with an open mind.
Yeah.
They're not saying that. They're saying believe all anything.
It's
believe all
so
anything
it's
is crazy.
disrespectful to like real victims.
Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
I always hated the hashtag. I always would joke. I go, the Me Too movement, the hashtag bothered me because it's like, here's like, I had a girl who I got in a fight with who her argument was, she goes, you don't understand what the Me Too movement was. I'm the only one in this group of girlfriends that has actually had actual assault happen, you know, and sat in court and stuff and like really
Now
handled
you're
my
just
predator.
bragging
I
about
don't
how
wanna
pretty you
brag,
are. We
but
get it. Guys want to
am
assault you.
So hot. I've been hot since I was little. I know how to rock a diaper.
They're willing to break the law to touch you. We
But
get
I
it.
did do the right thing, you know, and it's like, so it was like, I do think I have a good perspective on this stuff. And she goes, that's not what we're fighting for. The Me Too movement is about why when I go to the comedy club, do the male comics kiss me on the cheek and not the other guys? And I'm like,
Jesus.
what? So that's this. This is what I said. This is this part of the hashtag. And then it's like real rapes. Or no, wait, this is real rapes. And then this is like that part, right? And then they're like trying to go like, give me some of that sweet real rape. I want some of that real rape. Give me some of that attention.
Jesus Christ.
Trying to get the like, you can't group it all together. It's
Well,
not
you
the
can't
same.
group not, you know, that a comic not kissing his friends on the cheek, but kissing
But
you on the
also
cheek.
use your words and tell the
No.
person
Say
you
no.
don't want them to
Yeah.
kiss you on the cheek. It's not the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
as getting like
Look,
molested
some people,
or raped.
we all know some people we can hug each other.
Right.
We hug each other. And there's some people I don't hug. I don't know them that well.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't hug them. But if I
Yeah.
hug you, it's because I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm hugging you.
But it's everything's context. It's like
Yeah.
I've never felt weird around Joe Rogan. Hugs cool. Then someone holds on too long. Like
You're like,
it's
yikes. Or they squeeze your back or something.
yeah, or
like,
put it on your lower back or touch your neck or
Oh
something.
my God! There's this one girl at the Comedy Store. I don't want to say any distinguishing features because I don't want you to. I don't want to. I don't like being. You
Mean.
can't right now. You can't like just say a little shitty thing someone did because they'll like be canceled.
But here's what I'll say.
It's like calling the cops on a black. You can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna get killed. Like I can't be like, oh, it was so funny when that one comic grabbed my ass. You know, like you can't
Right,
say
right.
anything
You know,
like
but
that.
I mean, it's interesting because it's like when I do, I always add context and go like, you don't get to decide what my experience with that
Right.
person was. If
Right.
someone smacked my ass and I thought it was funny, I get to decide that.
Right.
You don't get to decide how it affected
Right.
me. You know, this like self-righteous indignation and this like forcing me to have the experience you want me to have just so we can get in
Right.
some adrenaline junkie like Twitter fight. Like you don't get to decide how
Right.
it affected me. You know, so it's like women use your voices and speak up, but if you say something I don't like,
So you get
Yeah, stand in line.
blowback.
Canceled.
You get blowback because you're like slowing the progress of outrage. You like hit the brakes on outrage because you're like, I'm not outraged.
I'm not-
You're like, well, you should be outraged. We could use you. You could be a part of the outrage puddle.
I'm outraged about a lot of things,
Yes.
you know, but I'm not going to lie and pretend I'm outraged about things that I'm not outraged about.
That's
you know?
the thing. You're allowed to have your own interpretation of any experience. Like if you have a bunch of friends and all of you run up and smack each other in the ass when
Yeah.
you see each other,
Right.
that's the thing you
Right.
guys have decided is okay,
and
you
if
do
you
it.
stop liking it,
Yeah.
go, I don't like that anymore.
Right. And if someone does it and then you say they don't like it, they should apologize and they should never do it again. And you say, I'm sorry, I thought we were doing that.
I'm
I
so
didn't
sad
know.
that like apologies don't work anymore. I'm
Right,
actually
right,
I'm
right.
doing like a limited series podcast with Bonnie McFarlane about it called Cancel Us Next Tuesday, Son. So it's cunts. But which by the way, please be on it. But we're canceling different things each time. Like I
Yeah.
want you to do the cancel romance because everything's like molesting thing in romance now?
I was dating a guy who was 30, and he said, "Can I take off your bra? Can I kiss you?" And I just was like, "I don't know. Can you? Can you, bitch?" Like, I was just like,
shit.
I think I'm too old to even understand this
Well,
new
it's
dynamic.
also like a teacher when you're like, "Can I go to the bathroom?" They're like, "You mean may I?"
Yeah.
At least say it right. But yeah, no, it's really weird. I think like the new sex sound, instead of like slurping and suctioning, is gonna be two body cameras just like clinking against each other, because we all need to record on both sides. What the fuck's going on?
I know, you
It's
have
like
to set up a camera
insane.
in the room. That's all you have.
You have to
everyone has
illegally
do porn.
film people,
Yeah.
pretty much.
No, you have to.
do
Everyone has to do
porn.
porn. You have to do like, listen, there's only
Listen,
one way you
next
can do
time I
this.
punch my cervix with my own hand, there will be cameras everywhere.
I
I think
remember-
that was her sternum.
I was in Houston like a year and a half ago when I was running like a new hour that a lot of it was about the Me Too stuff, trying to keep it in context. Like a lot of this stuff shouldn't be reduced to a tweet or a
Right.
fucking
Right.
op-ed or whatever. So I was trying to really like dimensionalize it. And I'm in Houston and I go on stage and I'm sort of like arguing both sides, which is what comics can.
Right.
We play devil's advocate. And I said something about like a guy that had smacked my ass in work or something. And I was like, yeah, that shouldn't have happened. That was sort of my take on it. And this woman in the front row just went, "Girl, take the compliment and move on." And I'm just being like, people have different takes on this.
But
Some
also
people
that
do.
is
You
a
know?
little bit true. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so I've been trying to walk 5 miles a day, just thinking and going through shit and coming up with ideas. And I was walking with like my fanny pack. I'm sweating. I look like shit. You guys see like the crazy sunglasses I wear, like the least hot thing in the world. And I get this beep from this like beat up Corolla, from like the 80s. And this guy like rolls up and he's just whacking his dick. And it's like barely hard.
You
like
will
he's just
not
like,
stop bragging on this podcast.
but I'm saying I
we
still
get
got
it. You're
it.
hot. We get it.
No, even when I'm ugly, I'm hot. No,
Men
but I
just
was
can't help
thinking-
themselves.
I had a range of emotions, because then he had like a baby seat in the back, and I was like, what's
Oh,
going
always,
on here?
yeah.
But then so I was just thinking, I was like, I went through this range of emotions, and then I was like, one day I will miss this. I do think, for real, I'll be like,
I've got
nobody's
good
going to be
news.
attracted.
There's a lot of guys who do that to old ladies too.
I was
Oh
gonna
my God,
say.
thank you.
No, but also
I'll
like
be hot forever.
there are times guys have done something like that, like grab me in a way that ostensibly seems really weird and it hasn't made me feel uncomfortable. But there are times someone will come to the comedy store, say absolutely nothing, look at me a certain way, and I'm like, something's off about that fucking guy.
You're banned.
Yeah.
You're off the wall.
It's like
You're
that,
allowed to have that, and
Yeah.
guys are allowed to have that too. Like there's some women that you're being around and you're like, I gotta get the fuck away
There's
from this
something
crazy
off
person.
about this person.
Yeah, or they'll grab you. Or how about Bill Burr's bit that he had in his last special, Paper Tiger, about a comic who's a very prominent feminist comic who slapped him in the dick as he was
Yeah.
going onto the stage.
Yeah.
They were swapping positions, and he was going on the stage and she was coming off, and she slaps his dick.
And there are so many. I'm trying to like really for my next special work on like the way that we're sexist towards men, because it's just no one talks about
Yeah,
that.
of
I had
course.
that your Andrew Huberman on my
Yes.
podcast the other day.
He's amazing, yeah.
brilliant neuroscientist who's like working on this thing for your eyes and all this stuff. And he comes on and like he's on my podcast, and I'm like, God, you're so hot. You're hot. And I realized if this was reversed, if a
Right.
podcast host had a female scientist on and was like, you're hot, you're
Yeah, like,
sexy,
look
you're
at
hot
you.
for a scientist, they wouldn't go to jail.
No,
be
I
real
should be.
bad.
I'm sure. I honestly, I think under these guidelines, I have raped. I'm
but-
sorry.
but-
it's
okay, but here's the difference. The difference
Thank
is
you for
Huberman
interrupting.
is a
Right
gorilla.
when I was going to explain it.
Huberman's a gorilla. I mean, he's a big dude.
Yeah,
He's a big
yeah.
230-pound man. Like, he can't say that to you that way. If he
Right.
was the comedian and you were the scientist, it would be threatening to you. You're not threatening him by saying he's hot. It's just a compliment.
So rude.
Right.
You don't know what she can manipulate. She could really ruin him.
But it was, because he looks like a neurologist in a Marvel movie.
Right.
Like he looks like who
Exactly.
you would cast in a
Exactly.
Marvel movie. He's this
Like he's
super-
going to tear his like scientist thing off at the
Literally.
end. And, yeah.
He's got a thick-ass neck. He's a big, brawny dude.
He's a guy you would see in a Marvel movie who would play scientist. You'd be like, that's not a fucking scientist.
I'm getting a
Exactly.
whop, guys. Stop.
a whop.
But there are times where
Stop.
I feel like I get away with shit that a guy would never fucking get away with.
Of course,
And I'm like,
but-
that's not fair.
But that's
Right.
but it is fair. That's the dynamic, because there's no threat from you.
Right.
That's why you can get away with it. Like
Right,
if you
right,
said
right.
something crazy to me, I'd be like, Whitney, what the fuck are you talking about? It would never be like, oh Jesus, now I have to be scared to be alone with her.
Right.
Right.
A woman has to be scared to be alone
But
with a
I
guy.
think what happens too is there's like the power thing comes into it too, and then
Yeah.
you're like, so is it like social power, political power, career power,
Listen,
or is
we
it the
know,
physical?
We know girls who have forced guys into having sex with them. Girls who are in power, who force guys who are
That's
working
not really
for
what I
them
did.
to have
Yes,
sex
we
with them.
do.
We do know that.
We know them.
We know them. But we don't give a fuck. It
I'm just
doesn't mean
preparing
anything.
to dive under this table at
It
any
doesn't-
moment.
We don't have to
Yes,
say any
it's-
names, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean anything.
It's Benton,
'cause
and he's very upset with you, Whitney.
we don't care,
Yeah.
right? We don't
Yeah.
care. But
'Cause-
if it was the other way around, it would be a
But
real
if they
hard
do
secret to
care,
keep.
if they do care, I care. Like if they feel victimized by it, I do care.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
I'm for the victim. It's not a
For
gender
sure.
thing. Like if they do feel like fuck, I thought I wasn't gonna.
But here's the thing: if a guy's like, "Jesus, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is so disgusting, but I
Yeah.
need this job," and he does it, we laugh. I would be
Right.
like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
Like, I hear those stories like, "You did what? No, you didn't."
Yeah.
Ah! It's
And I
funny.
think a lot of people get caught in the sort of logistics of like, well, would you be able to get a boner if you didn't want to do it?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And then we're
yeah,
not
yeah.
believing men. We're doing the
Right.
same thing.
That's a
that-
good point.
You know?
It is a legitimate good point. It
But-
is a good point.
Can you, as a man, get raped without getting a boner? You know what I mean? If you have a
Well,
boner.
if you can, if it's just mental to drink the cum of whatever animal that was, then it's just mental to not be able to.
yeah.
You
get
can
raped
listen.
with a
You
boner?
can certainly make
Made
an
sense in my
argument
head.
that if a man gets an erection, that he's
It's
enjoying
consensual,
it.
yeah.
But here's the thing: can a woman force you into doing something and then you start enjoying it, so you go along with it? But the beginning part was force.
Yeah.
Right, so is it still okay? It's a good question.
It's a hard one.
That would be like a overly aggressive man too. If a woman's saying no, 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 and then
Right.
she starts liking
Yeah.
it, is that rape? Because
Yeah.
it kind of is, especially if you got a good editor.
It's so hard because like 4 years ago, we know from comics like what the hot topics were, and it was fucking 50 Shades of Grey, where we
Yes.
literally
Yeah.
we were going, when we say no, we mean yes. That was literally like the.
If you have a helicopter and you're a billionaire.
It's another great bit. It's
oh, I
another
thought
great
a
bit.
Honda and a bag of Funyuns? No?
It's
Okay.
another great bit that Burr has, where he goes, "No always means no." He's like, "No, it doesn't." Sometimes, like, "No,
Right.
stop,
Right.
no, stop." It's
really hard,
That's true, and
Right.
but on paper, it's not. Like
Yeah.
you look at it in quotes, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's not cool.
Do you know about the consent condoms? I was working on
Oh,
a bit about this
Jesus.
before.
You
They
use
have consent condoms? No. I'm allergic to not having fun.
By the way, I didn't realize until I was like 28. I thought it was a fact that guys could be allergic to latex.
Oh, that is hilarious.
No, my balls drop. It's not.
Every
it is real.
guy,
You can be allergic.
everyone.
to
Because guys would use that as an excuse to not use
Like,
a
Whitney,
condom.
you're in the wrong dating pool. These guys are all allergic to shit.
But so okay, wait. So the
Consent
condoms are you have to have 4 hands on it to open the condom.
Oh my God.
Which, by the way, if you're raping, there's probably not a condom involved. But the joke I was trying to work on is like you have to put all your hands on it like a Ouija board.
Do you love me?
And just put it into the trash because nobody's using condoms. Come on, let's make condoms harder to use. Let's put another barrier between condoms.
I don't think I've ever gotten involved in that. I'm always just like, you handle that. I don't know what's
But
going on.
people got mad. There was outrage when the condoms came out because they went, that's ableist because if people don't have hands, they can't put their hands on. And my point was, if you don't have hands, aren't you just fist fucking anyway? Aren't you like wrist fucking them? You're like stub fucking them?
We're playing a game of Jeopardy with outrage, just looking for things to be pissed about. If you're really so pissed that you need 4 hands to open up this condom because you only have one hand, or
Right.
someone out there only has one hand, that's a crazy thing to get upset about.
Also, get a
wild.
friend. They'll lend you a hand.
But it's also,
Yeah.
I think it's
Call your
on
mom.
it's on us to stop taking the outrage seriously.
we have to just
Yeah.
ignore it.
We have
honestly.
to ignore it. It's not that big of a
But
deal.
it's a game. I mean, it's find a thing that you could be upset about. Find it. You don't have to actually be upset.
I got in trouble, and I'm exaggerating. It wasn't that bad, but I said basket case. Basket case.
Oh, you told me this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
What was
So
it?
basket case, because basket case refers to soldiers in World War I that had all of their limbs removed. They could fit in a basket. They'd call them a basket case. And I was like, I said something where I was like, if you insult yourself, it's a self-deprecating thing. I'm saying I'm crazy. I'm a basket case, and they're like, you're offending World War I soldiers. I'm like, no, I'm offending myself.
First of all,
Yeah.
they're all dead.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're
And
fine.
Well, remember when
Second of all,
Natasha
like,
got in trouble?
For
She was saying something. It was
Spaz?
Veterans Day or something, and it was about. She's made some it was like SpaghettiOs or something. She's like, yeah, the only thing they can eat or something that they can eat without have teeth or something. And it was like, people are like, how dare you? And it's like, but they are elderly, and it's
Yeah.
not. She's just making a joke, and then she she put out an apology that wasn't an apology, and it was very good.
Yeah, I mean, we need
It was
sports
really
back.
good.
We
Like,
need
she was like, I'm
sports. I
not
think this is what
apologizing.
happens when sports goes away.
How about this is what happens when everything's gone away?
Yeah.
This is like the vibration of the country
This
is
was
a
already
different
happening,
vibration.
though.
It was already happening, but this accentuated it in a big way. The vibration's so off. All the unemployed. Did you read, James Altucher, the guy who, he's one of the owners
Yeah.
of Stand Up New York?
Yeah.
Did you read the article that he wrote about New York? He's like, New York City is dead forever and it's not coming back.
Yes.
And it's fucking terrifying.
Yes.
And it's true. And it's accurate. And I think that's the same with LA, and I think it's the same with a lot of people. And
Yeah.
people are on fucking tilt right now.
Do you think,
so
though-
everything
You're
makes
like,
them
but
upset.
Austin's so cool.
Dude, Austin's dope. But do you think that the sort of modern day Coliseum is Twitter? Like, we've always had this in us. We've always wanted to watch people get torn apart, right?
No, I think it's a totally new thing. It's
Yeah.
not just watching people get torn apart. It's the ability to participate, and
Right.
it's also it's
like having stock and taking someone down.
It's
Yeah.
you're getting addicted to this weird feedback loop that the book Irresistible talks
Yeah.
about. You're putting something out there, and then you're reading the response, and
Yeah.
you're addicted to how many likes and retweets and shit you get.
And I think you feel addicted to feeling part of something. Like, I
Yes.
helped take that
Right.
person down. I was a part of that.
I'm an
Yeah.
activist.
Yeah.
Hashtag
Oh, activists. People have it in their like
They-
bios now. They're like
Yes.
activists.
What
Like, ew,
qualifies
what?
you as an activist?
They
Where do you-
complain a lot. They complain a lot, and they try to get people canceled.
When I
We
see
used to
activists,
call-
I go,
we used to
"I'm
call that
good."
just like you're an obnoxious complainer.
Yeah,
Well, we were talking
you're the
about the
people
other
like, do
day.
you like the environment? You're like, oh fuck, of course I like the environment, but I got to go to Whole Foods. Leave
when
me alone.
actors don't get any attention
Yeah.
anymore, they become activists, and this is a really common thing with
Yeah.
the people that are just pure narcissists.
I just
you
feel
see them like supporting these fucking
But what are
causes.
your qualifications? Like what? Like
You don't
what
have to have
If
If
you,
you
qualifies you?
I just feel like if you want to get the ultimate virtue signaling and the best way to be like a good person, because I do believe all of this is like a fear of death, and people want to like live on
Terror
past their
management,
life.
yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, if I do all this good stuff, like when I die, like all the news will talk about me and they'll celebrate my birthday or whatever, and I'll live on forever. But if you think about oh my God, I'm having an ADD moment. What was I talking about?
ADD?
ADD?
You were talking about cancel culture?
Cancel culture.
Activism.
Activism. The best way to do it is the way that George Michael did it, where he was underground amazing. He was like giving to these charities. He was like a silent philanthropist. So
Yeah.
then if you really want that attention, which I'm not saying that's what he did, when he died, it came out that he was like
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the glory of being on this earth, like everyone being like, wow, you're like, that's so amazing that you donated this much.
donations, yeah.
When people post their donations, it's so gross.
He did it for the right reasons. Tax
He just
write-offs.
I'm not rich enough to understand
I mean,
these
I
things.
think people don't understand. Like when you see a celebrity give a huge tax or donation, everyone's like, "They're so amazing." It's like, well, that's also a write-off for them. So
Oh my God.
they have to give a certain amount of
can't
charity.
wait to
a
learn about
year.
this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just so transparent and gross when you see people trying so hard to get people to think they're virtuous, and that's what it is.
It's
like,
disgusting.
but when you see people do it that you know are pure narcissists,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
offensive.
Yeah.
But I felt like during Black Lives Matter, I was so conflicted because I did want to, I was like, I don't want people to, I want people to have equality, and I do believe there's systematic racism and or systemic, I said it wrong. Uneducated. Mom and Dad, not mad at you anymore, but you did fucking send me to shitty schools. But no, but I do believe in that. But like with the black square, I ended up posting it, and then the reason I was so mad at myself is because I'll do the thing, but I always want there to be an element of jokes because I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
So I realized after I posted it, what I should have done was repost Rachel Dolezal's black square, and then it would have had like in the corner,
would've
it would have
been
said, and I fucking missed that opportunity. But people were like, "You're virtuous," and it's like I do want to let it be known that I'm willing to like lose followers over.
But you have to also know what like their motive in doing it. It's so clear when someone's doing it and it's self-serving.
Right.
It's like when someone dies and you see them post a picture of them and the person that died.
Right.
It's like, did you just go into your iCloud and be like, "Where's that photo of me and the
Dude,
dead famous
when
person?"
Joan Rivers died, someone posted a comic poster who's terrible, posted a thing that was like, I'm gonna miss Joan Rivers once she saw me perform and told me how amazing I was, and you're just like,
How are
You're
you managing to
crazy.
make this death about you? When
There's nothing grosser than when someone talks about how much someone who died loved
them.
Yep.
loved them, thought they were awesome.
right.
Remember
it's so
when
weird.
Notre Dame was burning and everyone was posting photos of them at Notre Dame, bragging about you're just bragging about your. None of them went in. None of them waited in line to go in. They were outside, like fuck that line. I don't need to see the
Yeah.
inside. And then as soon as it caught on fire, everyone was like, "This was me." It
Well,
was so
during the
beautiful."
protest, people were canceling like the the people taking selfies with the.
Well, they were taking selfies and then going home and not
Yeah.
actually protesting. I saw
So
because I was
funny.
at one of the protests and people would come and take a picture and just dart out. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, I
dart.
told Donnell, I was like, if you need my white body to jump in front of you, because they were showing like videos of like white girls like going in front of black guys when the cops would come over to stand in front of them as a white shield. I was like,
Oh my God.
I was like, Donnell, I'll stand in front. I'll use my white body in front of you, but only when the camera's on. Like I just like jump in front, like get my photo op, and then I'm like, all right.
So ridiculous. But yeah, I think it's just like a matter of motives, and it is so clear when someone's using it to
Right.
advance their own agenda.
Well,
I
it's just
think
that
we're
was the
all
dance.
addicted to attention.
That's right.
I love attention, I'm not gonna
Social
lie.
media is the big attention fix, and everybody's hooked on it.
Imagine thinking that imagine like being on a soap opera and thinking someone wants your take
Yeah.
on politics. Like imagine being an
I
actress.
think they think it's a career move. I really do. I think when you
Yeah.
want to support the right candidate, or you want to support the right bill, or you
Trump
want
had
to.
0 celebrities. Scott Baio. So yeah, 0.
Well, look at.
He had 0.
Well,
Yeah.
Trump had
at-
0 celebrities.
Yeah, Kanye eventually, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I know. Uh-oh. Is he coming on?
I don't think so.
The irony that celebrities think they're helping when in reality they're harming. The fact
Yeah.
that they didn't go like, oh, this is why people hated Hillary, a big
Well,
part
look
of it.
at how. That's why Ricky Gervais is so funny, like
Love
calling
him.
everyone out at the
Yeah.
Loved
award
him.
ceremonies because they were all.
Amazing.
They're all like, "Fuck Harvey Weinstein." Time's up. I'm like, "Your friend from last year,"
Well, how many of them have videos of them thanking him at the Academy Awards? That's what's
and then they were all like,
crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
There's so many people thanking Harvey Weinstein.
How pissed
so
is he?
Many.
He's so mad. He's like, "You fucking assholes."
But he probably was like, I never saw this coming. And
Yeah.
who would have ever thought that I could get taken down with all those videos of all those people?
Yeah.
Like Meryl Streep saying how amazing I am. All these people saying
Yeah.
how amazing he is.
Yeah.
Still got taken down.
Remember how crazy that was? I remember being at the Comedy Store when Ricky Gervais was doing that, and I posted, "Oh, everyone's mad at Ricky Gervais," which probably means he told some jokes. Like
Right.
I tweeted that or
Right.
something. Ben Shapiro was tweeting it. Like Candace Owens was. All of a sudden, I was alt-right because I was defending jokes.
He knows about this.
Yeah.
Why
I saw
are you
that.
alt-right if you're pro-comedy?
Because they're not being real.
Yeah.
They're not being honest. They just
Right.
they just want to box you into a corner and label you, and then play this game to see how many people retweet it and where it goes and whether they can get you canceled. No one wants nuance. Well, not no one. That I don't
That's-
want
yeah.
it. Then
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, I know.
generalizing.
Yeah,
Same thing.
about nuance,
But
but-
that's a lot of it. What it is, it's like they just look at you as a target.
I read on somewhere that 22% of people are on Twitter, and of that, 2% generate 80% of the comments.
Yeah.
So it's also such a small group.
And they're
And
all
it's Tim
mentally ill.
Dillon.
There's a
Tim
lot of them
Dillon's
are
the-
mentally ill, like legitimately mentally ill, like depressed, anxious, fucked up, checking their
Oh,
shit constantly.
addicted to
Literally
adrenaline.
on their bios, it'll say proud mental
health
health
advocate.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
like,
They, them.
I always get
Yeah.
someone that is like, "You're a busted whore," and I always want to like go to their page, and it's always like, "Proud father." And I'm like,
how about when a girl who's so obviously a woman writes that she identifies as her, she, and you're like,
Yeah,
what? Of
hilarious.
course. If it's a different thing, show me. Like
My
if you
favorite is they, them. If you write they, them on your bio, I'm your friend. I love it. You're a they.
I mean, I think that we have to stop taking cancel culture. Like, we have to stop giving it airtime. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? We have to stop. We
Not
can tell
really.
jokes.
Marina
we can be
Franklin-
Mocking it is what's important. Like
Yeah,
we're
no,
doing
I mean
Marina
talking about it
Franklin-
like this, but I mean, I just like when everyone's like, "We can't do jokes." Yes, you can. Fucking do them. Just
Yes.
keep doing
Marina
them.
Franklin has a joke that I'm going to butcher it, but it's something along. Do you know her? She's a
Yeah, I
black
love her in
Yeah,
New York.
she's so funny. Okay, so she goes, I can't use people's correct pronouns because then I just sound like a slave. If I'm like they, that, you know what I mean? She's doing like slave voice.
That's
But
hilarious.
when you get into a comedy
butchered
club
it.
and
It's
start
very
telling
good.
jokes, people want to laugh. Other comics might not want to, journalists might not want to, justice warriors might not want to, but the average person is like not on Twitter every day attacking
Right.
comedians.
Yeah, well, people trying to be offended. That's what we were
Yeah.
talking about earlier. It's not that they're actually offended. They're trying to be offended, and then it becomes a game. Find things that are targets.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it actually offending you? Is that what you're talking about?
Right.
Or have you found a valid target, and now you're just going after it? Because this is the game. You're like,
Yeah.
you sank my battleship. They're playing a little weird game.
Makes them feel important or something. And then the most annoying fucking thing I get is whenever I like laugh at an offensive joke and someone goes, "You're enabling." Like, oh, so I'm the problem?
Right.
But you
I-
also
yeah.
got to realize, like, even invalid criticism, it's still valid. Like, to that dummy, that's like a valid piece of criticism.
Right.
Like, we can't silence them either.
Right.
Because the whole thing is mocking them, right? Like, mock it so it like you expose it for what you really think it is. but they have to be able to do that too, so we can figure out where the line really is.
Yeah.
This is what a lot of people that are really super liberal don't understand, why they think it's a good idea to silence and deplatform conservative people. It's a terrible idea, because then you don't develop the proper arguments for what they're developing.
Yeah.
Like, the way these things are supposed to go is someone says something like, you're an enabler, and you're like, shut the fuck up.
Right.
And then everybody's like, ah,
Yeah.
they laugh at you, and then
Yeah.
that person looks like a moron, and then someone has a valid piece of criticism,
Right.
and then the comic kind of looks like a dick, and then maybe and then you figure out
Yeah.
what we actually agree on, instead of using buzzwords and using like little things that people say to just find a target.
We both have to exist.
Yes.
For us both to
Yeah.
exist.
That's
And,
the only way we figure it out, and a lot of those people are going to get out of that, and they're going to be your friend one day.
And also, you're allowed, like you're not better than other people because you think a certain way. There's so many people that are like, I'm right, obviously, and you're wrong, obviously, and it's like that's not how things work.
Right. Mhm.
And with all the canceling, all the Twitter stuff, they're going down this line of which now we've given them with Twitter.
Right.
You're just giving people a transcript of like all the shit you've said over the years, but it's like you're expected to have this perfect record. Like you're never
Yeah.
supposed. We're flawed
purity
humans.
test.
That's
Yeah.
how we
Yeah.
learn. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. It's through adversity. We
Yeah.
learn. We fuck up. We fail. We get back up. And there's no room for that anymore.
But it's also, here's the thing, like, why are you spending so much time complaining about other people all day? I'll tell you why, because you're not healthy.
That's
Right.
right.
Like,
That's
you're not
right.
doing smart things. If I look at your Twitter timeline and I'm seeing tweets 12 hours a day, you're a crazy
You're addicted,
person.
Right.
Yeah.
You might not realize you're a crazy person.
Do you think
but
there'll be a day where we will look back and go, remember when anyone could get on Twitter at
Yes.
any time? You think there's going to be like
No.
smoking? There's going to
No.
be like restrictions?
I think Twitter is going to be like Blockbuster Video. I think we're going to
Yeah.
look back. Remember when we used to communicate through Twitter? Like, oh my God, it was so toxic. Everybody was so mean. We're going to hit some new thing next that's going to allow people to read each other's minds, or Elon
Right.
Musk's Neuralink, which he's talking about,
Yeah.
communicating with no words. We're going to hit that, and it's going to make this seem like nonsense.
Yeah.
Because what we're lacking in, this is one of the things that in that book, Irresistible, there's no empathy
Right.
in these conversations, and that's the big part of the problem. It's like you don't see the people, you don't
That's
feel their
right.
pain, so you can say horrible shit to them. It's the vast majority of the way people are communicating, like for a lot of people.
Right.
It's the
Yeah.
vast majority of their communication is text messages
Right.
and tweets, and none of it is person to person. Like,
Well-
these kids are arguing with each other through text because they don't want to look at each other and talk like human beings. But that's
Ironically-
the only way you develop and grow as a person.
Louis did like a whole kind of bit on one of the late shows before obviously the canceling. But he was talking about that, he's like, you need to see someone's feelings be hurt to realize that your
Right.
words have a specific type of impact on people.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you decide like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah,
like
I
I don't
don't
want
feel
to.
that.
But if you just are shooting these things out and they're going into this void and
You get praised from them by other
Yeah.
twats who are sitting at home by themselves.
You get
Like,
egged
yeah, cancel her.
they're so
Wild.
excited about it. They
Mob.
love it.
Like little mobs. Mobs.
It's
That's
a
what it
drug.
is.
I mean, it is a drug. You do feel high, and
Yes.
I gotta say, it's like the same way when you drive by a car accident. You're like, oh, I hope I see everybody. You know,
Yeah.
you kind of like want to see some fucked
Yeah.
up shit. Like when I see that someone, you know, they do these like so and so is over party, which is so fucked up when you think about it. But I'm always like pure adrenaline, and I can't help myself.
Oh my
Well,
God,
and
a
people that
bunch
are
of female
bored.
comedians who are like some that would probably say the Comedy Store sucks. They did a retirement party for men where it was like all these like comics that aren't past at actual clubs, female comics.
Yeah.
And they had like a banner and it was like bye men or whatever. It was like 2 years ago. I'm like,
That's
oh
adorable.
God.
That sounds like a good use
I
of their
went,
time. Maybe
"Oh,
write some
God,
fucking jokes.
Write some fucking jokes. We'll let
Super
you
healthy.
in. All we want is you to be fun. Like,
Yeah.
we'll let you in.
And
Super funny.
Andy and I were, you know, bonding a lot over the break about sort of like, you know, no one's been meaner to us in this business than women.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like no one wants to have that uncomfortable conversation
Yeah,
either.
where it's
you know,
like,
there's
just chill, like,
yeah. It's
all
not men
good.
versus women. It's bad versus good.
Yeah.
Good men and good men versus bad women and bad men.
Again, it's like we live in generalizations. So what
Yeah.
we do, we love generalizations, and we don't like nuance because it makes us forces us to look at our own ideas.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
You know, just because men are doing well in a business and you're not, it doesn't mean the men have some sort of a conspiracy. You know, I think it's harder for a woman to be a comic. I do. And I think it's harder because of society. I think it's more difficult to talk about things that are important. Like a man can talk about politics. It is very difficult for a woman to go on stage and talk about politics. Men can talk about sex and they don't look like they're a slut or damaged.
I think
For
if
a
you're,
woman to
I think
talk
if you're
about it, a woman
unattractive,
has to.
you can. If you're an unattractive
I was
woman,
going
you
to
can
get
talk
to
about
that.
sex. Oh, sorry.
A woman, like there was Christopher Hitchens. Christopher Hitchens had a bit in Vanity Fair, wrote a story, Women Aren't Funny. And
That's right.
It was like this really sort of takedown of like the kind of comedy that a woman has to do to be funny. They have to be butchy or it has to be male kind of comedy. I don't necessarily agree with him because I think there's a lot of women that are really funny, but I think it's a harder path. I think it's a more narrow keyhole you're shooting through. Whereas a guy, I think in general, audiences will accept a man telling them what's wrong. Whereas I think a lot of men, in particular on dates, do not want to hear a woman, especially an attractive one, tell the guy in the audience that he's wrong about something.
Well, I think women are naturally more empathetic, can tend to be more empathetic just because we're mothers, we're nurturers, we're caregivers. And so we're more
we're
willing.
not, but okay.
We're barren and we have to do comedy. Whenever like Joey said something, he's like, "You're smart. You're like you know, you're like one of the guys. Like you fit in with." I'm like, "You fit in with me, bitch. Like this is how I am." But it's like I keep forgetting. I've got to stop smoking weed. It's like early on.
That that females are more empathetic.
Right, we're more empathetic, so we're
maternal.
more willing to listen to a guy talk about his day jerking off or anything like one of those things that maybe we wouldn't have the experience of having as a woman, but guys are less interested in hearing about ours.
Wasn't one of the points that Hitchens was making that we're wired to worry about women if they hurt themselves, and so much of comedy is talking about, I hurt myself, I made this mistake, that it's sort of like we're wired to be protective of them, so it's not funny. Like if a man slips on a banana peel, it's funny. If a woman slips on a banana peel, it's like, are you okay?
I don't think there's any one factor. I think there's a bunch of factors, but I think that's it too.
Yeah.
I think that factors in too. But I think the big one is men don't want to hear women talking about things like opinions on politics or opinions on money or opinions on they get mad. You know, a lot of guys are like, they'll get that thing, especially young guys, and young guys on dates that want to look like a cool guy, and some girl saying something like, "Here's the fucking problem with men."
Yeah.
This bitch.
Yeah,
it's
interesting.
Like if you don't vote for Biden, you ain't black.
Yeah.
Or whatever they want to say.
That was fucking wild. I remember
that was so wild.
Dude, Charlemagne was like, I'm trying to help. Like, but
yeah, Charlemagne was like, damn.
I love Charlemagne.
I do too, but it had to be in his head. He had to be like, damn, that's a good clip right there.
It was right.
Yeah,
He's
like,
like, bam, 10 million hits.
That's gonna do.
Got it.
Very
Bad
well.
for America, possibly.
I remember,
Good
though,
for me.
do
I
you
don't know if
remember?
it's bad for America.
We'll see.
Do you remember a time when we were doing stand-up and people would intro us as, "So are you guys ready for a lady?" That's how they would introduce us.
And then I'm like, you're going to be really, this is not going to be very ladylike, sorry.
Which is their way of saying, if you guys need to go to the bathroom or fill your meter, now's the time.
That was what we talked about the other night, the word comedian. That used to be a word.
I get that a lot. People say it it's ironic because it's like the New York Times and like really fancy journalists will say comedian. And I'm like, are you supposed to be the most wokest of the woke and progressive? Is that supposed to be sophisticated?
A lot of people don't even like actress anymore. They just say actor.
I'm an actor.
Yeah, because a female could be an actor
just
too.
don't
It's
care.
like-
They prefer activist.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind being like treated like because it's an opportunity to make a joke. You
Yeah,
know, like when they
always,
bring you on. I was
always.
saying before, like sometimes
Always.
Jason Galern is a comic. He'll bring me on and be like, this
Right.
next sexy. And I'm always like, ew. But instead of getting offended, I just go on stage and I always go, when we were out in the parking lot one night, he said, if my wife were dead, I'd fuck the shit out of me. And I was like, if I was dead, possibly you could fuck the shit out of me. And it always gets a laugh. It makes it less uncomfortable.
Right.
It's like our job
fun.
is to like
Make fun.
yeah,
Yes.
like of a weird situation, like not go like I'm deeply like why would I be offended? Who cares?
Yeah.
And it's fun to come on in a hole sometimes and dig out. It's fun.
It's just definitely some way to break the ice.
Yeah. And there's also like, I remember when I first started and everyone's like, I look back and I'm like, people are like, oh, women aren't funny and women aren't funny. I was like, I wasn't funny when I started. No one's funny when they fucking
I was
start.
so
you
funny
know?
when I started. And so hot. Everyone's molesting me and laughing at my
I know,
jokes.
Jesus, Annie. But I remember being so offended when people were like, women aren't funny and,
Yeah.
I couldn't get stage time because because I didn't deserve stage
Right.
time.
But there's a lot of guys that are not funny too.
Yeah,
it's
it's
not.
true.
Of course.
It's not isolated to any gender, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of women that are funny, and
Yeah.
that's why the whole thing is so offensive because it's to the people that have already gotten through and become professional comics, and they know what the real deal is. The real deal is you like everybody who's funny.
Yeah.
That's the real deal. Real deal is everybody is kind of really cool to each other that are really funny.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
no
and
one
you make fun. It's
Yeah,
fun.
whether it's
just
Michelle
so
Wolf
fun.
or whoever is a killer, Fortune, Femster,
Oh,
whoever,
so funny.
anybody
only
who's a killer.
haired. They're only curly haired women.
That's
Sorry.
what I think of. I think of funny. Bozo.
yeah, Carrot Top.
But no one. I mean, all those people are just accepted.
That's right.
Because
Yeah.
they're funny.
Yeah.
Nobody pays money, drives out to a comedy show, gets a date, pays a 2-drink minimum, and then wants to like intentionally not laugh at someone.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. They want you to win.
But I think a lot of guys have a hard time with women being in control. I really do.
Yeah.
I know a lot of guys. That's what they. I'm like, she's hilarious. I don't know. She fucking talks about this too much or politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just no.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no off limits. It's just
Yeah.
funny is funny. You can talk about anything. There's no.
Yeah.
There's no. You remember there used to be male political comedians like Will Durst. Like his whole act would be political, or Randy Credico. The
Right.
whole act was political. Jimmy Tingle was very political. There's never a woman comic like that.
No, there's like talk shows like Samantha Bee or like,
Right.
you know, shows like talk
Talk
shows.
show.
better.
But
yeah.
even
like
Samantha
in a
Bee,
club
like-
in an audience.
When Samantha Bee had, I remember when they were first running the ad campaign for the show coming out.
Yeah.
They still were doing things that where it was like, they had her have like these big balls or something. They
Yeah.
were like playing so much on the gender thing where it's almost like, just do the show and don't. Which, by the way, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Obviously, she has a successful show, but it's like,
Yeah.
let's just be women doing a thing and not
Yeah.
have to talk about the fact that
Stop
we're women doing a
reminding
thing.
them
Yeah.
all the time.
Well, when you're a woman and you're in a position of power like that, you kind of have to like be the one who takes control and like if there's
Right.
an issue that needs to be discussed, you kind of have to call it out on your
Yeah.
show.
Right.
It's like it's not like if a guy is doing a show like a Jimmy Tingle or not Jimmy Tingle, Jimmy
You
Fallon.
gotta stop saying Tingle. It's like too. It's such a
know he is?
silly
It's
name.
making me
No, but
feel
it's the silliest
weird.
name I've ever heard. I
He's
feel
one of those
uncomfortable.
guys from Boston when I first started who was a brilliant comedian. But anyway, a male comic doesn't feel like they have to defend men.
Right.
Like if another male comic is getting shit on, they don't feel like they have to jump into the fray. Hey, us guys have to stick together.
Yeah.
But women do.
I
Like,
don't think I don't. I
not
feel
you,
like, but I
but
feel like
you're
it's like
barren.
fun. I don't have the parts. I don't have tits and I
Should
don't
you
have
be
eggs.
allowed to say Barron with Barron Trump around?
I
Is
know, I'm
that
offended.
offensive to Trump's kid? Like for
That's
real.
so interesting.
Like
I never-
imagine,
that
like
would
if it
be-
becomes a word that like, hey, you
You
know,
can no
that's
longer
not
say
cool.
that.
I feel like that's the least of his problems.
Just say
but yeah.
infertile. You have other words.
Right.
Use the right
Use
ones.
the very long ones that
Oh,
take
are we
much
going to ask
longer.
Joe
to...
about our proposition for your
Oh.
eggs?
Well, I was telling her you two are the ones that have made me freak out the most about whether I can have kids or not.
So do you want to go halvesies on freezing her eggs?
You want to freeze your eggs?
Well, you both were like, if you're gonna have kids, you better have them soon. She was like, freeze your eggs today. I was like, can I borrow money for the Uber at least? Like,
There's no more Uber in LA as of today.
oh really?
They shut Uber and Lyft down.
Cool.
Yeah, because
Okay.
Because of COVID, there's nothing to do. And they're not making any money.
Because the regulations, the state government wants to put on people. They want them all to be employees. Yeah.
But they're using the COVID as the.
No, they're not using COVID as
Oh.
it. It's just they just passed it, and Uber and Lyft are both pulling out of California, which is going to mean how many people are going to have to drive drunk now?
Wow,
How
it's
many
exactly
people
right.
are
And then
not
so many people's
gonna have jobs?
jobs.
Exactly. How many people who are barely getting by anyway? All of a
Oh
sudden,
my God.
the carpet got pulled out from under them. And there's a lot of people that are at least they're doing Uber and they're driving people around. They're getting.
How many comics are going to lose all of their setups
I-
now that they don't have Uber drivers to talk about?
I mean, we only can hope that they come to their senses and realize how crazy this is in this time to take any job away. But I
Wow.
think the problem is some people want it because they want health insurance and they want all sorts of
Okay.
protections as an employee.
Right.
But it's a gig, you know. That's what they
Yeah.
call it, like gig employment, right?
Right.
It's not a job. It's not
Right,
a
it's-
career.
yep.
It's just a gig.
Yeah.
And you can make a lot of money doing it part time. And they're like, nah, fuck you. You're making a lot of money. They're not making as much money. You need to give them some of that money. They need to be employees. I get the argument.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Isn't Airbnb not allowed to because of COVID right now?
No, I don't think that's true because I know people have used Airbnb.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna
But
say
I
it's like
think
everyone's like
You
side
spray
gigs are
things
fucked.
and shit,
Yeah.
but I bet they're hurting though. I bet a lot
Yeah.
of people don't want to do it. But the thing about the Uber and the Lyft thing, it's like I see both ways because it's like how much money do they make off that app, and how do they divvy that shit up?
yeah.
I see a lot of those drivers in Teslas, and I'm like, you must be making some money.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just a person who wants a Tesla
Yeah.
and says, if I just work 10 hours a day, I can afford a
Right,
Tesla.
right.
But the thing is, like, who's the Uber people and the Lyft, the people that own the company? How much are they making?
Tons.
But just having an app.
Yeah, and
know
I
what
think
mean?
they're not good. I don't think they give a great percentage to the.
I started not liking Uber when the drivers could rate you back.
They can rate you back.
They can rate you back.
Oh, that's
and
weird.
I would just get in the Uber sometimes and say nothing. I'd be going to the Comedy Store, working on my act, and sometimes people do want to chat, and I'm just really quiet, and then I would get like
They say
4 stars.
They say you're
maybe
a bitch.
they didn't
Yes.
like. Maybe they didn't like your special. They're
I,
like, we knew she
trust me,
was.
if I talk, it's going to be much worse.
Does Lyft do the same thing? They have that.
I
as
don't.
well?
I would only have done Uber, but does Lyft have it? The rating?
I don't know. I got canceled. I got kicked off of Lyft because I was. The driver almost ran my foot over once, and I left a message on his answering machine like, "I hope you rot in fucking hell." And then they said I abused him, and then they asked why, and I just went, "Honestly, I'm PMSing," and they didn't. That wasn't a good. I was like, honestly, he almost hurt me, and I'm on my period, and I'm really
They almost
mad.
drove over your fucking foot.
Weren't they
though.
trying? Weren't they trying to change what PMS is called because it was offensive? It was not instead of
To people
It's
who
mean to
menstruate?
night-
to people who
time.
menstruate. It wasn't it post menstrual dysmorphia? Aren't they calling it that now? Didn't we change
Dysmorphia?
Yeah, dysmorphia.
Body dysmorphia. Yeah, they were trying to put tampons in the men's bathroom at Yale because they said sometimes men menstruate.
I think the last time I was on this podcast, we talked about
I think
this.
we talked about it. It's adorable.
It's so weird. It's just like-
Sometimes
cute.
women don't.
Do you know
I'm
what
on
the
an
weird
IUD.
thing is, though? It's like, it's not like being anti-trans. It's just you're not allowed to talk about it at all unless you're like completely on the side of I don't even want to say it. I don't
Right,
want to say
I know.
it. I don't
You're
want to talk
getting
about
canceled.
it.
I
It's
see
like
you getting canceled.
You can't just go like, I'm standing outside of this situation, and I this side is saying this, and this side is saying that, and you can't because then they're like, you're
Right.
transphobic
And if you ask
or
a
something. It's like
question,
you're not
you're-
Here's what you can
transphobic.
say. Here's what you can say. We put tampons in the men's room because sometimes trans women use the men's room and they can still get their period. That's an accurate way of
Right.
saying that. That's a real way. You can say that. Holla.
Is it
Annie,
me?
you're-
It's not me. It's not me.
You're a mess.
Is that
It wasn't
Jamie?
me.
That's you.
That's me.
Ah!
You fucking bitch,
That is
dude.
always the best.
I'm
She's
when
such a
someone
cunt. Did you
shits
see
on
that?
you, when someone shits on you for something
Whitney, you're
that's
trash.
You're the only
You're
two people I
trash.
talk
Everyone's
to. I
on-
can't
Oh,
imagine
I've
who's calling me. You're the only two
It's
people I talk
definitely
to.
Esther. It's a little Esther being like, "You guys are there without me."
I know it's Tim Dillon being like,
I
"Fucking
have
talk
a
about me."
very distinctive ring, so if you call me, I know exactly what it
I
is.
usually have
so
it on
funny.
silent.
I have the T-Rex roar.
Really?
Yeah. So
Oh my
when someone
God.
calls me, it roars.
Dude, when are we ever going to see you again, Joe? I'm actually starting to get sad.
Come
No, it's
visit.
disgusting.
Come visit. I'll come back.
I only fly private now since I did the podcast twice. This is my second Rogan. Now I fly private.
But my favorite part of Austin is it has the largest population of bats.
Yeah,
In
a lot of
North
fucking
America?
bats.
Oh, good,
It's
great.
crazy.
The thing
Yeah.
that gave us Corona.
Don't eat any
No,
of them.
not Chinese people. Bats. Jesus.
The
That's
bats
so
are
racist.
under-
You're
It's
canceled.
scientists. It's
Canceled.
Under
scientists.
a bridge, and every
Did I say
night they
people?
fly
I
out.
meant scientists.
Cancel science. Cancel science.
I meant Chinese scientists.
Have you seen them fly out from under that
Yeah,
bridge?
it's wild. Yeah, at dusk.
So cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. As soon as it starts turning dark out, they fly out. I mean, millions of them.
Yeah,
It's
I went
wild.
The
kayaking.
largest
That's what it
in North
looks like.
America. Look
Look
at
it
that.
up.
Look at that. Largest
What's
number of
the
bats in North
festival
America.
that's so fun that's in Austin? What's it called?
Moon Tower?
Moon Tower.
But what isn't Austin the only city that still operates moon towers?
I don't know.
It is.
I don't know.
I believe it is. I never want to.
I've never done any of those.
Yeah, those are good. And the Austin City Limits is another one. It also has the only nude beach in Texas. I do know that. So you.
I've
can go
done
in.
Austin City Limits. I've done that theater, the big theater there.
Yeah.
What is the theater there?
Paramount.
Is that what it is?
Is that the one
There's
you can
Paramount
drink
City.
and
Yeah.
you can?
I don't know, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
God,
gorgeous
Austin's
inside. Is
so-
that at the Paramount Theater in Austin? It's fucking.
It's so
It's so
fun. Yeah,
pretty.
no, Moonlight Towers. Austin
Only
is.
known surviving moonlight towers in the world. What does that mean?
I don't know.
What is
They
a moonlight
go
tower?
on at night, and
Oh.
it creates light. As if it was the moon. They're
I don't
everywhere.
like
They're
seeing only
beautiful.
known surviving, and then there's a picture of Brody. I hate that and a gun under him.
Jesus Christ.
It's like fuck.
Jesus
I got my
Christ.
Brody pin, by the way.
Hey.
Rock pins. Got
That's
one.
Have you been to
Enjoy it.
Austin before?
Yeah, I did the Moon Tower.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, they let me do festivals sometimes.
We're gonna come. We're gonna come. Let Joe
It's
hunt
so
us.
fun, yeah.
Come visit.
Well, we're gonna take over your studio for our podcast
Trauma bonding.
Bond.
Trauma bonding.
Well, no, you already have one with Bonnie. Now I'm jealous.
Well, you're gonna be
Uh-oh.
on it, and we're just doing 6. It's a limited series.
Do you
I
think
am
Bonnie's
gonna-
going to try to put a wedge between you two? 'Cause I
No,
think
Bonnie's
she
gonna love
is.
it. Bonnie's the coolest.
She's such a
I talk to
beast.
Bonnie every day. We laugh She's the fucking quickest, funniest bitch
She's
in
awesome.
the world.
And
Did you
her
ever see
movie is a
documentary?
great
It's so
example of what
good.
we're talking about. Women aren't funny. It's
Dude,
a fucking
when
awesome
she dressed up
documentary.
like a guy and went on
Yes.
stage, she looked like
Yes.
Rafi, who we were talking about the other day.
A little bit, yeah.
She looked just
Something
like
that
him.
made me laugh so hard at that documentary is when she was like, well, there are some women that aren't funny. And because
Yeah.
there's less
Yeah.
of us, you can make a sort of stereotype based on one person. So she's like,
Perfect.
we don't need to get more women in comedy. We just have to ask the people that suck to quit.
Yeah.
So she called up a bunch of female comics and she was like, hey, can you stop doing stand-up? It's ruining it for the rest of
You know what my feelings are? It's not the people that suck. It's the people that aren't that good. Those are the dangerous ones. It's not the ones that suck.
Interesting.
Because the ones that suck, everybody knows they suck, and
Yeah.
they just kind of never happens.
not about gender.
It's the ones that are just fucking shaky.
No, it's the
Their-
guys.
Their premises are kind of okay. Their delivery's kind of all right. They get
So they're
some
passable,
laughs,
yeah.
but they don't get enough, and then they're angry. Those are the ones.
I think
outside
it's
the
male
walled garden.
comics' fault
that.
because if you think about the best pickup line for a male comic to hit on a female comic is "you're
That was
funny."
really funny. Yeah, you're really funny.
Yeah, like you're funny, and then girls are like I am. Like it totally worked on me so many
I
times.
don't, but see, to me, I feel like if someone says you're funny, you're not funny. If you just come off stage, like, and
If they
someone
go,
says
"You're
nothing,
nice."
that means you're funny.
Well, or I mean, look, if someone thinks you're funny, if they say it, it should register.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
The
yeah.
problem is you got that male-female dynamic.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, what's he's trying to fuck me? What is
Yeah.
this?
Well, that's why I like that you find me disgusting and you're put your tits away, you nasty bitch. So that's why when you tell me I'm funny, I'm like, okay.
I had to say that in the moment. That
There's
was a
It was
funny
so
thing to
funny.
say.
It
There's
was
something
very
amazing
funny.
about comedy that does kind of neuter us. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, it really
I don't
does.
feel sexual energy around comics. Like no
Right.
offense,
Right.
But there's
Yeah.
just something. It just feels very fraternal, and
Yeah.
I
Well,
never feel sexual around
It's
them.
what we were talking about at the Comedy Store the other night when we were doing the thing. It's like there's not that many of us.
Yeah.
There might be 1,000 of us on the planet out of 7
After this,
billion people.
maybe way less. I mean, after this pandemic.
Yeah, legitimately.
Well, they can't
A lot of
drive
people are
Lyft
gonna get
anymore. They
jobs.
got to go home.
I mean, I feel like we're going to come back and half the comics are going to have moved home. And
I'm gonna get
take another
such
job.
sweet spots at the Comedy Store now. I'm like, oh,
You will. You will. The question is how many clubs are going to be open. The Comedy
Right.
Store is going to stay open, but how many clubs will be? There's going
Yeah.
to be a lot that go under. A lot. Like maybe half of them in the country.
Yeah.
Well, a
We
lot
don't-
of what I was hearing was I kept booking dates and canceling and booking and canceling. Remember during that time when it was just chaos and
Yeah.
Right.
we didn't want to just surrender to what the fuck was happening. But a lot of clubs wanted us to book knowing we were going to have to cancel just so they could get some income. And
Oh,
then they
God.
weren't going to refund. They were just going to give you a credit.
Really?
So it was,
Oh,
I paid money
God.
to see Joe Rogan knowing he was
Just
not
to
going to
keep
be able
the
to
lights on.
And then to go, just to keep the lights on, knowing the show's never going to happen. And then you get a credit to my club
well,
when
if
Joe
Ben
cancels.
Glebe had become a president, we would have been bailed out of all of the
I
clubs.
like you say a president.
The
If Ben Glebe had become a president, that's how like out of touch you are with politics. She's like, how many of them are
Female
there?
comics doing politics.
If Ben Glebe had become a president.
It's just so weird because a lot of these clubs are barely functioning without a pandemic.
Oh yeah, like Laugh
Yeah.
Factory and like maybe some of the smaller outside clubs like Haha or Ice House.
Why did the
they're not
Comedy
doing that
Connection
great.
close in Boston all those years back?
Well, they opened up the Wilbur Theater.
Oh, it was
And,
the same,
Yeah,
Bill.
when Bill Blumenreich started doing shows at the Wilbur, the Wilbur's like what 1,200, 1,300 people. So we started getting literally like a good headliner who would sell out Faneuil Hall, which is
Yeah.
like 500 people or 400 people. You could actually, with his mail list and
Mm-hmm.
the fact that comedy's so popular in Boston, he could sell out the Wilbur.
I just remember, like, the Comedy Store OR is my favorite room in the world.
yeah, it's the best
But
room.
the Comedy Connection, that room,
The Faneuil Hall one?
the way that
amazing.
it was wide, it
Yeah.
was shallow and kind of wide with low ceilings.
Yeah, I used to get Ari Shaffir so high that he couldn't remember what he talked about, and then I'd send him on stage, and he was like, "I'm too high."
That's so mean.
No, it's fine. I go. He goes, "I shouldn't get too high." I go, "Dude, you can't get fired. You literally can't get fired."
Yeah.
I'm like, "You work for me. I know you're funny. Let's go have fun, man. Just go out
And
there."
then he
get
goes, "You
crazy."
can drug your friends."
Well, that was later. I did not approve. I was not a part of that.
Ari came to my house like a year ago and was like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, oh shit, this is probably not going to
Scary.
go well. But this is a prank waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going
Right.
to get dosed or something. And he came over and he took me on a hike and he was like, basically like, this is an intervention. You need to go get lost somewhere. Like, I want you to go to Peru for 2 months without a cell phone or something. And I was like, you're out of your fucking mind.
And
He's
he's like,
everybody
but
should do
keep,
that.
he goes, but keep tweeting controversial things while you're there.
But
You
Kobe's
need
a
an
rapist.
Yeah, Ari, you need an intervention.
Yeah, you need to get the fuck off Twitter, homie. No, but and then the fucking pandemic happened. I was like, I should have fucking done that.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
you'd be stuck in Thailand or some
Yeah,
shit
yeah,
waiting
yeah.
to come
That's
home.
true. That's true.
A lot of people got stuck in other
Why don't
countries.
you get lost in your fucking field of? You have
Well,
a.
he said it because he did it
Yeah.
himself, and he had
Yeah.
a great benefit
Yeah.
from doing it. And he's right on a lot of that
That's just because he
stuff.
was off Twitter for a couple months.
That too. But there's a real benefit for that.
Yeah.
I
You
really
know?
want to do it.
You know, there's one of the things that on one of the first comments of that when I posted that book, he was like, "I'll accept your apology."
I saw that.
Yeah.
Are you going to change your cell phone habits now that you read that book?
I already have.
Well, you know that I put on my phone because of you. I have a folder called Addict at the
yeah,
very
the
end
very
with my
end.
social media.
Yep.
But now I just scroll 7 times to get to it.
Oh,
50
you know
times
what
a day.
I do when I'm healthy? I delete all of the apps, so then you have to re-download them, and it's just this extra step that's annoying.
Yeah.
However,
I'll
what
just
I
normalize
realized
to the
is-
extra step, though.
Do you know what I realized? I would pick my phone up and I would just tap. Like I'm so addicted to just tapping.
And
I
it would
just-
start downloading.
And then immediately would download.
You know
and
what
then-
someone was telling me? This was a real doctor, Huberman, said that people, when they come out of surgery, the first thing they do when they come out of anesthesia is they grab their genitals. It's just like a
Whoa.
subconscious
Make
thing.
sure it's still there?
Yes.
Jesus.
But now they reach for their phone.
Oh my God, it's better than you, Dick.
Wow.
It's gonna be a part of your body. It's just a matter of time. We're so attached to those goddamn things. If Elon Musk really follows through with this Neuralink thing and they cut a hole in people's head the size of a quarter and stick a bunch of wires into your brain, which is literally what he said they were gonna do, and you have some Bluetooth enabled.
Like people worried about vaccines. Like hello.
But here's the thing: what he was saying is, it's going to be a massive advantage for people that have it. You're going to have much more access to information. The bandwidth in which you process information will be much thicker and wider. You're going to have
Annie
a
will be able to
whole-
remember her thoughts.
oh my
Yeah.
God, so embarrassing. Twice. One day.
But you know what it is? It's like because there's three
Yeah.
of us. We all have shit to say. It's like
I'm so excited. Everyone
Yeah.
always thinks people are on Adderall or Coke on your show
I
because
know,
it's like
they're amped
so
up.
exciting. It's so
Yeah.
fun
Just
to
the
talk to
irony,
you.
because you have 3 hours. Slow down.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I know, but it gets you the energy. Like
fun.
we're having a fun conversation. It's like I got something to say. Like you don't know when to jump
We're
in.
like
you don't wanna-
puppies that get to
Could
play
be
together.
the
finally.
caveman coffee.
So
It probably is.
Let me do my Joey Diaz impression. Hey, Joe
Please.
Rogan. I like that he calls
Hey,
you
Joe
Joe
Rogan.
Rogan. So if today someone said schools can open up, clubs can open up, venues can open up, we can go back to normal if you wear this bracelet that tells me where you are at all times, where you were last night, and who you hung out with.
This is the problem with it. The same problem with shutting down the TikTok house. It's because, okay, you shut down a house that has 200 people. What if it gets down to 5? What if they tell you have to split your family up? What if you have 10 people in your house? You can't have more than 10.
Right.
What if you have 12? If grandma comes over, can't come over? Who
Yeah.
the fuck are they
Yeah.
to tell you can't have a party? You have mismanaged this crisis so horribly
Yeah.
at every step of the way. And not just the city and not just the state, the federal government, and of course, the people that were releasing the information from Wuhan. That's the big step, because they're the ones who fucked it up, because there was a lot of legit doctors and scientists that were in Wuhan, Chinese doctors that were trying to get the word out, and they were silenced. And the main one, the first one that did it, actually wound up dying from the fucking
Crazy.
disease. It's crazy. Right? So that's the biggest fuck up. But there's fuck ups every step of the way. And one of the biggest fuck ups that's happening right now is these people being in a position of power and telling people that they can't work, telling people they can't do things, but you can protest.
You saw the governors
so you
got shut
can't-
down, right?
But yeah, I did. I
Go.
did see that. Yeah,
Crazy.
Tim Dillon was supposed to be
Yes,
there.
crazy.
Governors in Long Island, the comedy club. But you can't have a person that just because they win a popularity contest make new rules. You can't give them the power to make new rules, because everybody becomes a fucking tyrant. And that's what they're doing. All they're doing is protect people. You tell me how many fucking hospital beds you have. You tell me what the death rate
Yes.
is. And then you tell me why this is the only state in the country that can't open a beauty salon. The beauty salons can't be open right
That's
now.
crazy, yeah.
Only California. They're crazy. It's a crazy state.
And they opened them for a second and then took it away.
But this is what
and-
they're doing. This
Maybe it's because we
Lyft
don't
and
pay
Uber
enough
shit.
taxes.
That's exactly what it is.
Jesus Christ.
The
Where's all
Lyft
this-
and the Uber shit.
I never
this is
pay
a tipping
taxes.
point. This
Is that bad?
People are going to
What?
wake the fuck up. No, it's fine.
I
Just
said
don't
I
tell
never pay
anybody.
taxes. Is that bad?
If you don't say it on a podcast, nobody knows.
let's just say on paper, me and Wesley Snipes have a lot in common.
Dude, they don't fuck around. They find you.
They
No,
find you.
I'm having my. Well, I'm not talking about this actually. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. But this state is just, they're terrible at it. And the fact that they can shut down these TikTokers, we should be nervous. Not because these TikTokers are geniuses,
Yeah,
and they should
yeah.
be, but it's because who the fuck are you to say you can shut the power off?
Wow.
You can shut someone's power off?
But isn't it funny
it's a
that
slippery slope.
Yeah.
They're taking their
playing
ability
God.
to use their phone away. They're like, your phone's gonna die, and then you're fucked.
Well, they're shutting the lights off in the house. Is what
Right.
they're doing. They're cutting off the water. But if you do that, like you're saying that you have the ability to shut off essentials, things that keep people alive, water and power.
Interesting,
You're
yeah.
saying that you have the ability to tell them how they can live
Right.
in this house. And there's no real law that says you can limit the amount of people that can go to a party. I
Right.
don't think there is.
I'll tell you where this does not
Is there?
happen. Texas. No,
Yeah, no.
my mom
can't
is from
do that.
Texas. Yeah, you do not get to tell people from Texas what to fucking do.
Except don't smoke weed.
Yeah, except weed. What are we gonna do about that?
We'll figure it out.
Oh,
There's occupancy laws.
I'm going to have the, what?
Occupancy laws and shit like that. Like the amount of people that can be
Right,
inside
but
of
if,
a place.
but if you can't change them, can you? Can you make it a house? Like if a house normally has a party, like Dan Bilzerian's place,
if you're in college and you have too many people at your house, they'll come and shut it down.
right? But that's the cops, and that's not your house. That's
We get it. You went to
that's a
college,
friend house.
TikTokers
Jamie.
probably don't own the house either. They're probably renting it. They
Yeah.
don't have $10 million
Well,
to buy those houses.
If the people who own the house have some sort of a regulation, maybe I could see it. But if you, like Dan Bilzerian didn't own that house either. And the whole thing about that house that would piss off the neighbors was because he would just bus in people and they'd fill that place up and DJs and marshmallows there and shit and everybody's going crazy. But they didn't shut his power off. So they're saying they have the ability to shut your power and water off because during the pandemic, they can limit the amount of people in your house. So that's a new rule.
Wow.
Because if they were having these occupancy laws, Dan Bilzerian would have gotten shut down too.
That's right.
They're doing it because they're saying you could spread COVID this way and it's irresponsible. The problem is the way that they're doing something new.
Yeah.
They're shutting power off on someone's house that doesn't listen. They're shutting power off on someone who's having a party who doesn't obey.
But
I
didn't
don't-
they have
and
COVID?
they're doing it for press to kind of let people know what's
Yes.
up.
This
It's
is
like
the
a threat.
And this is the same fucking guy that offered rewards for people who turn folks in. Remember the whole thing?
Oh,
Snitches
yeah.
get stitches.
Yeah.
Well, now snitches get rewards. If people
Get
aren't
riches.
social distancing, if people
Stitches
are having
get riches.
parties, and that was for small parties.
That's right.
Remember? That was for people having fucking barbecues. This shit is slippery.
Do you think I'm going to get shut? Because I'm starting a stand-up show in my backyard. Just for comics, we're going to do testing like what Chappelle's doing in Ohio. I'm going to do in my backyard because it's just getting crazy. Am I going to get shut down?
I don't know. But you're going to let everybody know where you live.
No, she's
it's
not.
going to be. It's basically going to be like a bringer show. It's going to be like comic, bring like two friends that you trust and know.
So, guys, if you join my Patreon, I'll do a raffle. And
we might
Patreon.com.
shoot some shit. We might try to
Yeah, it'd
shoot
be
some
fun.
stuff. Like, why not?
Why not? I just wonder, what is the law? Like, see if we can find out
Like,
if there's any written thing.
How
I know,
many people can I have?
I don't know. Yeah, like what is the law now in LA? If these TikTokers have too many people.
But
like,
they
what
probably
is-
have a lot. You're not going to have that
I'm
many.
gonna have like 5 comics, and because when I
See, but
started,
I think you should just be arrested if that's a law. I think you should be fined or something. I
Yeah.
don't think you should be able to shut someone's fucking power
I'd
and
rather you
water
just
off.
find me. Great. All right. Bye.
Yeah, if these TikTokers like, hey, you guys are violating the law, so here's a fine of $200.
Yeah.
This what things make sense if you're fining someone for like if you park in the wrong place, you can get fined. But there's a thing that they're doing that's weird. They're shutting power off. Ordinance on loud or unruly gatherings, known as the Party House Ordinance. Hey, Dan Bilzerian, did it ever work on you? Officially took place August 15, 2018. They never use it on him. The ordinance claims to curb repeat offenders of out-of-control parties of residential neighborhoods with escalating fines and new enforcement from Los Angeles Police Department. I don't think
New
that's connected, though,
enforcement
because this is
tools?
2018.
Is that like a blanket statement?
I don't think that's connected to
also,
the
we were
TikTok
also-
house. These are all 2018
Dude, we were also
stories.
in a heat wave. It was 107. You can't cut off someone's electricity in 107
Exactly.
degree heat.
Exactly.
It's wild.
And we're assuming they're kids and
How
they're
long was it
allowed
cut
to be
off
there.
for?
Okay, here. Property owners who skirt building and safety rules or city laws, such as Los Angeles Party House Ordinance, was the same law, right? Are in violation of COVID-19 public health orders in the city's Party House Ordinance, which becomes the law in 2018. So they're talking about that law. And it said it wasn't clear whether Garcetti's announcement was related to that motion. Okay, what?
It feels like it's just a little ad hoc.
It's still, exactly. They're making it up as they go along. It's still sneaky.
I like
Under the
it.
proposal, penalties
I
for
like
large
it.
gatherings could include water and power shutoff, permit prohibitions, and having a certificate of occupancy held or revoked for large close contact, largely maskless gatherings in violation of city emergency orders and county health orders. So the city emergency and the county health order, they make an order saying you can't have a large gathering, and if you do, they're going to do a new thing, which is shut your water and power off.
Wow.
When do they fucking ever do that unless you're a fugitive? You have to have like a gun and you're pointing it out the window
crazy.
for
But
them to shut your
also,
power
it's
and water
like
off.
we're always at risk of fires, and now you're making people use candlelight.
Yeah.
Like that's not safe.
I've seen
more flames.
I've seen these kids. They don't shower anyway. You didn't punish them that
it's
much.
a slippery thing if you
Yeah.
allow it.
It's a God complex.
I think it's stupid that these kids want to have these parties. And we were talking about Dr. Malkin and all these people that came to him that got sick from one of those
Right,
parties.
right.
You can get sick for sure. And there's probably, it's a high likelihood that people are going to die if they keep getting sick and they infect someone, out of, it's like it's 0.04% of people who catch COVID die. That's what the current standings are. So it could lead to a death or two. It is
Yeah.
possible, but I just don't think you should allow people to do that.
Did you see how the Steve Bannon was busted by the Mail? Did you know that the Mail could make arrests?
The Daily Mail.
The Mail, the Mail. It was the Postal Service. They have like a arrest
They have a
department.
postal service
Really?
police.
That's who arrested Steve
Not
Bannon.
for long.
Yeah.
Listen, as girls are talking about politics, I have to pee so bad.
Me too.
Can you guys keep going? I'll pee. and then
Okay,
you
we're
come
gonna
back
keep
and
going.
you
We're
pee?
look at this
Okay.
post
Can you
office.
save
look at
us
this.
some? I want to sell it on my
Post
Patreon.
office arrested Steve Bannon. Isn't that cool? Let's read it.
Look at his face.
I'm gonna-
Look at
I'm
that
gonna-
guy. He looks like
we can
Javier
come back.
Bardem.
I'm going to be Joseph Rogan. The U.S. Postal Service is out to deliver justice against former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon. It may not come as a shock that Bannon, often described as a grifter, was allegedly caught up in a scheme to defraud donors.
Why would you use grifter as the word?
Yeah, they have fucking police. Isn't that crazy? I hate when they take tweets from people. This drives me nuts when journalists take tweets from people. I don't know who fucking this person is, and then they post their tweet as if it's
Yeah.
real journalism. That's not journalism.
And look, they only have 322 likes on the tweet. It's not even a popular tweet.
They're part and parcel of an elite police unit known as the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, USPIS, which has been fighting crime since the mail fraud. Probably you and your tax fraud. You're going to meet these people soon, Annie. You're going to know these people any minute. There's 1,200 postal inspectors who carry weapons, make arrests, execute federal search warrants, and serve subpoenas. They've even inspired a CBS series, The Inspectors. Haven't heard of it. Didn't feel like it was that inspired.
yeah.
They made 5,759 arrests. Can you imagine? Put your hands
Since
up.
1872, that's not a lot of arrests. That's very few arrests.
Have you ever been arrested?
No. I got when I was in high school, we were bad, but I never got arrested. I got once we took a 3-foot bong out into the alleyway to smoke for some reason in high school.
Yeah.
And then obviously the neighbors were like, the kids are smoking a giant bong in the thing. So
Yeah.
the cops came and I remember we were so high, we were like trying to hide behind the bong. It was like so tragic. But my one friend who had the weed on him got arrested, but I never
Right.
got arrested.
But do you still smoke weed out of bongs or just do joints?
Sometimes I don't really smoke that much weed anymore.
Yeah, me
I
neither.
started again and now I'm remembering why I don't. The old early onset.
I
just
can't
like to-
remember my phone number when I smoke
I want to
weed.
be as alert as possible.
Possible.
I like to be able to pay attention and chime in and stuff. But yeah, I'll smoke out of a bong sometimes.
I think I was my throat was getting really fucked up from the vapes.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't like vaping. I don't think it gets me high enough.
Remember
anyway.
when we thought vapes were like healthier than cigarettes?
Are they though?
Remember when we were like vapes are healthy?
Oh, you're showing my Patreon?
It's a big factor.
I just saw a bong picture.
I was
bong.
vaping.
Oh, I look up. Wait. Okay.
What'd you say?
Huh? What?
Nothing. She asked if she smoked out of a bong. And
I'll
she had
show
a
you.
picture.
I did have a 3-foot
Annie,
bong.
smoke weed and I want to tase you.
I had a 3-foot. I mean, I'm a little bit interested in that. I do like attention. I like attention, but I also like not
We're
peeing
following
myself.
David Blaine. The bar is high.
What were we just talking about? I caught whatever you had.
The
I know.
Postal Service.
Oh,
The Postal Service can
right.
arrest people. There's 1,200 people that can arrest people. They carry weapons.
And they arrested him for fraud? Is that what it was?
Arrest him for fraud for raising money for that private border wall, right? Isn't that wild?
It's all wild.
That's
What is
so
this?
funny.
What is
So
this?
CBD Killcliff, very
Oh,
good for you.
cool.
Ooh, does
Doesn't
this
get you
give you a
high.
little buzz at all or no?
No,
Just good for like pain and stuff?
Yeah, 25 milligrams CBD.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to find this picture. I have
It's
a picture.
delicious.
I had a 3-foot bong for a second, and for Mother's Day one year, I dressed it up like it was a boy. I put a hat on it, and I was like sending my son to school. I put a little backpack on him.
This is
I
delicious.
fucking love Instagram, by the way.
Good
It's
stuff,
so
right?
fun.
Killcliff.
Do you think that Instagram is going to be replaced by Reels?
Well, Reels
That-
is Instagram.
Instagram, but I mean, it's like at one point, because now your algorithm, like you have to get a certain number of likes and comments in order to get in the algorithm at all, right? Which is harder.
And is Reels like more?
It's like a TikTok
It's
on it.
It's basically
Instagram just robs. It's great.
It's like what it did with
Yeah.
Snapchat too. Instagram did
Yeah.
stories when
Yeah.
Snapchat, kind of went away, right?
I haven't started doing
Yeah.
the Reels yet, but I'm excited. I love having this outlet, especially during this time where we can't do stand up. I love Instagram. And a lot of comics just like promote or don't or put their dog and their books are read and a song they're listening to.
What?
I love that. I love when you like see a movie and you
break
post
comedians
it.
and make them so successful. But I really love the making jokes on it. It's like my favorite.
Yeah, it's a great place to do it. It's a fun way to like
So fun.
just you post a picture and say something funny. It's a little writing exercise.
It's also like journalists are so fucking lazy now. Like news is just Jennifer Lopez posted this thing on Instagram. They just take all their news and all their photos from Instagram now.
Yeah.
Do you know how many stories get written just from shit we say on this podcast? Just use
It's
it and
so
write a
funny.
story.
It's crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll see you when like the internet, like Twitter will be out. You posted a picture with me and Owen Smith, I believe. And it was like one of the days you said one thing. I don't even remember what it was, but the internet had blown. And I could tell because I was tagged in the picture of you. So all these people were commenting. And I saw you later and it was not a different day for you in any way.
If you
were
don't read
not
it-
You were, I was like, I wonder if he, like, because it was just like, boom, boom, boom. I was getting all these notifications. It was just so funny that you didn't even.
That's probably when I didn't like video games or something.
Did you? I feel like you got. Maybe it was like I feel like 2 years ago you got like super famous, like super famous. Did it feel like it was like 2 years ago?
I
there
always
was
thought
a
you were so
shift?
famous.
I don't know what happened.
You're always famous. You were famous,
just
but
keep
then you
moving.
became a religion.
Yeah.
I think it's a cumulative thing if you just keep moving.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
moving, keep putting out podcasts,
Yeah.
and then more and more people listen to them, and then too many people are listening to you.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it becomes this thing.
Yeah, and then it's like every word you say is they're like,
But
but,
it's
you have a
also
responsibility.
Also, I'm a fucking moron, which is
Yeah.
a terrible thing. Like, if people are getting advice from me,
Yeah.
like, I don't even take my own advice a lot of times. Don't listen to me.
But that's why you're fun to listen to and talk to, is because you're like humble and you're willing to entertain ideas that aren't yours and you're ask the right questions.
I think it's so important that we're talking about before, that you don't get married to your ideas. I've been married to my ideas before. It's gross.
Yeah.
It's gross because then you defend them and you lie
Right.
and you manipulate your words to try to make it seem like you're right when you're not
I
right.
think
Yeah.
it was in that. I think it was in that that same book we brought up so many times. You get dopamine when your bias is confirmation bias.
Yeah.
When someone agrees with a wrong idea that you say, you get dopamine.
I used to enjoy winning arguments like that, and now I honestly, like when I have someone on the podcast that's saying something really ridiculous that I know is horseshit, that I'm like, okay, this is my opportunity to just exercise this thing, and I'll just speak nice and slow, and like, why do you think that? Like, what is
Yeah.
it? What's going on? Like, tell me how you make that. And what about this? And I'll give them opposing ideas, but I won't be married to them. I'll say, well, that doesn't make any sense because this.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it in a mean way. I'm like, I'm
Right.
trying to. I like when someone's like, especially someone says something real that they don't even really think through. They just, this is like a predetermined pattern of behavior, a conglomeration of ideas that I've adopted as this ideology, and I'm going to push this forward no matter what. And those people are fascinating because when you talk to them, they are fucking married to those ideas, and they don't even know them.
And they can't.
They're married to
They're not good
strangers.
at maneuvering around it,
They're
yeah.
married to strangers, and you're arguing with them about some shit they haven't thought through at all, and they and they ah. I've had people fall apart, and it's so fascinating because look, I've been wrong 1,000 times on this fucking podcast or more, but when there's a moment, if I know I'm wrong, I'll be like, ooh, okay, that's not right.
And that's this specific podcast today.
All the time. Everything you've said, you've
But
been
you,
wrong.
you are
I've been
able to
wrong.
change your mind after getting new information.
Well, you should
a lot
be
of
like,
people just
you have
won't.
to.
that's
We
how
have to. A lot of
science
people
is, right?
won't.
Like, isn't science like that you're trying to prove yourself wrong? You're trying to like,
Yes.
yeah.
It's ego, but even in science, it's a real issue. When people come up with new scientific discoveries that other scientists didn't recognize,
Yeah.
there's a lot of fucking blowback. A lot of people get angry. Scientists get pissy.
Yeah.
They get really egotistical, and it's super, super disheartening. When you take all of your information from like archaeologists, but then one archaeologist will find some new discovery that like predates civilization. Like I've seen it with Graham Hancock. I've seen it with Graham Hancock. I've seen it with Robert Schoch, who's this geologist from Boston University. He was talking to this archaeologist about these geological findings that show water erosion on the outside of the Sphinx that could have only taken place at 9,000 BC, which would predate all that Egyptian construction like way earlier than they thought it was. And this guy's mocking him and laughing at him, a scientist. And instead of going, fascinating, because this is his field of study.
Right.
He's a fucking geologist, okay? And he's saying these watermarks can only be created by erosion. This is water erosion. This is not wind and sand. This is water. And he's saying, I'm a geologist. I have sent these images, this cropped images, to other geologists. They've agreed with me. This guy's just mocking him. And I'm like, oh my God, it's ego.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to think that he's been teaching and writing books for
Right.
all these years about how old the Sphinx is, how old the pyramids are. And he's been wrong. And he doesn't want to admit it. You're like, oh no. So it exists in everything, even in the people that we rely on the most for information.
So true.
They're married to their ideas. He should have been fascinated. She'd have been like, wow, well, I have to revise my book.
Right.
know.
And then you get a new book, dude.
Yeah, then you get this crazy new discovery that, oh, look, it looks like there's many eras of construction. Because
Right.
if you go deep, deep, deep into the sand, there's an older era.
Yeah.
And it's a very distinctive era. They built things differently then. And then this era they do it this way. And it's
Yeah.
like, they can get it narrowed down to these epochs. It's fucking fascinating. But meanwhile, this guy's ego wouldn't let him see it. And you watch it and you go, wow.
Yeah.
But you go, what civilization was from 14,000 years ago? He's like, meanwhile, since then, they've found them. They've
Yeah.
found actual civilization, like Göbekli Tepe, that's 100%
Yeah.
more than 12,000 years old.
Yeah.
100%, without a doubt, was filled in 12,000 years ago. So the guy was wrong, but meanwhile, his ideas
Right.
were his. He clutched them like a baby, was protecting from a
Yeah.
fucking storm.
Yeah.
Woo!
There's so much of that in medicine, especially when there's new solutions and shit. You know, like I was reading about the board certification for veterinarians. A lot of these veterinarians have to learn wrong information to pass this test to get board certified.
Oh, no.
A lot of
Why?
it that's already been debunked because it's like older veterinarians. Something
Okay.
that was true 30 years ago
Oh, no.
now has been debunked, and they have to like learn all this archaic shit just to pass this arbitrary test.
Well, remember the food chain? Remember when you were a
yeah,
kid? They taught,
yeah.
this is how
Bread,
to
it
get
was all bread.
cancer.
It was-
This is how to
Yeah.
get fat.
It was like eat 5 servings of bread a day, 8 potatoes. Remember that pyramid?
Right.
At
And
the
then
top, there was a fish.
it was like it was like one piece of fish. That's
Yeah,
right. And then
Jesus.
one little piece of steak. The fact that we used to think that shit was good for us.
Well, then
It's
Atkins
hilarious.
was
Wonder
like
Bread.
eat cream cheese and beef. And didn't he
No, no,
die
the-
of a
Yeah,
heart
but here's
attack?
no. This is the thing. People always like to say this. Atkins fell on the ice and broke his head.
Well, because he was off balance from all that cream cheese. Rogan, you're wrong. And I'm right.
I remember I was taught when I was a kid the healthiest thing you could eat was like a blueberry muffin.
I know. You gotta get a low fat, low
candy.
fat blueberry
Listen,
muffin.
I've been eating a lot of blueberry muffins, and they really do make you look like a blueberry muffin. It's so weird.
I love
It
your
goes right
body,
to my-
Annie.
No, I like the
You
problem
have an
with me
amazing
is
body.
it looks good at all weights, so it's hard to lose weight.
But you also look like you're like fucking strong as shit.
I look fertile.
You're like you look like a fucking brick
The opposite
house.
of barren.
Yeah.
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 But the truth, no.
Like, do you work out hard? Like, are you?
I do. I like to work out a lot.
Yeah.
I do enjoy working out.
Yeah.
Does that was that ever a thing that like helped you when you were getting over booze? It was like,
Exercise?
yeah.
I started doing yoga because I was very detached to my femininity. Obviously, I got into this job. My femininity. But my mom is like, my mom's very like sportsy. They can't use the word I want to say, but you know, she was always very like, let's just play sports, no dolls, all this stuff. So I had no attachment to, and then with yoga, I kind of got really like girly in it, and it helped me, and the body weight stuff really helped. And,
Yeah.
But now, and I like doing jujitsu, but I'm not fucking doing jujitsu during this shit, dude.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's
spitting
too
in each other's
sketch.
mouths, dude.
Well, you were doing it at no gi too, which is you know you're in like fucking lycra
Yeah, you're
and
just-
stuff.
yeah.
It's really
It was
close
so
contact.
it's so sweaty and so gross. I
yeah.
know you can contract it through ball sweat. I know for a fact.
Oh, for sure, but it does improve your immune system. That's
It was
what's interesting.
So fun though. It was the
really
most
fun.
fun. It's
Yeah.
the most fun exercise. You're doing math problems on people's bodies. It's incredible.
That is what it's like. Yeah,
It's so cool. But you know what I wanted to ask you? I can't get weights anywhere. They don't sell weights anymore.
I know it's hard.
What do you
Well,
mean?
can you get? They're sold out of weights because
Order
everyone's
his.
in quarantine.
Oh, everyone's trying to get in shape.
Isn't that nuts? Like, because no gyms are open. That's the other thing. California, all
Yeah.
these gyms. How many of these gyms are going to stay open?
Did you see those ridiculous
get you some
ones?
weights.
Those pods where they had like people were surrounded in like saran
Yes,
wrap pods
yes.
working
Yeah,
out.
it's so
Okay,
weird.
unzip. I'll get you some weights.
Yeah,
Just tell me what you need.
great.
Get
You
some-
tell me what
I
I
have
need.
some too, yeah.
You know better than me.
Okay.
Are gyms ever going to be the same?
Well, no. I think this is, first of all, it's going to, maybe, but like 3 years from now. It's going to take a while for people to get over this
But
shit.
also the online stuff, I think that a lot of things can exist online, and it sucks because it's harder with willpower, I think.
Yeah.
Like doing a yoga class on a Zoom is very difficult
and also
for me.
like I like taking classes because I get competitive as
Right,
shit, and I want to
yes.
beat the person
Yeah.
next to me. It's
Yeah.
just part of my motivation, whether it's healthy or not, or like the instructor yelling at you or
Right,
whatever, trying to
right.
like impress somebody
Yeah.
or whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
That's why
you're not going to get that from Zoom. It's like Zoom comedy, right?
Right.
Like Mark Norman said, it was like
Maybe.
methadone comedy.
Fucking hell,
It's like I want the
dude.
real fix.
It's also
The
because
real
it's like
fix.
we have worked our whole lives to, get precise timing, and like a
Right.
2-second delay changes fucking everything.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
second by second. Like
Yep.
the
I
timing
was
is what
doing
matters.
comedy out of the window at the store, and it was like you couldn't have it at the same time, and they ended up not being able to do it because of
Yeah.
regulation stuff, but
Yeah.
they had to have a 10-second delay.
Ugh,
And
brutal.
it was,
Brutal.
I was doing like a podcast with Eleanor Kerrigan, my fucking angel. And we were like joking and stuff, but that delay, so I would say something that I was like, this is gonna fucking land, right? And then so she'd be talking, I'd be half listening to her and waiting 10 seconds, like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. And then I'd look and it would bomb, and I'm like, fuck. It wasn't good. Like watching it 10
it's
seconds
amazing
later.
how we're so conditioned to have that immediate gratification, that
Right.
like, clap.
Yep.
And then just even on Zoom, like doing like talk shows or Zoom podcasts, which I really do not like doing, just that 1 second fucks up the flow and the chemistry of
Yeah,
everything.
well, it's also, there's an energy that people have when they're in the room with
That's
you.
right.
Like, that's one of the things that comedy does that people don't talk about. It's like a hypnosis thing
Yeah.
going on. There's a sharing of energy. The laughs are, you're
Yeah.
physically feeling them. You're not
It's a
going to get that.
symbiotic relationship. It's like
Yeah.
we do need each other. It's not,
100%.
And also the energy that the audience gets from each other, being shoulder to shoulder with another person, and that
Yes.
contagious, and also like
Yeah.
the home court advantage of you're in my fucking house, not
Yeah.
you're in your bed, snuggled
Yeah.
up, cozy,
Right.
like with a
Yeah.
pillow.
That's how I try to explain
with
to
other
someone.
options,
Yeah.
by the way, where you could just be looking at something else at any time.
I try to explain to non-comics that if you watch a comedy special, like someone's comedy special,
Yeah.
that's maybe 70% as good as seeing
Always.
them live.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Very
if
rarely
that.
translates, yeah.
First of all, it's tough because filming a special is like kind of tense.
Yeah.
So you're not loose, and when you're loose, you're funny. So it's hard for people to be loose. And then it's also weird because the fucking not being in the room thing is like 30 or 40%. It's
Yeah.
like this feeling that you get when you're there, when you're like,
Yeah.
you're gonna see someone live. You're there. You're having fun. It's all
Yes.
happening. It's right now.
You're high, yeah.
It's right there. But when you're watching it at home, you're just sitting back and you're alone.
I always
you
try
know?
to cut out a lot of applause breaks and stuff on specials, because at home they're
Yeah,
not,
she cuts out the applause break.
You know, all the standing ovations just got a bit much.
No, but I just mean like when they're there, they're gonna laugh a little longer. At home, they're like, ha. Move
Yeah.
on. You know what I mean? You don't want to
Yeah.
hear that, like have them have to hear other people laugh.
I always add some in, I'm always like,
That is weird because I have heard that.
Did you ever
before.
see
I've heard
Mar-
people adding
Maria
laughter.
like a
Bam-
laugh track. That's so
Maria
funny.
Bamford did a special for her parents in her
So
living
funny.
room.
That's so funny.
We could start shooting specials for small crowds.
She's hilarious.
She's
She's
so
so
funny.
funny.
That sounds like something she would do too. That's very funny.
She did stand up just for her parents on the couch in their living room.
That's so funny.
She's
what a
so
great
cool.
idea.
I like what a uniquely herself person she is. It's just my favorite thing in people.
Everybody tried COVID comedy a while ago. Remember when? What was the comic's name that put that special out on HBO with no audience at all?
Oh,
Gerard
I know you're talking
Carmichael
about.
directed it.
yeah,
Gerard directed it.
no, I know.
What's that?
Drew Michael.
Drew Michael.
Drew Michael. Yeah, Drew Michael
Yeah.
did a
He's funny.
special with no audience, and we're like,
It was
think you need
weird
an
though.
audience.
It was weird, but it was
You need
like
an
he
audience.
took a swing. I
Yeah.
always appreciate a swing. I
oh
always
yeah,
appreciate a swing.
hey,
big
why? I
swing.
mean, because it's a different thing, right? There used to be like live performances that weren't really stand up. Like, do you remember Eric Bogosian?
Yes.
Yeah, he used to do these live
Yes.
performances that were not really stand up. They were these things. You know, there were these stories he would tell.
Right.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Do you remember there was this guy Josh Fadum? Did you ever know him?
Yes, he's so funny.
He was this
He's
wild
still around. Yeah, he's
dude.
hilarious.
He would do crazy shit. Like he would go on stage
He's
and
so
just like
funny.
run in place, and it was like so weird and like not funny. And then he would just like keep doing it, and like people would start walking out, and then he would just like keep running in place. And then by 3 minutes in, you're dying
Yeah.
laughing, and you have no idea why.
Yeah, he'll do a thing where he like accidentally fucks up the mic and it falls apart, and he's like, but it's so funny. It gets like tangled up in it, and it's like you want to hate. Honestly, like as a comic, like I'm looking at your face, like you want to hate it, but it's so like it's charmingly funny.
It's just some weird like thought exercise or
There he is.
performance
But, like,
art or something.
Reggie
It is.
Watts too, like
a
he
big
learned how to
swing.
make sounds funny.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Reggie can do so many different things.
Right.
The thing about Reggie is he's like,
Josh
he-
Fadum's big moment was the 10-second
that's
clip.
it. Well, it's a
ever-
hard
Can't
look.
play too much
It
to
looked like there was a shooting at a fucking comedy club. That was the worst video I've ever seen.
You can even see him. What kind of lights are they?
Josh, you had a shot, and Jamie really blew it for
That
you.
and Mitzi Shore's
you'll look
sex
it up.
dungeon. What was that video?
The darkness of the stage is confusing. Like, do
Yeah.
they not want the comedians?
Did
to
you
see-
like how dark the main room got? Do you remember what I'm talking about? When they just the week before
Yeah.
started
But
darkening?
then they put those like lights up, those like crazy LED lights.
Yeah, I thought it
think
looked
I liked
cool
it.
though. I was
liked
getting
it.
used to it. The pictures looked beautiful that
Yeah.
Troy was taking.
When do you guys think it comes back? We're all guessing. Like everything we're talking about.
I had booked the La Jolla Comedy Store for 2 weeks and shut down.
I think it's going to be 6 months to a year, full year.
Woo! Full year.
I just moved my tour to fall 2021 theaters.
Woo!
If someone can figure out the ventilation system, if there's some, I don't know why we're not figuring this out.
Well, if someone comes up with a rapid test, that's going to fix everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Rapid test. You test someone as they're walking in. It's a
Right.
long ass line. Line's going to take a lot longer than it will normally, but you
Right.
could have holding rooms.
Right.
You know?
It would be amazing. You would completely get rid of the virus if you could do
But
that.
like, how long is it going to take for our emotional trauma to heal? Of like, remember the days when you would just be in a comedy club and a waitress in the dark would hand you a drink with a straw and you just put it right in your mouth?
Everything's going to
Yep.
be different. Our whole earth is going to be different.
I mean,
after
imagine
this.
just taking a drink from a girl at a bar and putting it in your mouth.
Fauci was saying that we're not going to be able to shake hands anymore.
We're not going to be able to date rape drug people anymore. It's like so upsetting. You can't slip me the drug anymore.
I mean, it's like, what is this doing to our brains just in terms of
It's
like,
making us go closer and closer to virtual reality.
yeah.
For
but
sure.
don't you think
That's
it's like
true.
an ego death? I feel like we've all been forced into this epic dose of mushrooms that we didn't mean to take. And it's like everyone has to face their mortality, which I think is all we're doing all day anyway.
Yeah.
But it's now, it's like, oh, we're watching death. There's the death
Yeah.
of being entertained. There's the death of going out. There's the death of meeting people, the death of
Yeah.
shaking hands, the death of actual people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it was Tim Dillon and I were talking about how like 9/11, everyone's like comparing this to 9/11 in some ways, and the fact that it's just like a trauma. But 9/11 like brought us together, you
Yep.
know? It was
Right.
like there was this like, let's go out till 2 a.m. They're not gonna fucking win. And everyone was instantly
Yes.
friends with each other, and now everyone's instant enemies with each other. I walked down the
Yeah.
street and people are like, where the fuck pull your fucking mask up?
The
I'm like,
mask stuff's so funny. People are
like,
so crazy.
people,
The mask
their-
stuff is crazy.
Their
Well, not only
default
that-
is fuck you.
Yeah.
It's like outside in the sun. Like, hey man, it's not even possible. You don't even know what this is.
Dude, there was a guy, I went to Venice Beach, and there was a guy in a wheelchair and I used to work with kids with special needs, so I always like to make eye contact, say hello to
Don't
people
blow
in
past
wheelchairs.
the one sentence that makes you the most likable.
Oh, I was a special ed, whatever, no big deal. I'm a hero. Gave it up to tell dick jokes, to do God's work. But so I always like to acknowledge, because there's people don't want to be rude, so they don't want to stare, and then they're never looked at, they're never talked about.
Yeah.
That's why
Right.
I'm always like, do jokes about people in wheelchairs, make them a part of things.
Right,
But
because
so
if
I
they're
always,
equal, you'll joke about them.
of course, yeah. It's like there's no punching down. Like, shut the fuck up. But so I was like, I was doing my little like, aren't I a good citizen? Like eye contact with this guy, and he goes, "Wear your fucking mask, cunt!" And I was like, "Oh, okay, right."
Jesus
And it was because
Christ.
I gave him the eye contact. It was so funny. I was like, it was one of my vlog days, my new vlog, only on Patreon, and it was like I just turned the thing off because I didn't want to focus on. I didn't want to be like I'm videotaping a guy in a wheelchair, but it literally been the funniest thing that's ever happened.
It's amazing that cunt is the most offensive word, but if someone calls me a cunt, it's
I think
so
of my dad.
funny.
I'm like, Daddy.
It's so funny. Like, we need a new word, because if a guy calls me a cunt, like, I'll start laughing.
I think it
Yeah,
still
it's
works
so
on
funny.
enough women though. There's not enough herd
Probably.
immunity. We need herd immunity
We
for
do.
cunt.
I know, I've got the
do.
antibodies because I've been in comedy.
Oh,
Like, it's
I've
just-
had the antibodies
If
for.
a guy
oh.
calls you a cunt, like, it's just so funny to me.
Well, that's what we were saying the other night. Like someone said cunt, and both of us were like, "Dad, Papa, where are you?"
It's such a good word.
It's so good. It's short. It's cutting.
Yeah, it's got a T at the end of it.
Yeah.
I still like bitch. Bitch is still pretty good for me. If someone calls me bitch, I'm like,
Bitch.
damn.
Bitch is softer than cunt though.
Yeah, for
could
sure.
Just as a
me.
sound. The thing is, like, the thing about cunt is the
The
sound.
T, that is sharp.
Yeah.
It's razor sharp.
Fucking
Calling
cunt.
a guy a cunt is
It's
always like a
oh,
good.
yeah.
He's such a cunt. Like
I
he's
Yeah.
such
love
a great.
that word. I use it,
It really is
90%
good.
of the time for men.
Yeah,
Oh,
man
interesting.
cunt.
Yeah, I call it men cunts.
Yeah.
But if
Much
a
more,
guy
but not-
calls me a bitch, there's something so 90s about it. There's something so retro
Yeah.
about it. You
when
know?
you go to England and Australia, though, they toss it around like a beach ball. That's what's weird.
and
It's
then
like,
bitch is their cunt, right?
I don't know. What is their cunt?
Fanny is
Because
their
they don't
pussy.
they don't use it that
I
much for
learned.
girls though. They use it for each other. You
Yeah.
know,
It's a term of endearment.
Yeah, it's a jokey term. Like, hey,
Hey,
fuck,
cunt.
what's
Yeah.
up, fucker?
Yeah.
Like hey man, what's up, cunt? He's a good cunt. Like he's a good cunt.
That's
is a
right.
normal thing for them to say. So
It feels so good. You fucking cunt.
they come over here and they realize that, oh Jesus, I got to remap my language.
Yeah.
Because cunt is like a different thing over here. It's dangerous.
The one that gets me is fuckface.
I can't think of one that gets me. I can't.
Yeah.
That's a
There
good
is
one.
one, but I can't think of.
Fuckface you can get away with too, and it's got so much power. Fuckface.
Yeah.
Fuckface. The
This
thing that throws me
fuckface.
actually is when other women call me hooker or whore. When a girl's like, "Hey, whore," I'm like, Jesus, like,
Ow.
that always disorganizes me.
Well, what if it's your friend?
So it's like, "Hey, hooker," "Hey, slut."
Girls have been doing that for a while. They were
broke my
calling each other
heart.
hooker.
Well, sometimes I'll be
for
like,
fun.
"You're a slut." Like sometimes it's like, "Wow, you are a fucking slut."
Yeah, but you're
Sometimes you
doing it
gotta
to be
be like-
funny.
It's
You're
just
doing it to
like
be
we're
funny.
confused. We're saying guys can't call us this, but we're no
I would-
wonder they're
if-
confused.
Whitney, if you don't want that anymore, close your legs. You've been sitting like a whore the whole time.
Can you even
It's
see?
like, are you being a boy or a
I know,
whore? I can't
these
tell you.
chairs, I think, are like ergonomic chairs.
Yes.
I think they're to give birth in or something. I don't know what's happening. I feel like
They're
I'm.
really good for your back.
Is this a Sibian? What's happening?
These chairs are the best.
Yeah, I feel like I get out of here and my posture's always like so much better.
So I think we came to a serious conclusion that you guys need your own show, like legitimately.
Okay.
What are we gonna do here?
I think you
Trauma
legitimately
bond?
need to do it.
Can we have the sauna too and everything?
Just have it.
And what are we gonna do? Are we
do?
gonna take calls or give
Really
advice?
careful
or
what I say.
Yeah, maybe
What are we
we
gonna do?
trauma bond with someone calls in and we trauma bond with them.
And
You
we-
guys need like a neon sign behind you.
I want
Two
a neon
dumb
sign that
cunts?
says Annie fucking Letterman so bad behind me on my podcast. I want it so bad. And
we
I'm
can
just putting
call
it
it
into
the
the
Andy
universe.
Letterman podcast. I
If
do
anybody
want to
wants
make
to-
you famous.
If anybody wants to buy me that neon, pay for my eggs to get frozen,
I will
lend
go
me $1
halvesies
million.
on it, Joe. I'll pay to freeze your eggs, or you could have my.
But
How
then
much
you
does it
guys
cost
can
to
name
freeze your
it.
eggs?
20 grand.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty cheap.
then
Yeah.
that's
crazy.
cheap to you.
To
You
freeze
guys are
eggs?
so cool.
It's
My
a-
friends are
it's a-
so
it's a
rich.
To
future
freeze
human.
eggs?
Yeah.
I thought it would be. I thought it was
But
like a
you
really
can name
prohibitively
if it's a
expensive-
boy, you can name it, and if it's a girl, you can name it.
Nice.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna name it Butch.
If it's a girl, it will be.
I'm gonna name it cunt. And his little frozen cunts.
Annie's little frozen cunts. That should be the name of your next special.
Oh my
And
god!
you do a special about get your eggs frozen.
I name it Fisty. Do you want kids?
Maybe.
Yeah. You should have a kid.
Maybe. I feel like I'd be a really. I think I went through so much. I think I'd be a really good mom. My nieces are like my fucking favorite. My nephews too. I love them so much. I don't want to say I don't. But I talk to my nieces and nephews every day.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah.
My niece is 8. We just started becoming pen pals.
Yeah.
I have this video of her like, it came. The letter. It came. It's like so cute.
Now that the mail is gonna be canceled.
Well, they don't. I know. Just when we became, yeah. But
adorable.
and my little niece who's 4, she, oh my god, my 8-year-old sent me. I gave her a snow globe of Hollywood, and I was like, whenever you miss me, they're in Boston. I'm like, whenever you miss me, just think about. And so she sent me. It was 4 years ago. I sent it to her, and she sent me a picture of the snow globe, and she goes, I think about you all the time, Auntie. I miss you so much. It's like. I'm gonna get those rapid tests
There
when
is
they come out.
there
I'm
is
gonna
something
surprise my
happens.
nieces.
Like that biological clock shit's real. I look at babies
for
and I'm like,
sure.
I want to fucking put that baby in
But-
my mouth.
I also look at that's
Sorry.
not in this climate, Whitney.
I don't. I
Not
just
with
mean like I
our
just want to
peers.
like I have like a compulsion for when I
Right,
see
I know they're
babies.
so
squeeze
cute.
them.
I just want to
Like, oh, you're
squeeze
so
them. Yes.
fucking
I don't want to miss out on like the experience. Like we are on this earth to have kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that fun to me. To
Women's
be
only
honest.
purpose is to bear children, Annie. You know this.
But it doesn't look that fun. You know, my friends seem very happy and tired, but it
Yeah.
does seem like a lot. But I just, when I look at so I have 2 brothers. My twin brother has 2 girls, and my older brother has 2 boys. So I'll have a hermaphrodite. But it's like a perfect, like it's just like they're so perfect. They're so
I know.
cute.
I see other people's kids. I'm like, I want
I
that
love them.
kid. Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah.
And I
want,
just
I
am
want
like,
I think
school to
you'd
be
be
back
a great
in
mom.
session.
I think I would be. I think I would.
do.
I think it took a
You'd
while.
be a lot of fun. You'd
You'd
be a
amazing.
fun mom.
I do have a compulsion to adopt, though. I don't know. I rescue animals so much that it sort of is like, Is
and
that
men.
kind of like getting your kid from a breeder?
Getting your kid from a breeder. That's
Like,
ridiculous.
Shouldn't I adopt a kid too?
Wait, did you see that Sia, the singer, adopted like 18 and 19-year-old two black guys?
Okay.
Like she adopted. I don't know how you adopt a grown man.
She just did.
I didn't know
Just
you could
decided.
adopt people that were over 18.
Maybe they got some weird thing they're doing.
I'm like, if they're not, that's
By the way,
weird.
every
How
guy
old is
you've
she?
She's like 40 something, I think.
every guy you've ever dated has basically been an adoption.
I know. I'm like,
You pay for them, you take
I
care
like
of them.
my men like I like my dogs.
How many comedians do you think
Rescued.
you've dated?
Like 3.
Isn't it weird that I haven't dated any comedians?
No, it's smart.
No, it's like
Thank you.
I honestly, and I think I'm done with like I'm like I think I went through all the ones.
I
that
I
think that's
dated
probably-
one ever when I was
Really?
open micer, and I was like, oh, she's like me.
But it is fun.
We
to-
can't do this.
It's constant bits.
Yeah.
It is fun.
She was
It's
fun.
really fun.
Is
She
there
was
a little
fun.
bit of a like, whose bit is that? That's mine? Like when
No.
you're in a fight?
I guess you could if you were like if you like sort of
Yeah.
workshopped a bit
Right.
together.
Yeah.
That
No,
would
I
be
would
weird.
just say,
Is
I would be like,
that-
can
Yeah.
I have that? Or if you take it, I'm going to tell people you raped me. Sorry.
There's a weird relationship though when a woman comic and a male comic get together, and then one of them is writing the other one's jokes, and you can tell, and you're like, oh, that's her writing.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, that's his writing.
Yeah.
And I'm the
That's
worst
weird.
because
I was
if I
like,
write a joke for
ooh.
Makes me feel
someone,
weird.
They're a hybrid.
if I write a joke for someone and I'm in the back of the room and someone's like doing the bit and it gets the biggest laugh, obviously, because that really does happen because I'm so good. But
You're a great joke writer.
no, but I cannot help but going like, I fucking wrote that. Like I know it's so shitty, but I'm like, I fucking wrote that. I just want it so
Snitches
bad.
get
I'm like-
stitches.
I'm like, I'm so sorry. Gavin Newsom, do I get money if I rat out that I wrote that joke?
it's Garcetti's the one who wants to give you money.
Garcetti.
But have you ever dated a comedian? I think if I was dating a comic and I saw them do poorly, I wouldn't be able to fuck them again.
I
That
felt,
would be rough. That
I
would
would-
be rough.
I
They
would-
bomb.
If I don't respect someone, I have a hard time.
Well, I wouldn't like, yeah. You can't like openly date someone you don't respect.
But
But
if you're dating a girl and she's a comic and she sucks, that is going to be rough too for a guy as well.
right, and then all of a
Same
sudden she
thing.
gets real good. Then she passes you
Ooh,
using
that-
your jokes.
That would be rough.
But I don't know. It's a fun experience. Like I do remember that, but you can also do that in just friendships with comics. But
Yeah.
I just have so many people I
Exactly.
call about jokes. It's so fun.
But for me, I had some Darwinian instinct to be like, do not piss where you eat.
Yeah.
Like, do not toxify this environment. This is the
Yeah.
only place you feel safe. This is the only place.
that's
that-
like why
Yeah.
any of these guys, if they ever like DM me, I'm always like, ew.
I think some girls though
Sister.
they feel like no one gets them but comics, and that's why you see
interesting.
girl comics wind up with male comics. Because like for a woman to be the funny one, I think there's a lot of guys that are intimidated by that. Like if a guy was a regular guy with a regular job and he's dating a funny comic
Right.
who's going on stage murdering at
Yeah.
the comedy store in the main room,
Yeah.
like that's
But there's
hard.
plenty of guys that don't feel that way. So it's
Yeah.
just
the ones,
like,
the ones who wear ball gags.
wow, you really know how far up that ball gag goes, Joe, and that
we
pantomime.
do have to wear strap-ons.
No, I think it's a different kind of person. But there's a lot of guys who can't, for sure. I mean, everybody's different, but there are a lot of guys who have a problem with the woman being the funny one.
Well, also you have to. This happens a lot, where a guy who has nothing to do with comedy is like really into you, and you're like, oh great, like a man.
And then they see
he
you
doesn't
do
care, and then
stand-up?
they go, no. They've seen you do stand up, and they're like into it, and then they go, you know, I always kind of wanted to get into comedy, and you're like, get out of my house forever. Get out of this car I'm living in. Get out of this car I live in.
I've had that happen so many times. Guys
So
that I
they're
dated.
only
So
dating you because they wanted to
disgusting.
get into comedy and you're established.
Or maybe it's both.
Yuck.
You know, Kurt told me this because I used to always feel like if someone hit on me, they didn't think I was funny or something. And he's like, they could be hitting on you because they like that you're funny.
But here's the difference between men and women right here and there. Because if there was a guy and he's dating a girl and she's like, you know, I always thought about doing comedy, the guy would be like, you should. They'd be so stupid. They wouldn't even realize the girl's fucking them just to get into
Yeah,
comedy.
yeah.
They would have no idea. They'd be like, yeah, you should do it. You're funny.
Yeah,
like,
go
they don't
for
care.
it.
As long as the girl lets the guy fuck her, he's
But
going to be
also-
like, yeah,
but do you
get into
understand-
comedy. I'll help you write jokes.
It's not even like saying I don't want you to be a comedian. It's just saying I don't want to date an open micer. Like,
course.
So you're gonna humiliate me by being the worst
But
comedian
this is-
in the room.
This is the difference between men and women. If a girl's hot, a guy will still fuck her, even if she's an open micer.
Yeah.
You'll
Well, I
take
mean,
her to the show.
yeah, I
if
mean-
you're some dude who's like a headliner on the road and
Yeah.
you're doing theaters and you got this really pretty girlfriend
Yeah.
who all of a sudden wants to be a comic, you're like, yeah, why not?
And
Yeah.
I think I fucked myself a couple times because I always felt like, okay, don't emasculate this guy, laugh at his jokes. So I would laugh at his jokes that weren't funny, and then he'd be like, well, if she thinks I'm funny, I must be hilarious.
I'm
Then
too on the
he'd wanna-
spectrum.
Then he'd want to start doing stand-up.
no.
I'm too on the spectrum to do that. I have a lot of trouble fake laughing. Like I'm like, my face is like, I like look at them. I remember Tony once being like, I see what you're doing. You're not laughing. And I was like, Tony, it just was like too punny in this moment. And I just like can't fake laugh.
Yeah.
Tony's
Not that Tony's not the fucking
he's
funny.
the
I have
emperor
been,
of puns. There's
Dude.
no one has better puns than Tony Hinchcliffe.
Over this
no one.
quarantine, I've gotten so close with Tony.
Yeah.
I get him. I love him.
He's awesome.
I accept his craziness. Like
I remember
love him.
before. I remember when Tony smoked. When Tony didn't he go vegan? Isn't he vegan now or
he
something?
was vegan, then he started eating meat.
I remember when he was
Yeah.
in bad shape. I remember when he was a door guy and he was like a mess, and I used to yell at him to stop
Yeah.
smoking cigarettes.
He thought that being vegan was gonna help him, like
Get
help
pussy?
his health or you know,
Something. Well, he lost a lot of
just
weight,
Seemed
I
like
think.
it was. Yeah, but he doesn't need to lose weight. He's such a thin guy.
Yeah, it's tiny.
He's got a crazy metabolism. Like he can eat everything and just burns off him. Yeah.
He's gonna be so happy we're talking about him.
yeah.
I love that dude.
gonna be
He knows
honored.
I love him though.
And do you know who Mitch Burrows is? He's at the Comedy Store too. He's so funny. He's a door guy. He's so funny though. He's
There's-
one of the guys that like that's his way into the Comedy Store.
Well, we were
Yeah.
talking about that when we were doing the documentary too. It's one of the coolest things about the store is that everybody gets treated like a comic. The door
Yeah.
people, the people that work the cover booth. It doesn't matter if you're a comic, you're a comic.
right.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, like whether it's Duncan or Ari or so many of these people, started out as door people.
Yep.
So many guys. So many guys.
And I think the common denominator in the Comedy Store comics is these are people that want it and are at all fucking costs. Like when
Yep.
people are like, you're a Comedy Store comic, that place is toxic. It's like you're throwing shit around like that. I spent from 5 p.m. to
Yeah.
2 in the morning every night for like 4 years. Like, you know, it's sort of
Yeah.
like the amount of time we put in.
It's not toxic.
It's so
just,
fun. It's not
It's a
toxic.
wild place, and sometimes weird shit happens there, and sometimes, you know, it's annoying, and sometimes people bomb, and sometimes people feel like they bomb because the person before them was too
Yeah.
gross or
Right.
too
Yeah,
this or
yeah.
too that. There's a lot. Look, it's a fucking dangerous place. Like I've had shitty sets.
It's
in
a
that
night.
sometimes.
It's a nightclub. Like when
Yeah.
you remember when there was all of a sudden like a wave of white female comedians in the middle of Black Lives Matter going like, oh wait, we're victims of being treated badly by
Yeah.
male comics.
Brutal.
It was just like we don't want to post about Black Lives Matter anymore. It's embarrassing. It's
Yeah.
making us uncomfortable.
White women couldn't let black people
So
have
we're
the spotlight.
we're the victims again. So I one girl had written something where she was like, I have to have male comics walk me to my car at the end of the night. And it's like, okay, wait, so they're nice enough to walk to, you're saying the night, it's not comedy that's dangerous. The nighttime is
Yeah,
dangerous.
yeah, yeah.
Darkness is dangerous.
Clubs, nightclubs where people
Well,
drink is dangerous.
nightclubs,
But
yeah.
I mean, I would not want to be a woman. I would not want to be someone someone wants to fuck all the time, and you're
It's not bad.
walking by like.
If you have personalities like us, no one wants to
No,
fuck
they
you.
run from you.
We've inoculated ourselves.
People rue the day they molested me. I'll tell you that.
Don't you worry. We do a great job of repelling that.
I think it's harder. I mean, there's some aspects of being a man, I'm sure, that are probably more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But I think overall, the physical vulnerability part is huge.
Yeah.
It's definitely huge in a confidence business, right?
Well-
because the thing about stand-up is a lot of it's a confidence
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely started wanting to become a weapon. Like I was like, when I started doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, I was like, this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
and I remember during the Me Too movement and stuff, I was always like, there's something missing here where it's like a conversation with young girls about like learning to stand up for yourselves and be strong. And it's not you would get called victim shaming. And it's like, no, it's about, you have no control over the outside world. So it's protect yourself as much as you can.
Yeah.
When I was a blackout drunk, I was my own bodyguard leaving to go to the bathroom for fucking 6 hours and my body's just there. It's like, you need like, to me, it's like becoming the strongest I can be, whether I'm a woman or I'm a man, and
Yeah.
like being able to, because Tate years ago was like, if I was a woman, I'd want to be the strongest woman in the world. And I was like, Tate, I just want to be hot. Like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to get a six pack to be cute. But now I get it. I got to that age where I went, oh yeah, like I want to be able to fuck people up
Yeah.
if they come at me.
And also, I think it's like just getting your intuition on point. You know, it's like that Gavin DeBecker book, That Gift of Fear. I
Yep.
read that and it changed my life because it was like, I think when you're told for so long, I think the part that gets tricky is that insidious, like people telling you you're crazy, you're psycho, you're too emotional, you're too sensitive, like calm down, relax. Hearing that for so long, my programming was the most fucked up thing because when I did actually feel someone being dangerous, I would override my intuition, be like,
Right.
I'm just being dramatic or
Right.
I'm just being crazy. Or
Or I don't want to accuse this person of something.
but our
I got
gut
into trouble that
in
way.
that
yeah.
book, he talks about about all the women that he interviewed that had either been attacked or assaulted, they always said, I knew something was fucking off about that guy. They knew it, even though he was helping them with their groceries or opening the door for them. They were like, my body knew there was something off about that guy.
I think there's something really dangerous about having a very limited amount of experience with crazy people or with dangerous people, because you don't know real violent people or real dangerous people. You haven't been around them, and so you don't know that you could just run into them. You could take a wrong turn on 4th Street, and all of a sudden there's a violent, crazy person, and you don't know what they're like. You don't know to get away.
And you want to be nice. Like, you don't, like, there's this instinct to be nice. I don't know if it's taught to us or whatever, but it's like, you don't want to be rude to someone.
You don't want to
like,
be an asshole.
But it's like, it doesn't, like, what I want, like, what I'm so glad I learned and what I would want to impart upon my nieces and even my nephews, it's like, your safety and it doesn't even have to be physical safety, your emotional safety, your what you want is the most important thing for you. So that's why boundaries aren't bad. You know, it's just like, set them up and like.
But for me, like, when we go through the Comedy Store, anyone who's ostensibly crazy, I'm usually not scared of those people. The people advertising they're crazy, those are the people you have to worry about. It's the quiet person in the corner you're not hearing anything from.
Well, yes, a lot of times it's guys' friends, right? There's a guy who's cool, but then he's got a friend who's fucked up, and he doesn't know his friend's fucked up.
Yeah.
And, and you're around this person all the time, and they're slowly getting closer and closer to you. And look, it's men can be fucking really scary.
Or there's
I've met a lot of men that are scary human beings and capable of violence. Like real, like when you hear about someone murdering someone, and you knew that person who murdered somebody, that's a tricky feeling. You're like, whoa.
But that's why building up your own shit is so important, because you can't control a crazy person outside of you. So like all these things where it's like, men need to stop. It's like, yes, of course. But also, how do we protect ourselves? How do we...
It's not men, though. It's those men.
Those men,
It's the particular people that are doing these awful things to people. The particular murderers or rapists or thieves. It's like we have a real problem with lumping people into groups.
Right. And
we
are so disconnected from our intuition, because I'll have it sometimes like a woman will come up to me in a meet and greet, and I'm like, I have a weird feeling about this person. I can't tell you why. I can't articulate it. I know ostensibly the person seems really nice. I have a weird feeling about this. I need this person to go. Whereas other people are grabbing me and shaking me, and I feel fine. But this person, like, just being able to like,
you never fucking know. You never know. But we can't look at each other as groups, because we're going to have blind spots. You're going to have these believe all women blind spots or believe all men blind spots. Those are bad. They're bad.
And some people just fixate on you, get obsessed through social media. There was a girl that was like a runner-up on American Idol. She was doing a meet and greet, and someone just walked up and shot her. Crazy person who thought they knew her. I had a security issue with someone who thought they were emailing with me for 4 months. They thought we had a relationship, you know? And when you're in that kind of situation.
I'm sorry about that.
I wanted to be you.
I swore it was a different Whitney. I don't know.
And then everything you're posting on social media feeds into their idea that you're connected. They think you're talking to them.
Well, there's a lot of fucking schizophrenics out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of really sick people out there.
1% of people in this country are schizophrenic.
Yeah.
I think that's the right number. See if that's the right number.
I mean,
what percentage of people? What would you guess? What percentage of people are schizophrenic?
Schizophrenic. I mean, it's sort of
diagnosed
like
as.
I love these guessing games.
These are the kind of people I know. It's like these are the kind of people that are like going out of their way to get evaluated.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Right. There's probably more than that.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's probably gonna be a little bit more than whatever it would be.
What would you think it would be?
2%.
I don't fucking know.
Guess. You should.
So much of this stuff.
We're talking about you. This has been a long intervention. This whole fucking show.
So much of this
Are you
stuff
talking to me or are you talking to me?
Underdiagnosed.
Or me?
So much of this shit is so underdiagnosed, though, right? 1%, 2%.
It says estimated 1.1%.
And these are just the people that have gone in for medical attention.
40% have
God knows the ones running around.
gone untreated.
And
I need a Jamie. We all need a Jamie.
So the 1.1%, they roughly estimate, they add in 40%.
And that's just the lineup at the Comedy Store.
That's 100%.
But
I got to tell you, I have bought a lot of shirts from Boone. I will say that. I love it. I buy so many shirts.
He's been around a long time.
I was so happy to see that he wasn't, because you get scared about people like that. These like older weirdos where you're like, where do you live? What do you do?
Nothing to lose.
Yep.
Yeah. Your like job is to hand people shirts where I don't even know where you got them from, but it's like I saw him the other day. I was so happy.
This is a walking flea market.
I was like, one of my crazies is still here.
Listen, kids, let's wrap this up. We're at more than 3 hours.
I'm gonna get a
It's
UTI.
ridiculous.
So bad.
I have to pee so
I've
bad.
never had to
My
pee.
water's
But
about to break.
I think you guys agree, right? You should do a show together.
Yes.
You guys have epic chemistry. It would be the best show.
I'm down.
And
It's
these
so
two chicks shows are so hot right now. Hot.
I don't like you saying that right now. Like we're some sort of trend.
two cunty chicks.
Two chicks.
But also-
both have problems.
Wait, no, you have to be my Jamie though.
Trauma
Off
bonding.
camera.
Okay,
No,
yes.
I'm just kidding. No.
How often is it that you see female comics getting along publicly and supporting each other?
I have like my girl. That's this thing when they make it like this Oprah I'm every woman shit. It's like no. I'm not friends with all female comics just because we're automatically female comics.
Yeah.
But I have little Esther I talk to every day. I talk to you all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Bonnie McFarlane I talk.
Will
like
not
I
stop
have
calling me.
like.
Well,
This is
those
not
are
a
all
consensual
funny
relationship
people.
at
Those are
all.
all funny
I just
people. That's what
love
you have in common.
them.
Little Esther's hilarious.
Right.
Bonnie McFarlane's hilarious.
Yeah.
These are funny comedians.
They're so funny and it's just so fun. It's such
And
a
we don't
treat.
feel competitive. I mean, there's a lot of
No.
like pitting each other against each other and competitive shit that's just like so
I have
fucking
no interest
exhausting.
in that.
But
Yeah.
don't you think what we were talking about at the Comedy Store the other night really does hold true, that this is the least competitive era of any era of comedy and the most supportive?
Yeah.
We're entrepreneurs.
Right, but we support each other because of the internet, because there's not limited amount of slots. Like this is the thing that we were talking about with Jay Leno. Like back in his day, there was only one host of the Tonight Show.
That's right.
And everybody wanted that spot. When Johnny Carson left, there's a lot of people that wanted that spot.
Well, there was one and there was another. Then it went back to that one. And
But there's also, you've shown us that helping other comics helps you.
Yeah.
Helps
There's
everybody.
plenty of pieces of pie, you know, like
that's
the
why
water
we
rises.
love Papa. We love Papa.
Well, I love you guys.
You're so. It's like you should be such a piece of shit. You have so much money.
How are you not a monster? How are you so
cool?
fucking
It's like
cool?
so fucking crazy.
I think we should say really quick, like I do think it's important to say, like we go into this like next chapter of like Joe Rogan, that a lot of people I think a lot of people assume that like if someone's on your podcast that means they're famous. Like you've had a lot of you have made a lot of comedians' lives by having them come on this podcast. It's gonna make me cry.
I'm happy to do it. I love
You've
to
probably
do it.
saved people's lives letting them come on this podcast.
I moved out of my car.
Annie would be dead if it wasn't for you. Like, she would be sucking a dick.
I moved out of
on
my
the
car,
side
but
of
it
the
is
road.
because they came to repossess
She'd
it.
be fucking
but-
some guy in a wheelchair down in Venice. But I mean, truly, I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand because this gets so many millions of views that like a lot of comics have had on here are like truly homeless.
And he's, by the way, he's uncomfortable with this, which is because you're cool.
You have truly given people careers. You have given people their lives, their
Yeah.
sanity, their following. I mean, it's really
It's a
it's a
family.
big deal. It's
Well,
a big deal.
It just made sense. It didn't seem like anything I ever had to think about. I just wanted to help, and I knew I could help. So I'd just take funny people and put them on.
And you still do it.
I still do. I just did. Allie was on last week.
Oh my God, I
Makowski.
love
She was
Allie.
awesome. So now everybody knows how funny she is.
That's
Yeah.
That's what we're all supposed to do. Like we used to wait
Allie's
for
another one of
a
my
Tonight
girlfriends.
Show, or we would wait for an HBO special. That's what we used to wait for. We don't have to do that anymore. We help each other, and it helps me too because then people trust me more. They're like, oh, he knows funny people. Like these people he gets on are
Yeah.
funny. Like so they know. Like I'm not trying to give you a bad show. If I
Yeah.
have someone on, it's because they're cool. It's because they're interesting.
But it's like so many
I'm so
comedians get really
nervous.
famous and successful and stop hanging out with other comedians or stop helping
Right.
other comedians. We see it a lot.
Yeah, because everybody gets. This is what it is. Because I'll tell you because I felt it myself, but I just realized what it was, and I stopped the thought process. You get scared,
Yeah.
because you have so much. And you're like, oh my God, it's so much. Everything's so much. Like, well, I want to keep this going in. I
Yeah.
want to keep this gravy train rolling. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop saying fucked up things. Maybe I stop doing podcasts of comics. Just concentrate on scientists. You could you could really start thinking like that. And I know
Yeah.
people that have done it, and a lot of famous comedians. They get to a certain point, they don't want to take any chances anymore, so they don't take chances with their material.
Yeah.
The things that got them to the dance,
That's
now
right.
they're avoiding.
That's
now they
right.
want to like play it
Yeah.
safer. They want to
Careful
slow
comedy.
it down a little bit.
Oof.
It's just not good for you. And I saw it though. I felt it. I felt it as the podcast started ramping up. I'm like,
Yeah.
But you just gotta do it. You just gotta keep doing it. The way to do it is you get high, you get drunk sometimes, you talk shit, you have fun.
Snort some
Like,
K.
You talk to scientists, you talk to really interesting people that are authors and adventurers, and like
Yeah.
you just do what you did. So that's all I'm doing. But to be able to help comics is probably the best part of it for me.
It's
because
really
I love
cool.
I love watching it happen. I love watching people just have a career, because I know they can. Like,
Yeah.
all of us that are good, you get to a certain point where you're making people laugh and you're good. If you're dedicated to it, you can have a career. You
Yeah.
just need to somehow or another be like not even mentor, just someone opens the door for you.
Yeah.
Someone says, come on in, let's show everybody how cool you are.
Yeah.
And you also pioneered a sort of career and an art form that a lot of people wouldn't have known to do that have given them their livelihood. A lot of comedians who weren't going to get that 5-minute spot on the Tonight Show. A lot of those comedians who weren't
Right.
going to get that sitcom. Like you paved a new route for
But also,
comics.
what if you didn't have a podcast and then none of us had podcasts and then this fucking quarantine happened and we would
Right.
just be like,
like
That's what
sitting
a lot
around
of us
waiting
had, like,
for auditions or some
Segura
shit.
called me up. He's like, "Thank God you talked me into doing a
right.
podcast." Because
Well, Donnell too. Like Donnell was like, you started it in the car
That's
right
right.
after or before you did
Exactly.
your
You're
show.
truly feeding people's kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just everybody who's a comic.
You're
if you
feeding my
have-
eggs.
your future
frozen eggs.
Frogan dysfunctional fucking
if you
kids.
have the ability to do a podcast, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you like let people know like more about how you think and
Yeah.
more about what you're interested in?
It's so interesting because my podcast is only like I have like 30 something episodes, and it's sometimes I interview and sometimes I don't. But there's people. It's all been
What's
all
it called,
comics.
Annie Letterman?
It's called MEANSPIRATION.
We know you're
It's
very
on
shy and you
YouTube.
don't
It's
wanna
on
promote your
YouTube.
stuff.
I'm not aggressive. No, but I want to start doing more. Like there's these people who's like they have therapy podcasts and stuff, and these different
promoting
types of
yourself, I
people
have
that
to
I
pee.
would love to interview. Like I want to do more. Like the people that I love, rather
Yeah.
than just comedians or whatever.
I have
Right.
a
Which
podcast
is
too,
what you
but I'm
do.
pretty successful. So
don't
follow,
need to
follow
know it.
Annie's instead.
She
I,
goes
don't,
like
I
this.
have enough
Her
money.
podcast is called. This is what her podcast is called. Bop bop bop.
No, it's called Good For You, but Annie needs it more, so give it to her.
Bop bop bop. I have to pee so bad.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Everybody
All
has
right,
to
I
pee.
love you.
I love you too. Thanks for doing
Thank you
this.
so
And I'm
much.
glad you guys are going to do this podcast. I'm going to
It's
help.
gonna be good.
I'm going
I
to
love
promote it. All
Can't
right.
wait.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Woo.
So fun. Ugh.